Seeing that matters here were settled, Hume exchanged a few words with everyone and returned to the divine sky realm. Lin Fan, on the other hand, did not intend to stay here any longer. These demonic beings could not break out for the time being, so he had no need to remain here. Although the demonic chi here had no effect on him, Xiao Zian and the others felt quite uncomfortable. Husband, now that we have fully understood the situation at Demon Ceiling Ridge, what are we going to do next? Seeing Xiao Zian's inquiry, Lin Fan already had a plan in mind. Today we will return to Xining's residence first. Tomorrow I plan to go back to the 100 Nations region to have a look. Everyone naturally had no objection to Lin Fan's arrangement. Everyone then packed up and drove the flying boat back to Xining's residence. Lin Fan did not directly teleport back through the divine sky realm. They had made a grand exit. If they teleported back directly, it would inevitably cause people to speculate. Shortly after they returned to the residence, Chu Xining received a message from the Emperor Chu. Obviously the news of their return had already reached the Emperor Chu. But this was only natural. Lin Fan had not concealed their whereabouts. As the sovereign of the great Chu Empire, it was trivial for Emperor Chu to learn about their movements. Husband, my father just sent a message wanting to ask about the specific situation at Demon Ceiling Ridge. How should I reply? This matter definitely required Lin Fan's decision. She dared not disclose everything about Demon Ceiling Ridge to her father. Lin Fan pondered for a moment and soon had an answer. The matter that there was still a demon emperor inside Demon Ceiling Ridge must not be revealed now. Otherwise it would cause panic across the entire Xianhuang continent. Just tell your father that the seal at Demon Ceiling Ridge is about to exhaust its energy due to age, and it can last at most about 10 years. Let them prepare in advance for the demon's emergence. Chu Xining did not hesitate and directly conveyed what Lin Fan said to her father. When Emperor Chu received this news, his face instantly changed dramatically. The emergence of demons meant chaos in the world. Without any hesitation, Emperor Chu directly went to find the 3 ancestors of the Chu family. 3 ancestors, I just received news from Xining. The energy of the seal at Demon Ceiling Ridge is about to be exhausted and can only hold for at most 10 years. What? Only 10 years remain? The 3rd ancestor, Chu Jingfeng, exclaimed in shock. Seeing his loss of composure, the 1st ancestor immediately soothed. 3rd brother, do not panic. Seeing the 1st ancestor so calm, Chu Jingfeng gradually settled down. He then looked at the 1st ancestor with some apology. Elder brother, I have lost my composure. The 1st ancestor waved his hand. It's nothing, it's only human nature. In fact, there is no need to panic so much about this matter. These demons have been sealed for nearly 1,000,000 years. After such a long time, those demon emperors from the beginning must have passed away. The demons inside now are merely the descendants of those original demons. Although we don't know how many demons are inside within such a confined space, having a few quasi-demon emperors is already the limit. Just a few quasi-demon emperors, do we need to be so afraid? Hearing the 1st ancestor's words, Emperor Chu and the other 2 also realized. Previously, they had only thought about the terror of the demons and overlooked the main point. As the 1st ancestor said, those original demon emperors simply could not have lived so long. A great emperor only has a lifespan of 1,000,000 years. Those demon emperors had already lived for hundreds of thousands of years before being sealed. Adding the time of sealing, it far exceeds 1,000,000 years. Therefore, unless they broke through to a higher realm, there was no possibility of survival. Of course, it could not be ruled out that they had taken life-extending imperial elixirs before being sealed. However, this possibility is very small, as such treasures are usually only taken when one's lifespan is near exhaustion. If a demon emperor had indeed taken such a treasure, then they would just be unlucky. After understanding all this, they all felt relieved. But being relieved did not mean they became careless. If there were indeed multiple quasi-demon emperors inside Demon Ceiling Ridge, it would definitely be more than the great Chu Empire alone could handle. Because those original demon emperors all possessed ultimate imperial weapons. Now these ultimate imperial weapons must have been left to the descendants of these demons. If several quasi-demon emperors came with those weapons, they would not be able to withstand them. Therefore, this matter required the help of other powers. After realizing this, the 1st ancestor immediately instructed the 3rd ancestor, Chu Jingfeng, send a message to all major powers, immediately informing them of the specific situation at Demon Ceiling Ridge. Yes, elder brother, I will send the message right away. Soon all great emperor-level powers across the Xianhuang continent received Chu Jingfeng's message. At first, everyone felt panic upon hearing this news. The ferocity of the demons was well known to them. But after Chu Jingfeng's analysis, they all calmed down. With careful thought, they realized that Chu Jingfeng's words were not without reason. So as long as there were no demon emperors, there was nothing to fear. With so many powers united, they could not possibly lose to a few quasi-demon emperors, right? So soon they reached a consensus. As soon as the seal was broken, they would join forces to repel the demons. Soon Chu Jingfeng ended his communication with them. He then reported the discussion to the 1st ancestor. Seeing that everyone was willing to unite against the demons, the 1st ancestor nodded with satisfaction. Emperor Chu, seeing the matter resolved, prepared to take his leave. 3 ancestors, I will take my leave now. Wait a moment. The first ancestor directly called him back. First ancestor, what other instructions do you have? Emperor Chu asked in confusion. Send a message to Xining saying that I plan to visit Master Lin tomorrow. Alright, I will send word to Xining immediately. Emperor Chu replied, and informed Chu Xining of the first ancestor's upcoming visit. As soon as Chu Xining received this message, she immediately went to find Lin Fan. Husband, my father sent word that our family's first ancestor will come to visit tomorrow. Hearing that the first ancestor of the Chu family was coming, Lin Fan was a bit surprised. But meeting him would not hurt. Xining, tell your father that I will be here waiting for the first ancestor's arrival. Chu Xining did not delay and immediately relayed this message to Emperor Chu. After informing Emperor Chu, she sat down beside Lin Fan. Husband, since the first ancestor is coming tomorrow, it seems we won't be able to go to the 100 Nations region. It's fine delaying one day to return to the 100 Nations region is no problem. We have no urgent matters anyway. But your first ancestor is probably coming about Demon Sealing Ridge. I am considering whether to tell him the truth. This matter, husband, you decide. Lin Fan nodded and did not dwell on the matter. He needed to see what kind of person this first ancestor was before deciding whether to tell him the truth. Time passed quickly, and soon it was the morning of the next day. The grand ancestor of the Chu family had already appeared in the mansion. Upon seeing Lin Fan, he smiled and clasped his hands in greeting. Master Lin, I apologize for the sudden intrusion. Please do not take offense. You flatter me, grand ancestor. Please have a seat. After the grand ancestor sat down, Lin Fan got straight to the point. Grand ancestor, I assume you have come today about the matter of Fengmo Ridge, correct? As expected, I cannot hide it from Master Lin. I am indeed here about the matter of Fengmo Ridge. As he said this, the grand ancestor's expression turned serious. The anomaly that day must have been caused by an emperor-grade celestial diviner. I wonder if that diviner has deduced the specific situation inside Fengmo Ridge. The grand ancestor still did not suspect that the diviner was Lin Fan. Since the other party did not know, Lin Fan naturally would not admit to being that diviner. Grand ancestor, do you want to hear the truth? Lin Fan did not answer directly, but asked back with a serious expression. Seeing Lin Fan's demeanor, the grand ancestor's heart tightened. Obviously, the real situation was worse than he had imagined. If the demon lords in Fengmo Ridge were easy to deal with, Lin Fan would not be so solemn. However, this made him even more eager to know the specific details inside. Master Lin, please tell me the exact situation of these demons. Grand Ancestor, since you wish to know, I will not hide it from you. Inside Fengmo Ridge, there is still a demon emperor at the 7th level. That crack was blasted open by him. Hearing that there was still a demon emperor of the 7th level inside, the Grand Ancestor immediately stood up from his chair, his face turning extremely ugly. Why is there still a demon emperor inside? How could those demon emperors from before have lived so long? Seeing the Grand Ancestor's incredulous expression, Lin Fan directly explained the reason. After learning the specific details, the Grand Ancestor fell silent. In his view, demons were all selfish beings. He could never imagine that these demon emperors, when their lifespans were about to end, would actually let their descendants devour them. If this news were to spread, almost no one would believe it. What should we do next? Knowing the specifics, the Grand Ancestor was no longer calm. This was a demon emperor at the 7th level, unmatched in the Xianhuan continent. The Chu family could activate their protective clan array to defend themselves, but the places not protected by the array would likely suffer widespread devastation. And over time, the Chu family's resources would also be exhausted. When there were no resources to maintain the protective clan array, they too would be doomed. Seeing the Grand Ancestor silent, Lin Fan naturally understood his worries. Grand Ancestor, don't worry yet. That seal still has 10 years. I will find a way to resolve this matter. Hearing Lin Fan say this, the Grand Ancestor suddenly looked up at him. Master Lin, do you really have a way to deal with this demon emperor? I do have some confidence. Lin Fan did not overstate it. But even so, it was still great news in the Grand Ancestor's eyes. Thinking that Lin Fan's master was a great emperor, the Grand Ancestor became even more certain that Lin Fan was not joking. It seems Master Lin holds a very high status in that great emperor's heart, otherwise he would not lend his help. With this thought, the Grand Ancestor finally breathed a sigh of relief. By the way, Grand Ancestor, just keep the true situation of Fengmo Ridge to yourself. Do not spread it. If too many people know, it might cause some unforeseen changes. No one can determine whether there are other demons hiding in the shadows elsewhere in the Xianhuan continent waiting for an opportunity. If they get this news, they might actively go to Fengmo Ridge to destroy that seal. If that demon emperor comes out early, it will be a huge disaster. It was very difficult to destroy the seal from the inside, but from the outside, it was much easier. Just one quasi-emperor could completely destroy the seal. Lin Fan could see that the Grand Ancestor was a cautious man who would never disclose the true situation of Fengmo Ridge. This was also why he told him the news. If it were someone else, he probably would not have said it. The Grand Ancestor naturally respected Lin Fan's warning. Master Lin, rest assured, I will keep this secret. I will not let anyone know the internal situation of Fengmo Ridge. The Grand Ancestor knew very well that if the entire Xianhuan continent knew this news, it would only make the situation worse. It could even cause massive panic, plunging the Xianhuan continent into chaos. Some desperate outlaws would only become more ferocious. After all, there was not much time left for them, and they would only become more unrestrained and reckless. Therefore, for the stability of the Xianhuan continent, he would not tell anyone this news. He would not even tell his second and third brothers. Next, the Grand Ancestor took out a spatial ring and handed it to Lin Fan. Master Lin, this spatial ring contains a batch of spirit herb seeds prepared by our Chu family. In a while, more spirit herb seeds will be transported from other places, and I will have someone deliver them then. Hearing that they were spirit herb seeds, Lin Fan's eyes lit up. This was exactly what he needed most. Seeing Lin Fan take the ring, the Grand Ancestor then took his leave. Sheaning your family's Grand Ancestor is not simple. He detected the anomaly at Fengmao Ridge so quickly. Husband, it was mainly because of the commotion you caused during your divination that day, which aroused his suspicion. Lin Fan nodded and no longer dwelled on the issue. The Ice Snow Great Emperor had not yet recovered, so there was no rush to deal with Fengmao Ridge. There was nothing else to do, so Lin Fan and Chu Xining directly returned to the Xinxiao realm. Since the spirit herb seeds had been delivered, they needed to be planted as soon as possible. But when Lin Fan saw the number of spirit herb seeds in the ring, his eyes widened. It wasn't that the seeds were too few, but too many. All these seeds were labeled with their grades, even including emperor-grade, mid-grade spirit herb seeds. After a quick glance, Lin Fan turned to look at Chu Xining beside him. Xining, are you sure your family's patriarch didn't take the wrong storage ring? There are so many spirit herb seeds, even emperor-grade seeds. Chu Xining was stunned for a moment, then covered her mouth with a light laugh. Husband, how could the Grand Ancestor make such a basic mistake? I think it's because the Chu family wants to build a good relationship with you, so they brought all the spirit herb seeds from their stock to give to you. After all, so many spirit herb seeds sitting in the Chu family's vault wouldn't serve any purpose. They saw that you needed them, so they simply brought all the stock. Of course, they must have kept a portion for the family's own operations. After hearing Chu Xining's explanation, Lin Fan suddenly understood. But regardless, he had remembered this favor. If the Chu family encountered any trouble in the future, he would be the first to help. Under Lin Fan's control, in an instant, a large area of land was planted with spirit herb seeds. Seeing this, Xiao Zian couldn't help but smile and say, husband, outside alchemists suffer from a lack of herbs for alchemy. They would trade a single portion of herbs for 10 portions. But our alchemist is troubled by having too many herbs. Comparing the two, they would probably envy each other. Chu Xining and the others, hearing Xiao Zian's words, also covered their mouths and chuckled. To be honest, they had never seen an alchemist troubled by an excess of herbs before. Besides resting, the Lin family's alchemists were basically always concocting pills. Fortunately, alchemists could improve their cultivation through alchemy. Their cultivation speed was even faster than ordinary people, so even if they spent all their time on alchemy, it wouldn't affect their progress. Zian, you are wrong. Our alchemists take great joy in this craft. I gave them holidays, but they didn't want to rest, so I can't be blamed. In fact, for alchemists, alchemy is a form of cultivation. Look at their cultivation progress, isn't it much faster than others? Hearing Lin Fan's words, they all realized. The cultivation of those alchemists was indeed much higher than others. At first they thought it was because these people frequently took pills that their cultivation was higher. But now it didn't seem to be the case. Husband, how many alchemists does our Lin family have now? Xiao Zian asked curiously. She hadn't paid much attention to this issue before. She only knew that the Lin family had many alchemists, but she wasn't sure of the exact number. Chu Xining and the others also looked at Lin Fan with curious eyes. The current number of alchemists has exceeded 1 million, but the exact number I need to ask Li Han. Hearing that the number of alchemists already exceeded 1 million, Chu Xining and the others were all shocked. In the past, if they heard that any force could support so many alchemists, they would definitely have scoffed. Because that was impossible. Even the specialized alchemy sects or families couldn't have so many disciples learning alchemy. In fact, most of the disciples in these forces were spirit herb growers specializing in cultivating herbs for alchemists. If a force supported 1 million alchemists, even an emperor-level force would gradually have its resources drained. Even if these alchemists only refined low-grade pills, the sheer number of them was overwhelming. The daily consumption of herbs for 1 million alchemists was an astronomical figure. Over time, no force could withstand such a drain. They didn't have a treasure land like the Divine Xia realm for cultivating spirit herbs. But even with so many alchemists, their herbs were still more than they could use. Every day in the Divine Xia realm, people were collecting the seeds of mature spirit herbs for cultivation. So nowadays, large quantities of herbs matured in the Divine Xia realm every day. Fortunately, the herbs would not wither if left in the ground, and could even evolve. So they only needed to pick enough herbs each day for their needs, leaving the rest to continue growing in the ground. After all, there was more than enough land, so there was no need to pick everything clean. Otherwise, the Divine Xia realm would only become emptier. Fortunately, these matters were taken care of, so Lin Fan didn't need to worry too much. Although he could solve these things with a single thought, he couldn't focus on such trivial matters every day. After all, he didn't raise all these people for nothing. Now the population of the Divine Xia realm has exceeded 50 million. But placed in the vast Divine Xia realm, this population is nothing. Now the Divine Xia realm has an area of 1,000 trillion square kilometers. Excluding 3/10 of water, the remaining 7/10 is land. Even the originally collected floating island had grown from 1.0 square kilometers to 1,000,000 square kilometers. To be honest, Lin Fan was a bit incredulous when he saw the floating island evolve along with the divine Xia realm, but he didn't dwell on it too much. It was indeed good news that the floating island could evolve along with the realm. Although it was not needed now, when his strength increased, he could transform the floating island into the upper realm of the divine Xia realm. But one floating island was too monotonous. If he encountered more floating islands in the future, he would collect them all. Time quickly reached the next day. Lin Fan slowly opened his eyes. Looking at Hu Yu still sleeping beside him, the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. Yesterday, after returning to his palace, he saw Hu Yu waiting for him there. The rest goes without saying. Lin Fan got up and checked his gains. First, his strength had directly increased from the first level of the Saint Sovereign realm to the third level. Lin Fan was naturally very satisfied with this progress. At the Saint Sovereign realm, cultivation advancement naturally wouldn't be as fast as before. Being able to rise 2 levels was already quite terrifying. You must know that each level of the Saint Sovereign realm is measured in millennia. Without several thousand years, it is almost impossible to break through. Besides cultivation, there was also an Emperor-grade upper-tier gift pack. Hu Yu's bloodline was only Emperor-grade upper-tier, so she only provided an upper-tier gift pack. System, open the Emperor-grade upper-tier gift pack. Ding. Congratulations to the host for opening the Emperor-grade upper-tier gift pack, obtaining a divine silkworm treasure garment. Without waiting for Lin Fan to ask, the system began to explain itself. The divine silkworm treasure garment is made from Emperor-grade upper-tier divine silkworm silk, capable of endless transformations with unmatched defense. Wearing it with the host's current strength, it can nullify attacks below the Great Emperor level unless the opponent wields an extreme Emperor weapon. Worn by a Great Emperor, it can weaken the opponent's attack power, only effective below the 7th level of the Great Emperor. Not bad, it's truly a great treasure. With this treasure garment, his safety had greatly improved. The divine silkworm treasure garment was a defensive treasure not usable for attack, so it was not considered an Emperor weapon and did not require recognition. Although it could only be used for defense, to Lin Fan this treasure garment was even better than an Emperor weapon. He himself already had 2 extreme Emperor weapons, so another Emperor weapon would be of little use for now. When Lin Fan put away the divine silkworm treasure garment, Hu Yu slowly opened her eyes. Seeing that Lin Fan was still there, she immediately smiled and greeted, "Husband, did I wake you? Do you want to go back to sleep?" "No, husband, you said you were going to the 100 Kingdoms today. I plan to go with you to see the place where you once lived." "All right, then get ready first, and we'll set off in a moment." Leaving his own palace, Lin Fan gathered everyone together. Because everyone wanted to follow him to see the 100 Kingdoms. Since it was just a trip to relax, Lin Fan naturally did not refuse. Then, with a single thought, Lin Fan brought everyone directly to the former residence that the Lin family had established in the 100 Kingdoms. It was the island that Emperor Zhao had given him long ago. This island had always been maintained. Moreover, the spiritual energy density on this island was no less than that of other places in the Tianxian continent. Because Lin Fan had arranged a Saint-grade spirit gathering array here. Although Lin Fan did not come here often, this place was still one of the Lin family's residences, so it naturally could not be too inferior. When conditions allowed later, he even planned to set up an Emperor-grade array. Luo Yiran felt the spiritual energy here, and her face showed surprise. "Husband, I didn't expect this island's environment to become so wonderful." Zhao Lingxi also echoed from the side. "Yes, husband, the richness of this spiritual energy is already comparable to the lower-level sacred lands of the Xiantian continent." Xiao Zian and the others did not know how the environment had been here before, but soon they understood why there was such abundant spiritual energy. "Sisters, don't be surprised. My husband set up a Saint-grade spirit gathering array here. It's normal to have such rich spiritual energy." Hearing that a Saint-grade array was set up here, Zhao Lingxi did not know what to say. The strongest person in the 100 Kingdoms was only at the divine ability stage. Even a top-grade earth array would be unbreakable, let alone a Saint-grade array. "Next, I plan to take Lingxi, Ruoxi, Qingyan, and Shuxian to the state of Zhao. You can take a walk around this place first." No one objected to Lin Fan's arrangement. Next, Lin Fan accompanied Zhao Lingxi and appeared directly in the imperial palace of the state of Zhao. With his current strength, he did not need to use the divine thunder realm to go from here to the imperial palace of Zhao. A single thought sufficed. Sensing that the Emperor Zhao was reviewing memorials in the imperial study, Lin Fan and Zhao Lingxi walked hand in hand toward the study. Although there were many guards along the way, to avoid trouble, Lin Fan used some minor tricks to make the guards unable to see them. Soon they arrived at the imperial study. As soon as Lin Fan pushed open the door, Emperor Zhao noticed them. "Who?" Emperor Zhao asked without lifting his head. His attention was still on the memorial in his hand. Emperor Zhao was not worried about anyone coming to trouble him. With his current strength, he was among the top tier in the 100 Kingdoms. He could not have had such strength before, but he had a good daughter. Although Zhao Lingxi had not returned for years, sending cultivation resources was naturally not a problem. And this was tacitly approved by Lin Fan. Not only her, but also the others enjoyed such treatment. Lin Fan was generous to his women's families. Over the years, Emperor Zhao had received a steady stream of cultivation resources, and they were not ordinary ones. His strength had naturally advanced by leaps and bounds. Now he had broken through to the divine ability stage. Such strength he had never dared to imagine before. His greatest wish in the past was to break through to the divine platform stage so that he could protect the Zhao family's legacy. Seeing that her father was still reading memorials, Zhao Lingxi could not help but speak. "Father, it's me. My husband and I have come back to see you." Hearing the familiar voice, Emperor Zhao quickly put down the memorial. He looked up toward the direction of the voice. When he saw Lin Fan and Zhao Lingxi, he stood up excitedly from his dragon throne. "Lingxi, master, after so many years you have finally returned." With that, Emperor Zhao hurriedly asked them to sit down. At the same time, he ordered the maids to serve tea. "Lingxi, master, where have you been all these years?" There was no news at all. "Father, my husband and I have crossed the Million Mountains and reached the Xiantian continent on the other side." Learning that Lin Fan had crossed the Million Mountains, Emperor Zhao suddenly understood. If that was the case, it was normal that he had not been able to detect any news. With his current strength, he could naturally access information from the other side. He only knew that there were many powerful experts there, and even the venerable realm above the divine ability stage could only dominate in remote places. "Lingxi, could you tell me about the situation on the other side of the Million Mountains?" "Since father wishes to know, I will tell you." Next, Zhao Lingxi briefly explained the situation over there. The more Emperor Zhao listened, the more he felt that he had been a frog at the bottom of a well. With his current strength that he prided himself on, he was just a slightly larger ant over there. If placed in those sacred lands, he would only be fit for menial tasks. To be honest, after hearing about the situation there, Emperor Zhao's heart was a little shaken. "Lingxi, what level of cultivation have you reached now?" Emperor Zhao wanted to probe Zhao Lingxi's cultivation, but he could not detect any spiritual energy fluctuations on her, as if she were an ordinary person. There were only two possibilities. One was that Zhao Lingxi was an ordinary person. The other was that her cultivation far surpassed his beyond his ability to detect. The first possibility could be ruled out directly, so his daughter's cultivation must be far above his. Thinking of this, Emperor Zhao's heart was naturally extremely excited. Zhao Lingxi was his daughter. He naturally wished for her to be as strong as possible. For this question, Zhao Lingxi did not answer immediately, but turned to look at Lin Fan. Seeing Lin Fan nod, Zhao Lingxi then spoke. "Father, do not be shocked when you hear my cultivation level." Hearing his daughter say this, Emperor Zhao immediately showed a confident expression. "Lingxi, rest assured, your father is not so fragile. I have lived this long and have seen countless storms. How could I be frightened by such a thing? All right, since father has said so, I will not beat around the bush. My current cultivation has broken through to the quasi-saint realm, and it is the 9th level of quasi-saint. I am only one step away from breaking through to the saint realm." Pak! As soon as Zhao Lingxi finished speaking, the sound of a teacup smashing was heard. The teacup in Emperor Zhao's hand had fallen to the ground. He had thought his daughter might have broken through to the venerable realm, but he never expected that she was at the quasi-saint realm far above the venerable and at the 9th level. Zhao Lingxi had just explained the power of the quasi-saint realm. Such an expert could erase the entire state of Zhao with a wave of his hand. He had once longed for this realm, hoping to witness such an expert in his lifetime, but he never expected that his daughter had already achieved such strength. After a long while, Emperor Zhao finally regained his composure. He was tempted to ask Zhao Lingxi how she had managed to break through to the quasi-saint realm in such a short time, but the words died on his lips. Clearly this was Lin Fan's doing. Though he did not fully grasp the difficulty of reaching the quasi-saint realm, he knew it was immeasurably more arduous than his own breakthrough to the venerable realm. Lin Fan had enabled his daughter to achieve the quasi-saint realm in such a brief span, undoubtedly at great cost and effort. At this thought, a wave of relief and profound gratitude toward Lin Fan washed over him. After a few more moments of casual conversation, Lin Fan rose to leave. "Lingxi, stay here and keep your father company. I need to visit the other families." "Go ahead, husband. I'll wait for you here." Seeing Lin Fan about to depart, Emperor Zhao quickly interjected, "Master, I shall prepare a banquet tonight. You must come." As if fearing Lin Fan would refuse, Emperor Zhao added, "The banquet is only for those close to us, the way one and by families." Over the years, thanks to Lin Fan's connection, these families had maintained excellent relations. With the resources Lin Fan provided, their strength had grown to be nearly equal. Each family now boasted cultivators at the divine power realm, making them top-tier powers across the entire 100 Kingdoms region, though of course the Lin family was an exception. Lin Fan had initially intended to decline Emperor Zhao's invitation as he disliked such occasions, but since it involved only these families, he had no objection to sharing a meal. Seeing Lin Fan agree, Emperor Zhao beamed with joy and immediately ordered preparations for the evening feast. After leaving the palace, Lin Fan accompanied Wei Shuxian to the Wei residence. The guards at the gate were about to stop them, but when they recognized Wei Shuxian, excitement lit up their faces. They quickly bowed and greeted, "Greetings, eldest miss." "Greetings, master." Although they had never seen Lin Fan, Wei Shuxian was holding his arm, so his identity was unmistakable. Wei Shuxian waved at them. Rise. Then without further ado, she took Lin Fan's hand and led him into the mansion. Along the way, every servant in the Wei household bowed respectfully to Wei Shuxian and Lin Fan. They all knew that the family's current standing was inseparable from their eldest Mrs. Husband. Indeed, everyone in the Wei family regarded Lin Fan as their greatest benefactor. Soon news of Wei Shuxian and Lin Fan's return reached Wei Shuyan's ears. Without a second thought, she hurried out of her courtyard and rushed toward where Lin Fan and Wei Shuxian were. In no time she stood before them. Her face lit up with excitement. Sister, brother-in-law, you're back. Wei Shuxian was taken aback by her sister's sudden warmth. In the past, the two had been at odds like fire and water. Wei Shuyan had never once called her sister. Wei Shuxian almost wondered if the sun had risen from the west today. Seeing her sister's astonishment, Wei Shuyan understood. Sister, I realize I was wrong. I was so immature back then. I have spent these years reflecting and repenting. Can you forgive me? Regret gnawed at Wei Shuyan's heart as she recalled her foolish actions. Especially regarding Lin Fan. If she had not been so proud, she might have stayed by his side. Though she knew little of Wei Shuxian's life, over the years the resources her sister had sent were undeniable. Thanks to those resources, she herself was on the verge of breaking through to the Purple Mansion realm, already a standout among her peers in the Hundred Kingdoms region. If even the resources sent to their family were so abundant, one could only imagine the privileges Wei Shuxian enjoyed by Lin Fan's side. Perhaps those privileges were beyond her wildest dreams. Yet she had let such a golden opportunity slip through her fingers. Regret now was futile. Wei Shuxian was uncertain whether her sister had truly changed, but she was not one to hold grudges, and had no intention of dwelling on the past. Shuyan, let the past be the past. I'm going to see father now. With that, Wei Shuxian took Lin Fan's arm and turned to leave. Though she harbored no resentment, she had no desire to linger with Wei Shuyan. Noticing her sister's attitude, Wei Shuyan felt a pang of disappointment. But she knew such matters could not be rushed. Reconciliation would take time. She decided not to follow lest she annoy Wei Shuxian further. Meanwhile, Wei Changqing had learned from the servants that Lin Fan and Wei Shuxian had returned. Without a word, he stepped out of his study. The moment he emerged, he saw Lin Fan and his daughter approaching. Wei Shuxian spotted him from afar and called out, "Father, my husband and I have come to see you." "Welcome home. Shuxian master, please come inside." Wei Changqing greeted them warmly. As expected, he asked similar questions much like Emperor Zhao had. When he learned of his daughter's cultivation level, his reaction was even more dramatic than the emperor's. He marveled inwardly at the immense fortune his daughter had encountered. Yet thinking of his other daughter, Wei Changqing could not hide his disappointment. If Wei Shuyan had agreed to the marriage back, then everything would have been perfect. What a waste of a golden opportunity. Had he known, he would have sent more family members to Lin Fan's side. Even if they served as maids, they would have gained immense fortune. Now it was impossible. His daughter had already reached the quasi-saint realm, and Lin Fan's power was surely even more terrifying. Now that Lin Fan had grown so formidable, he would hardly set his sights on ordinary people like them. Indeed, in Lin Fan's eyes, their strength was no different from commoners. After chatting for a while, Lin Fan left Wei Shuxian to catch up with her father and went to visit the other families. Having paid his respects to all, he returned to the palace. Wei Shuxian and the others would come later with their fathers for the banquet. Seeing Lin Fan back, Emperor Zhao said to Zhao Lingxi, "Lingxi, there's still time before the feast. Why don't you show the master around the palace?" "Of course, father. Go ahead with your duties, don't worry about us." With the emperor's permission, Lin Fan and Zhao Lingxi roamed the palace unhindered, no one daring to stop them. Lin Fan could even venture into the imperial harem without issue. Emperor Zhao had no fear that Lin Fan would take an interest in his concubines, for he was certain that those consorts were far beneath Lin Fan's notice. Under Zhao Lingxi's guidance, the two strolled around the imperial palace. Since Emperor Zhao had ordered that no one should disturb Lin Fan, nobody dared to ingratiate themselves with him. After their stroll, the banquet was ready. Wei Shuxian and the others arrived at the palace at that moment. Emperor Zhao first arranged seats for Lin Fan and his group. Then he said to Wei Changqing and the others, "Everyone, today is a family banquet, so please feel at ease and pay no heed to the distinction between ruler and subject." "Good, then we thank your majesty." "All right," I said, "no need to be so polite. Everyone please take your seats, and then we'll all toast the master together." With Emperor Zhao leading the way, the rest raised their glasses. "Master, thank you for your care over the years, which has allowed our strength to advance by leaps and bounds. We have nothing valuable to repay you, so we can only offer words of gratitude. We hope you will not take offense. You are too kind. You are all family of my women. Since I have the ability, it's only right for me to help you a little." For Lin Fan, giving them these resources was nothing. If counted, all the resources he had given them were not worth a single saint-grade primal stone. It wasn't that he was unwilling to give more, but given their current strength, they couldn't use anything too precious. The resources he had provided were the most suitable for their current cultivation needs. Next, they began to toast each other. "Old Wei, you slowed down. The wine in this jug is almost finished by you. Can't blame me, it's because senior brother's wine is so delicious." Indeed, the wine they were drinking was all provided by Lin Fan. Although he sent them some spirit wine every year, it was never enough for them. The main reason was that there were too many people in the clan and they couldn't hog it all. Now that they had such a good opportunity to drink freely, they naturally wouldn't miss it. For Lin Fan, the spirit wine on their table was an unlimited supply. You should know that in the Xinxiao realm, not only are there many alchemists, but also many brewers. Now the Xinxiao realm has produced tens of thousands of varieties of fine wine. However, most of these spirit wines were below the Saint grade. Saint grade wines were relatively rare, not because they couldn't be brewed, but because the raw materials were scarce. Take Saint grade spirit rice for example, it takes several thousand years to mature. Fortunately, when the family's divine tree bloomed before, it accelerated the ripening a few times, but the quantity was not large. Although Saint grade spirit fruits could also be used for brewing, compared to Saint grade spirit rice, Saint grade spirit fruits were even rarer. Of course, rare still meant there was enough to supply their family, with even some surplus. Of course, the wine they were drinking now was definitely not Saint grade. This was only Earth grade low-tier spirit wine. It wasn't that Lin Fan was unwilling to bring out better wine, but given their current strength, they could only drink wine of this level. Higher grade wine contained denser spiritual energy, which they simply couldn't withstand. Watching the performance of these people, Emperor Zhao directly covered his head. Their behavior was truly too embarrassing. Fighting over a mouthful of wine right here. Fortunately, there were no outsiders here, so it was harmless. You guys, really, it's just a jug of wine. Is it worth acting like this? Quickly stop. Your Majesty, it's because this wine is so delicious, even better than what we drank last time. Enough, mind your image, the master is still here. In fact, Emperor Zhao also wanted to drink more, but as the ruler of a nation, he restrained himself. It wasn't that he was afraid of losing face in front of Lin Fan, because he knew Lin Fan wouldn't mind such things. He was afraid of losing face in front of these ministers. So since he couldn't drink much, he naturally didn't want these guys to drink much either. The wine saved would then all be his. The few people didn't know what Emperor Zhao was planning, but thinking that Lin Fan was still here, they indeed needed to mind their image. Master, it's mainly because the wine you provided is so enticing. Please don't take offense. After saying this, they were still a bit embarrassed. Mainly their image just now was indeed not very elegant. Everyone, there's no need for that. Drinking should naturally be done as one pleases. Since I brought out these wines, they are for everyone to drink. You can rest assured there's plenty of wine. As he spoke, Lin Fan took out several gourds filled with spirit wine. These gourds looked small on the outside, but their internal space had a volume of 10 cubic meters, enough to hold 10 tons of wine. Here, these gourds are for you. You can take them home directly later. Seeing this, they were overjoyed. After taking the gourds from Lin Fan, they quickly expressed their gratitude. Thank you, Master. Alright, you should stop calling me Master, it sounds weird. Just call me Patriarch Lin as before. Alright, Patriarch Lin. In the following time, they became much more restrained. Mainly because Lin Fan had given them a gourd of wine, so they didn't need to be greedy for small gains here. By the way, Patriarch Lin, I wonder if you will still be heading to the Xiantian continent next. Emperor Zhao asked curiously. Lin Fan nodded, that's for sure. We won't stay here too long. I came back this time mainly to bring Lingxi and the others to meet you. After all, it's been so long, and they really miss their families. Seeing that Lin Fan would leave after a while, they were still quite disappointed. But thinking that Lin Fan had specially brought their daughters back for a visit, they were very happy. This showed that their daughters held an important place in Lin Fan's heart. That reassured them. Patriarch Lin, we really troubled you bringing them all this way to meet us. They were truly grateful to Lin Fan. Others would certainly not be able to do what Lin Fan had done. Alright, everyone, don't stand on ceremony. Let's continue drinking. After the wine had been passed around 3 times, Wei Changqing and the others also took their leave. In the end, only Emperor Zhao, Lin Fan, and the others remained. Wei Shuxian and the others did not leave with them. They had already said everything they needed to say. If they wanted to meet again, they could come back anytime. Seeing that everyone had left, Emperor Zhao turned his gaze to Lin Fan. Patriarch Lin, it's getting late. I've already arranged accommodation for you. I'll have someone escort you there. Seeing that Emperor Zhao had prepared accommodation, Lin Fan naturally had no reason to refuse. Those palace maids, after leading Lin Fan and the others to their lodgings, tactfully withdrew. Lin Fan's group did not linger there. After setting up a restriction, they returned to the Xinxiao realm. However, the moment he entered, he found everyone gathered there. Husband, you're back. We took a stroll around this borderland today and found it to be utterly barren. Without your arrival, husband, this place would probably never have produced cultivators above the divine ability realm. Lin Fan nodded, acknowledging their words. Ultimately, it was because the spiritual energy of heaven and earth here was too thin. Some precious spiritual herbs simply could not grow here. Without cultivation resources, cultivators from the Xiantian continent disdained to travel here. And the people here also lacked the strength to go there, which caused borderland to be isolated from the world. By the way, husband, we are actually quite puzzled in our hearts. Here, though part of the Xiantian continent, even if geographically remote, the spiritual energy should not be this thin. Logically speaking, even the most remote places in the Xiantian continent should have enough spiritual energy for one to cultivate to the quasi-sage realm. Hearing Humei's analysis, Lin Fan also found it quite reasonable. Even if Baigwa land had the barrier of the million mountains, it should not be able to block the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Perhaps there is some secret in Baigwa land. Lin Fan speculated. We think so too. Why don't you husband perform a divination and see if you can find the answer? Alright, I'll give it a try. Lin Fan was also curious whether Baigwa land truly contained some secret. Lin Fan didn't delay, he directly led everyone to the location of the family divine tree. He was now in the Xinxiao realm and needed to communicate with the outside world through the family divine tree. Without the family divine tree, he could not directly deduce the situation outside while inside the Xinxiao realm. After arriving at the spot, Lin Fan sat directly on the ground and took out the Qianyun immortal diagram. This time after the Qianyun immortal diagram was opened, no extraordinary phenomenon occurred. Soon the past of Baigwa land began to manifest in Lin Fan's mind. From 100 years ago to 1,000 years ago, and then to 10,000 years ago, Baigwa land had always been as ordinary as ever. Lin Fan was not anxious, he continued to deduce further back. Thus Lin Fan deduced all the way to 500,000 years ago. It was during that period that the spiritual energy of Baigwa land gradually began to thin. In the past, Baigwa land could not only support cultivation to the quasi-sage realm, but even to the sage realm without any problem. Later, because the spiritual energy became thin, it caused the strong cultivators of Baigwa land to leave one after another and develop elsewhere. Since he had not yet found the reason, Lin Fan continued his deduction. Until 510,000 years ago, Lin Fan finally found the cause. That day, a golden light, unnoticed by anyone, fell from the sky, landed in the Suishing Sea, and then vanished. Then Lin Fan sensed that the spiritual energy of the Baigwa land region began to slowly converge there, and then gradually disappear. Because the movement was extremely faint, it was not detected by anyone. Unless a great emperor personally came, it would be very hard to discover. If not for his deduction, Lin Fan would not have found it either. Now that cluster of golden light still remained in that sea area, continuously absorbing the spiritual energy of Baigwa land. In other words, this golden light had been absorbing spiritual energy here for 510,000 years. I've finally found the source. Next, I'll see what it is. To be able to absorb so much spiritual energy, it must be extraordinary. After a while, Lin Fan stopped. He had actually failed to deduce exactly what it was. But this also indicated that this thing was even more extraordinary. Forget it. Since I already know its location, finding it will be simple. With that thought, Lin Fan directly abandoned the deduction. Seeing Lin Fan stop his deduction, Hume couldn't help but ask, "Husband, have you calculated the cause?" The others also stared intently at Lin Fan. "I have calculated some clues, but the exact reason will only be known after we go and see." Then Lin Fan told them what he had deduced. After listening to Lin Fan's explanation, everyone's eyes lit up. They felt that this golden light might be some kind of supreme treasure. Able to absorb so much spiritual energy, it must be a treasure of emperor grade or above. With that thought, Hume immediately suggested, "Husband, how about we go and take a look now?" Lin Fan shook his head. "There's no need to rush. After we take leave of Emperor Zhao tomorrow, we can go there then." "Alright, it's settled then." Then Hume shot a meaningful glance at Hu Yan. Hu Yan, seeing this, immediately understood. Then she directly left the place. When Lin Fan returned to his quarters, he found Hu Yan already waiting for him there. Without needing to say much, Lin Fan knew what was going on. "Young master." This address of young master made Lin Fan's heart tremble. He couldn't help but think to himself, truly worthy of being a fox spirit, so captivating. Of course, everyone in the Xinxiao realm was utterly loyal to him, so Lin Fan did not guard against it. Even the family divine tree did not interfere. If it were a stranger, the family divine tree would have intervened long ago. It can only be said that with the family divine tree present, there was no need to worry about being bewitched. Next, under Hu Yan's attentive service, the two soon entered into cultivation. As the cultivation ended, Lin Fan began to examine the gains from this session. First, his strength had already risen from the 3rd layer of the sage reverence realm to the 5th layer. Such a rate of improvement was simply astonishing. Next came the exciting gift package. Same as Hu Yu's gift package, it was also emperor grade top tier. Lin Fan did not hesitate and directly called upon the system. "System, open the gift package for me." Ding. Congratulations to the host for opening the emperor grade top tier gift package, obtaining a pair of emperor grade top tier void boots. With the host's current strength, after wearing the void boots, each step will cover tens of millions of miles. If the host becomes a great emperor, it will take only 1 day to travel from the Xiantian continent to the Xianyuan continent. It must be said that this pair of void boots was very powerful and could be considered a supreme treasure. If used for escape, it would be most suitable. Lin Fan even suspected whether the system was worried that he couldn't run fast when encountering danger, and thus gave him these items to save his life. After all, it had just given him the divine silkworm armor with max defense, and now it was sending a pair of escape void boots. However, this item was somewhat of a white elephant for him. With the Xinxiao realm, there was no need to worry about escaping. Of course, if not used for escape, it still had considerable utility. For instance, when facing an enemy, wearing the void boots would allow him to gain an advantage with extreme speed. Before the opponent could even react, he would have already killed his way to them. One could imagine what the opponent would feel. At the same time, when others fled, he could easily catch up. After understanding these points, Lin Fan joyfully accepted this pair of void boots. After a glance at the already sleeping Huyan, Lin Fan also decided to get some rest. The next morning, Lin Fan returned to the royal palace of the Zhao kingdom. He then proposed his departure to Emperor Zhao. Although Emperor Zhao wished to retain him, he ultimately refrained from voicing it. He felt that a figure of Lin Fan's stature must have many matters to attend to. Having accompanied his daughter back for a day was already more than enough. Patriarch Lin, if you ever have time in the future, be sure to bring Lingxi back for visits. Very well, I shall indeed bring Lingxi to visit when I have time. Farewell. With that, Lin Fan vanished from the spot, taking Zhao, Lingxi, and the others with him. Hiss. Witnessing this, Emperor Zhao drew a sharp breath. Is this the true strength of Patriarch Lin? I cannot detect even the slightest trace of his movement. Yet after a moment of thought, a self-deprecating smile crept across Emperor Zhao's face. With my paltry power, I sought to fathom Patriarch Lin's might. How utterly presumptuous. Let alone Patriarch Lin, I suspect even Lingxi's abilities now lie beyond my reach. It seems I must abdicate the throne as soon as possible to dedicate time to cultivation. I do not aspire to become the supreme, only to extend my lifespan a little longer. That way I may witness how far Lingxi will eventually soar. With this thought, Emperor Zhao's eyes gleamed with anticipation for the future. Meanwhile, Lin Fan and his party had already arrived at the Shattered Star Sea. Given their current level of power, traveling from the Zhao Kingdom's imperial city to this place required merely a thought. Subsequently, Lin Fan followed the route deduced from his divination. He quickly located the place where the golden radiance emanated. Husband, have you found it? Everyone asked eagerly as Lin Fan stopped. Indeed, this is the place, Lin Fan nodded. Right here? But we sense nothing unusual. They all expressed their confusion. This object can shield itself from perception, so it's normal that you cannot detect it. Had it not been for my divination, I too would have missed its existence. If it were so easily discovered, it would hardly have remained hidden until now. After hearing Lin Fan's explanation, Hu Mei and the others finally understood. Given the tremendous changes in the 100 Kingdoms region, someone must have investigated it back then. If this treasure were truly that easy to find, it would not have survived until now. Come, let us descend together and take a look. Just as Lin Fan was about to act, Hu Mei hastily stopped him. Husband, we are still uncertain whether these things pose any danger to us. So let me go down first to investigate. It would be safer. As the strongest among them, she was the most suitable for such a reconnaissance. Lin Fan gave her a reassuring look. Rest assured, though I cannot identify its exact nature, it poses no threat to us. Since Lin Fan said so, Hu Mei did not insist further. To prevent the surrounding beasts from disturbing them, Lin Fan released a sliver of his oppressive aura. Upon sensing this terrifying presence, all the nearby beasts fled in every direction, not daring to stay even a moment longer. After dealing with that matter, the group appeared directly at the seabed. Yet after searching thoroughly, they still found nothing. Eventually, their gazes all fell upon Lin Fan. Husband, it seems there is a hidden barrier here. We'll have to rely on you. Lin Fan possessed the reincarnation divine eyes, which could see through all things. Thus, even a barrier could not evade his gaze. Without delay, he activated his reincarnation divine eyes. Soon Lin Fan detected the anomaly. Found it. Follow me, everyone. Hearing this, they all beamed with joy. They quickly followed Lin Fan's steps. A moment later, Lin Fan halted at a certain spot and threw a punch toward a particular location. With a resounding boom, a flash of golden light appeared. Seeing this radiance, they knew they had found the right place. Then Hu Mei grew eager. Husband, let me shatter this barrier. Wait. Lin Fan stopped her quickly. Mayor, we are still unsure what lies within. If you shatter it abruptly, we might incur a great loss. Hu Mei recognized the logic in his words and had no choice but to desist. Since they could not resort to brute force, they had to find a way to break it. Unfortunately, they were completely clueless about barrier breaking. Thus the task fell upon Lin Fan. For him, however, dismantling this barrier was a trivial matter. With his reincarnation divine eyes, he was naturally able to see through such things. Lin Fan could be said to be the bane of formation masters, even though he himself was one. Under the gaze of his reincarnation divine eyes, he quickly found a way to enter the barrier. Seeing Lin Fan withdraw his reincarnation divine eyes, everyone looked at him expectantly. Lin Fan smiled faintly. It's resolved. Husband is truly formidable. Hearing their praises, Lin Fan felt a swell of pride. But he knew the real task remained. With a few deft manipulations, Lin Fan easily opened the barrier. As the entrance appeared, Lin Fan strode in first. The others quickly followed. Upon entering, they immediately sensed the rich concentration of vital energy within, rivaling even the cultivation caves of the ancient imperial clan patriarchs. This was hardly surprising. After hundreds of thousands of years of accumulation, such a density of vital energy was only natural. However, their attention soon shifted to a small tree about 3 meters tall. As they perceived the Tao resonance emanating from the small tree, their souls felt an indescribable comfort and bliss. Coming to her senses, Hu Mei grabbed Lin Fan's arm excitedly. Husband, could this small tree be the supreme Emperor-grade Tao Enlightenment Tea Tree? Lin Fan, also delighted, nodded. Indeed, it is the Tao Enlightenment Tea Tree. To think we encountered such a precious treasure. With this confirmation, everyone burst into cheers. Who would have thought that a simple journey would yield such a priceless treasure? Had they not returned this time, this Tao Enlightenment Tea Tree would have remained buried here. No wonder the vital energy of the 100 Kingdoms region was so thin. The growth of the Tao Enlightenment Tea Tree requires a vast amount of vital energy. Over 500,000 years it had only grown to this size. It could be said to be malnourished. Although the Tao Enlightenment Tea Tree does not grow into a towering giant like other emperor-grade spiritual fruit trees. A mature specimen can reach up to 10 meters in height. Yet this one, after more than 500 millennia, stood barely over 3 meters. Truly pitiful. It could only be said that this place was too barren. It was already a miracle that the Tao Enlightenment Tea Tree had managed to grow at all. Meeting me is your fortune. Let me relocate you to a better place. Subsequently, under Lin Fan's manipulation, the Enlightenment Tea Tree was swiftly transplanted to the divine firmament realm positioned not far from the clan's sacred tree. As soon as the transplantation was complete, the Enlightenment Tea Tree seemed to sense the change in its environment and began to voraciously absorb the primordial energy of the divine firmament realm. Sensing the transformation of the Enlightenment Tea Tree, Lin Fan withdrew his divine sense. Seeing the successful transplantation, Hu Mei and the others revealed expressions of delight and surprise. Husband, we've struck it rich this time. With the Enlightenment Tea Tree, our future cultivation will be far smoother. This harvest is indeed remarkable. Lin Fan was exceedingly fond of such a heavenly spiritual root as the Enlightenment Tea Tree. All right, we've obtained the treasure. It's time to leave this place. Saying this, Lin Fan led everyone away from the seabed. When they reappeared, they had arrived at the very first stop after Lin Fan had left the Chu State's Lin clan, the Myriad Elephant City. To avoid being constantly stared at by passers-by on the street, Lin Fan employed a minor trick, causing the pedestrians to completely ignore their presence. Hu Mei sensed her surroundings and found it to be merely a small city, a hint of confusion emerging on her face. Husband, why are we visiting this little city? Before Lin Fan could respond, Luo Yiran began to explain. Sister Hu, it was here that our Lin clan was established. And it was also here that I first met your husband. Then Luo Yiran recounted the tales of the past to everyone. After finishing the brief narration, a look of nostalgia flickered in her eyes. After listening to Luo Yiran's account, Hu Mei and the others showed expressions of sudden comprehension. I never imagined our Lin clan grew from such a small city. It's truly incredible. If news of this spread to the outside world, who knows how many would be astonished. Of course it would. Husband is the most formidable of all. Luo Yiran said, her face full of admiration. Thus, as they strolled and chatted, they inadvertently passed by the entrance of the 100 Flowers Pavilion. Seeing this, Lin Fan decided to revisit the old place. He then instructed Luo Yiran. Yiran, continue showing everyone around. I'll go check the 100 Flowers Pavilion. After all, it was the 100 Flowers Pavilion. It would be inappropriate to bring them along. Subsequently, Lin Fan entered the 100 Flowers Pavilion alone. Oh, what a rare guest. Isn't this the clan head Lin? After all these years, the clan head Lin finally remembers our humble establishment. I've been waiting for so long. The sharp-eyed Xionyang recognized Lin Fan the moment he stepped inside. She then approached Lin Fan with a flattering smile, greeting him warmly. As a cultivator, Xionyang's memory was naturally impeccable. Moreover, in business, remembering customers was fundamental. Especially a valued client like Lin Fan, whom she could never forget. I didn't expect you to remember me after all these years of absence. That's quite surprising. Clan head Lin, what are you saying? You are a distinguished guest of our 100 Flowers Pavilion. How could I possibly forget you? Might I ask if you've come today to purchase some maidens? What, can't I just drop by for a cup of tea? Lin Fan asked with a chuckle. For anyone else, it would be out of the question. But for you, clan head Lin, it's no problem at all. With that, Xionyang immediately ordered tea to be prepared. A client like Lin Fan had to be well attended to. Even if he didn't buy today, it didn't mean he wouldn't buy next time. Xionyang, could you summon your pavilion master? I have matters to discuss with her. Of course, no problem at all. Though she wondered what Lin Fan wanted to talk about with the pavilion master, she agreed after a brief thought. By the way, clan head Lin, would you like to accompany me to a private room first? Very well. This bustling place was indeed not suitable for conversation. After leading Lin Fan to a private room, Xionyang quickly went to find their pavilion master. Greetings, pavilion master. Xionyang, why are you not attending to business outside? What brings you here? Pavilion master, the former clan head of the Lin family, has arrived and wishes to see you. The pavilion master was momentarily taken aback, then quickly recalled who this clan head Lin was. However, she did not immediately agree. Instead, she turned respectfully toward the woman beside her. This woman was the young mistress of their 100 Flowers Pavilion, who happened to be visiting this branch. Young mistress, please excuse me for a moment. This clan head Lin is a major client of our 100 Flowers Pavilion. Since he wishes to see me, I must go and meet him personally. The young mistress was startled for a moment, but soon responded. Since he is a major client, I shall accompany you to have a look. Young mistress, wouldn't that be inappropriate? The pavilion master said hesitantly. It's fine, I'll just observe. He won't know my identity. Her decision to accompany the pavilion master was piqued by Lin Fan's identity as the Lin clan head. Over the years, the Lin clan had attained an unparalleled status in the Hundred Kingdoms region. It was a name known to all without exception. She had naturally heard the legends of the Lin clan. Of course, she did not believe that the Lin clan head before her was the same Lin clan from the tales. Nevertheless, since she had nothing else to do, a look wouldn't hurt. Seeing her insistence, the pavilion master no longer declined. Following Xionyang, they made their way to the private room. At that moment, Lin Fan was seated gracefully inside sipping tea. The moment they laid eyes on Lin Fan, an inexplicable sense of restraint washed over them. The noble aura emanating from Lin Fan made them feel somewhat inferior. At this moment, the young mistress of the Hundred Flowers Pavilion was internally astir. Aside from the Lin clan, the Hundred Flowers Pavilion was a transcendent force in the Hundred Kingdoms region. Yet someone could make her feel this way. Could this person truly be the legendary Lin clan head? Otherwise, how else could this be explained? The pavilion master was unaware of the young mistress's inner turmoil. Composing herself, she greeted Lin Fan with a smile. Clan head Lin, I am the pavilion master here. I heard you wish to see me. May I ask what business you have? Let's sit down first. I do have some matters to discuss. At his words, the two sat down opposite Lin Fan. They did not speak, instead quietly waiting for Lin Fan to continue. Clearly Lin Fan had come with a purpose. Pavilion master of the 100 Flowers, can you contact the higher-ups of your headquarters? I need someone who has the authority to make decisions. Upon hearing this, the pavilion master instinctively glanced at the young mistress beside her. As the young mistress of the 100 Flowers Pavilion and the next successor, she naturally had the authority. The young mistress of the 100 Flowers Pavilion, the next heir, naturally had the power to make decisions. Lin Fan noticed her actions and also perceived the respect she held for this woman. Clearly this woman occupied a high position within Baiwa Lu. With a mere thought, information about the woman appeared in Lin Fan's mind. Name Yan Qingying. Age 56. Aptitude Emperor Great Supreme. Constitution Supreme, In Sacred Body. Realm Early Divine Ability. Identity Young Master of Baiwa Lu. After reviewing her information, Lin Fan was startled. He never expected that such a peerless genius could emerge from the Hundred Kingdoms territory. Although Lin Fan was surprised inwardly, he showed nothing on his face. Yan Qingying noticed that Lin Fan seemed to have important matters to discuss, so she proactively introduced herself. Master Lin, I am Yan Qingying, young master of Baiwa Lu. If there is something important to discuss, please feel free to tell me. So you are the young master of Baiwa Lu. Lin Fan pretended to be surprised. Master Lin, please forgive my modesty. I suppose my status means little to someone of your standing, does it? Upon hearing Yan Qingying's words, the branch manager beside them showed a shocked expression. There Baiwa Lu ranked among the top 3 in strength within the 100 Kingdoms. If Baiwa Lu meant nothing, then who exactly was this Master Lin? Wait, is the Lin family head? From that Lin family. The very thought made the branch manager's breathing quicken. Everyone in the 100 Kingdoms knew the Lin family was the most powerful force in the region. Yet no one truly knew the extent of their strength. Any faction that crossed the Lin family was utterly annihilated without exception. Yan Qingying paid no mind to her thoughts. Her gaze was fixed intently on Lin Fan. Master Lin, if my guess is correct, you must be the head of that Lin family. Lin Fan understood her meaning, but smiled and replied, Miss Yan, what do you mean by that? I am indeed the head of the Lin family. Master Lin, I believe you understand what I mean. I refer to the Lin family, the premier power in the 100 Kingdoms. I suppose so. I am not entirely certain our family has risen to the top. Hearing Lin Fan's words, Yan Qingying felt an urge to strike him. Yet her guess proved correct. This man before her truly was that very Lin family head. Many faction leaders across the 100 Kingdoms had sought to curry favor with him, but found no opportunity. Never did she expect to encounter him simply during her travels. My luck must be unusually fortunate. The thought filled Yan Qingying with quiet delight. Miss Yan, why are you smiling? Lin Fan asked, puzzled. Nothing at all. I merely thought of something pleasant. With that, Yan Qingying composed herself and continued. Master Lin, didn't you mention having important matters to discuss? What were they, Oi? Miss Yan, I wish for your Baiwa Lu to submit to our Lin family. What? Yan Qingying's eyes widened in astonishment. She never expected Lin Fan to make such a demand. Yan Qingying steadied her emotions and looked at Lin Fan with a grave expression. Master Lin, surely you are not joking. Lin Fan shook his head with a smile. I never joke. By the way, this opportunity comes only once. You should consider carefully, or you may consult with others before making your decision. If you refuse, simply forget I ever said it. Seeing that Lin Fan was serious, Yan Qingying's expression turned solemn. Master Lin, I truly cannot make a decision of such magnitude on my own. But I wish to confirm something. If our Baiwa Lu refuses, will your Lin family take action against us? This question was of great importance to her. She was certain that Baiwa Lu stood no match against the Lin family. Should the Lin family truly intend to strike, Baiwa Lu would cease to exist. Lin Fan noticed her concern and waved his hand with a smile. You need not worry on this account. Our Lin family does not bully the weak. As long as none provoke us, we will not act against any faction. Were other factions to hear these words from Lin Fan, one wonders what they would think. Lin Haochen and his associates had already annihilated numerous powers during this period. Even if they knew the truth, Lin Fan would likely deny any direct involvement, since it was not his family who carried out those actions. Seeing that Lin Fan would not attack Baiwa Lu, Yan Qingying breathed a sigh of relief. Master Lin, please give me 2 days' time. I need to discuss this matter with my master, and will give you my answer then. Very well. I shall remain here for 2 days. If no reply is received after 2 days, I will depart. Having said this, Lin Fan stood up preparing to leave. Upon seeing this, Yan Qingying instructed the branch manager, see Master Lin out. Yes. After Lin Fan had departed, Yan Qingying immediately took out a communication jade slip and recounted everything that had transpired in detail. Soon she received a reply from her master. Is the news you sent reliable? Does the Lin family truly intend to subjugate our Baiwa Lu? To be honest, she found it hard to believe when she read Yan Qingying's message. The Lin family was perfectly fine. Why would they want to take over their Baiwa Lu? Through her investigations into the Lin family, she had discovered their depth to be unfathomable. In the Lin family's eyes, their Baiwa Lu was scarcely worth mentioning. Soon Yan Qingying's message arrived once more. Master, this came directly from the Lin family head himself. There is no mistake. Have you verified his identity? Master, I believe no one in the 100 Kingdoms would dare impersonate his identity. Hearing Yan Qingying's words, her master found the reasoning sound. By the way, Master, as you know my cultivation level, yet when I faced him, I felt an overwhelming sense of powerlessness. Though I cannot discern his true cultivation realm, the fact that he inspires such a feeling indicates his strength far exceeds our imagination. Certainly someone at the divine ability realm could not produce such an effect. And in the entire 100 Kingdoms, only the Lin family head could possess such power. Based on your analysis, he is undoubtedly that Lin family head. Then Master, should we submit to the Lin family? He mentioned he would give us only one chance. I see no issue on my part. Submitting to the Lin family would bring countless benefits to our Baiwa Lu with not a single drawback. However, I must report this matter to the Supreme Elder. I will give you an answer tomorrow. With that, the two ended their conversation. Since Master has no objections, the Supreme Elder should pose no significant issues. Though she already had an answer in her heart, she did not immediately seek out Lin Fan. Although she was highly confident the Supreme Elder would agree, she chose to proceed, cautiously erring on the side of prudence. After departing from Baiwa Pavilion, Fan Lin returned alone to the estate he once called home. Protected by a formation array, it was periodically attended to by servants kept on rotation. Thanks to the protective arrays and regular upkeep, the estate had not fallen into disrepair and remained much as it had always been. Before long, Hu Mei and the others also arrived at the estate one after another. Noticing Fan Lin sitting there sipping tea, Yi Liuli teased him with a smile. My dear husband, did your trip to Baiwa Pavilion yield any gains? At that moment, the others also turned their curious gaze toward Fan Lin. Believe it or not, I actually did find something worthwhile at Baiwa Pavilion. Fan Lin said with a broad smile. Oh, and what might that be? The group asked, their expressions filled with astonishment. In a remote place like this, the emergence of someone with heaven-grade aptitude was already considered outstanding. If Fan Lin claimed there was something worth noting, it meant the person might very well possess imperial-grade aptitude. For the Lin family of the present era, saint-grade cultivation talent was merely considered decent. Noticing everyone's keen curiosity, Fan Lin recounted the events at Baiwa Pavilion in full. After hearing the story, everyone was utterly dumbfounded. Hubby, your luck is truly extraordinary. Just by taking a casual look, you discovered a Taiyan's sacred body. By the way, did you take over Baiwa Pavilion solely because of this Yan Qingying? They still found it hard to understand why Fan Lin had chosen to subdue Baiwa Pavilion. After all, a faction like Baiwa Pavilion was hardly worth a second glance to them. Their strongest member had only reached the peak of the divine ability realm, a completely unimpressive feat. Seeing that everyone had misunderstood his intentions, Fan Lin could only sigh wryly. You are overthinking this. I simply believe that Baiwa Pavilion's operations are well managed, and in the future they can assist our Lin family in gathering talented individuals. However, their current business endeavors are no longer necessary. I only need Baiwa Pavilion to help us recruit talent. Fan Lin had no interest in the meager profits Baiwa Pavilion earned. Upon hearing Fan Lin's plan, everyone readily agreed. While Baiwa Pavilion's combat strength was indeed lacking, they were undoubtedly professionals when it came to discovering talented individuals. Should the Lin family come to have such a faction under its banner, it would certainly serve as a valuable asset. As for Baiwa Pavilion's strength concerns, there was equally no need to worry. They could simply dispatch some saints to take residence there. Those powerful members of the Fox clan happened to have nothing pressing to occupy them, making them perfectly suited to oversee Baiwa Pavilion. Meanwhile, Yan Qingying soon received a reply from her master. Baiwa Pavilion had agreed to pledge allegiance to the Lin family. At the same time, her master and the Supreme Elder were already on their way. Given the magnitude of this matter, they needed to witness it with their own eyes to feel at ease. Although they doubted anyone would dare impersonate the Lin family patriarch, still it is always better to be safe than sorry. If someone truly were recklessly foolish, they might actually attempt such an audacious act. Therefore, they had to come personally to ensure everything was in order. Fortunately, they were not too far from this location and could arrive within the time frame Fan Lin had set. Before long, 2 days had passed. Yan Qingying's master and the Supreme Elder finally arrived at Wanxiang City. Greetings, master. Greetings, Supreme Elder. Upon seeing this, the Supreme Elder immediately helped her to her feet. Yinger, no need for such formalities. Quickly lead us to meet Lord Lin. We must not keep him waiting. Yan Qingying understood the gravity of this matter and knew this was hardly the time for catching up on old times. Master Supreme Elder, I will take you to Lord Lin's residence right away. Shortly thereafter, the 3 of them arrived outside the estate. Just as they were about to push open the door, they discovered the entire compound was guarded by an extraordinarily powerful defensive formation. Upon seeing this formation, they could already confirm that the Lin family patriarch resided within. After all, a formation capable of protecting an estate was remarkable on its own merits. Though they did not know its exact rank, it undoubtedly surpassed every formation they had ever encountered. This formation was far beyond their ability to breach. Fortunately, it was purely a defensive array and would not launch automatic attacks. Had it been a lethal formation, their hasty attempt to push the door open would have cost them their lives without so much as a burial. Thinking of this, all 3 felt a chill of lingering fear. Inside the estate, Fan Lin remained seated, leisurely sipping his tea. As for Hu Mei and the others, they had stayed behind within the Xinxiao realm and had not accompanied them. Accompanying Fan Lin were Meng Qinyu and a few other maidservants. At that very moment, Fan Lin sensed ripples in the formation. If anyone were to arrive here at this hour, it must be Yan Qingying. With this thought, Fan Lin extended his perception, gaining a clear view of everything beyond the main gate. Having confirmed it was indeed Yan Qingying, a faint smile graced Fan Lin's lips. At the same time, he took a careful look at the 2 individuals flanking her. Detecting that both were at the divine ability realm, he concluded they must be high-ranking figures from Baiwa Pavilion. Without hesitation, Fan Lin deactivated the formation. Come in. Fan Lin's voice rang directly into the ears of Yan Qingying and the other 2. Hearing his voice, the 3 did not hesitate for a moment and pushed open the door to enter. Soon the trio found themselves before Fan Lin. We pay our respects to Lord Lin, they said, bowing deeply in reverence. There is no need for such ceremony. Please have a seat and speak freely. Also introduce yourselves. Lord Lin, I am Qingzhu, the Supreme Elder of Baiwa Pavilion, having reached the peak of the divine ability realm. I am Huaying, the mistress of Baiwa Pavilion, currently at the middle stage of the divine ability realm. Upon hearing their identities, Fan Lin was not at all surprised. Since you are the mistress and Supreme Elder of Baiwa Pavilion, what do you think of my earlier proposal? Upon hearing this question, the 3 immediately knelt to the ground. Our Baiwa Pavilion is willing to place ourselves at your lordship's disposal. Excellent. Rise. Seeing that they had chosen to submit without raising any conditions, Fan Lin was greatly pleased. Once they had risen, Fan Lin continued, You have made a wise decision. By joining our Lin family, you will never regret it. I shall not dwell on unnecessary matters. Let me first offer you a tangible benefit. With that, 3 jade vials appeared in Fan Lin's hand, which he then distributed among them. Before they could even inquire, Fan Lin began his explanation. Qingzhu, what I am giving you is a heaven-grade supreme pill known as the Venerable Break Pill. With this pill, you will have everything you need to break through to the supreme venerable realm. Overcome with emotion upon learning that Fan Lin had given her such a priceless treasure, Qingzhu trembled. She had been trapped at the peak of the divine ability realm for many years, unable to find any path toward breakthrough no matter what she tried. She never expected Fan Lin to gift her with such a profound surprise. What astonished her most was that Fan Lin had offered such a miraculous pill so casually. This alone revealed just how immensely powerful the Lin family truly was. At the very least, the supreme venerable realm was nothing remarkable within their ranks. Even the women before her radiated an overwhelming pressure. This was sufficient proof that their cultivation lay well above the venerable realm. More importantly, these women before her appeared to be nothing more than Fan Lin's personal maidservants. If even his attendants possessed such terrifying strength, then Lord Lin himself must almost certainly be above the venerable realm. Above the venerable realm lies the quasi-saint stage. The thought that Fan Lin might be a quasi-saint powerhouse sent a jolt through Qingzhu's heart. If that were truly the case, then Baiwa Pavilion's decision to place itself under his protection would be the greatest stroke of fortune imaginable. After piecing these matters together, she immediately bowed to Lin Fan and expressed her gratitude. Qingzhu thanks the sect leader for bestowing this pill. Lin Fan waved his hand, signaling her to dispense with formalities. Next, Lin Fan turned his gaze toward Huaying. Huaying's face was alight with excitement and anticipation. Although her pill might not rival that of the Grand Elder, it would doubtlessly be no less remarkable. She was brimming with eager expectation for the pill clutched in her hands. Huaying, you have only recently broken through to the mid-stage of the divine ability realm, so I have granted you a heaven-grade top-tier pulse-nourishing pill. Upon ingestion, it will aid you in stabilizing your cultivation realm. Hearing of the effects of the pulse-nourishing pill, Huaying was overcome with joy. This pill was perfectly suited to her needs. She immediately bowed to Lin Fan. Huaying thanks the sect leader for bestowing this pill. Lin Fan nodded and finally directed his gaze toward Yan Qingying. Observing this, Yan Qingying awaited his next words with a reverent demeanor. The pill I am giving you is a heaven-grade supreme meridian-nourishing pill. What? A heaven-grade supreme pill? Yan Qingying could not help but exclaim. After all, the pill bestowed upon the Grand Elder was merely a heaven-grade top-tier specimen. Yet the pill given to her had reached the pinnacle of heaven-grade. A pill of such caliber was beyond her fondest dreams. In the 100 Nations land, no such grade of pill existed. Even Qingzhu and Huaying wore expressions of astonishment. It was not envy that their gifts were inferior that stirred their shock, but rather that Lin Fan could so casually bestow a heaven-grade supreme pill upon another. This deepened their understanding of the Lin family's might. A heaven-grade supreme pill corresponded to a Saint Realm expert. They had previously believed the Lin family's utmost limit was the quasi-Saint Realm, but now it seemed even a Saint Realm powerhouse might reside among them. After mulling over these thoughts, they found themselves questioning whether they were dreaming. Lin Fan cared little for their reflections. The reason he gave Yan Qingying the meridian-nourishing pill was simply that she required it. Miss Yin, you broke through to the divine ability realm with excessive haste. Although your meridians were not damaged, there remains some lingering effect. With this meridian-nourishing pill, your meridians will fully recover to their original state. It was precisely because Yan Qingying possessed the Ta-Yin sacred body that no lasting harm resulted. Had anyone else attempted such a reckless breakthrough, their meridians would undoubtedly have been severed entirely. Lin Fan had never anticipated that Yan Qingying would be so reckless in her pursuit of the divine ability realm. Upon learning that her breakthrough had nearly damaged her meridians, Qingzhu and Huaying were both struck with apprehension. This revelation gave them considerable fright. Had Lin Fan not pointed it out, they would never have discovered this perilous truth. Yinger, such a dangerous situation occurred, and yet you did not tell us. When Yan Qingying had informed them of her breakthrough, they had all been consumed with excitement. Moreover, they had detected no abnormalities in her, so the thought had never crossed their minds. They could never have imagined her breakthrough to be so perilous. Gazing at her master and Grand Elder, whose faces were etched with concern, Yan Qingying felt a pang of guilt. Master Elder, isn't everything fine now? If I had spoken of it, you would both have worried terribly. You? What are we to make of you? The two had placed tremendous expectations upon their disciple, Yan Qingying. Breaking through to the divine ability realm at over 50 years of age among her peers across the entire 100 Nations land, Yan Qingying was unquestionably the foremost. Enough, Yinger. We shall discuss this matter later. Stop standing there foolishly. Quickly express your gratitude to the sect leader. Seeing Yan Qingying preparing to bow, Lin Fan directly reached out to stop her. That suffices, no need for further pleasantries. In the future, simply serve our Lin family diligently. Hearing this, Yan Qingying promptly declared, sect leader, rest assured. Qingying shall spare no effort in serving the Lin family henceforth, and will never betray your trust. Sect leader, we pledge the same. Qingzhu and Huaying both turned to Lin Fan with their vows. Excellent. I expect you to honor your words. With that said, Lin Fan gestured for them to take their seats. Next, I have a mission to entrust to your Baiwa Pavilion. Indeed, it shall be your pavilion's primary responsibility. Upon hearing this, all three grew solemn. We await your command, sect leader. From this day forward, all members of Baiwa Pavilion shall remain here. Our Lin family lacks neither resources nor spirit stones. Your Baiwa Pavilion's duty is to help our Lin family scour various regions for children with exceptional talent for cultivation. Their aptitude must reach at least heaven grade. Upon hearing that the aptitude requirement must reach heaven grade, all three widened their eyes in astonishment. Such a demand was extraordinarily demanding. After a moment, Huaying displayed a troubled expression. Sect leader, is this requirement too high? Heaven grade aptitude is remarkably difficult to come by. Lin Fan waved his hand. There is no need for you to worry about this. Indeed, heaven grade aptitude is exceedingly rare within the 100 Nations land. But beyond the Million Mountain range upon the Xiantian continent, or even other continents, it would be far more accessible. Beyond the Million Mountain range. Qingzhu exclaimed in surprise. Precisely, beyond the Million Mountain range. Lin Fan nodded with certainty. That is where our true battleground lies. Of course, with your strength, sect leader, how could the 100 Nations land ever hope to confine you? With that, Qingzhu's face revealed a look of yearning. With her cultivation at the peak of the divine ability realm, she could have crossed the Million Mountain range to witness the outside world. Yet she could not bring herself to abandon Baiwa Pavilion. If she departed, others might covet their Baiwa Pavilion. Now that they had submitted to the Lin family, she could indeed venture forth to behold the wider world. However, soon Qingzhu's expression shifted to one of concern once more. Sect leader, with the strength of our Baiwa pavilion, it would be exceedingly difficult to establish ourselves there. Although she had never visited that region, she was well aware that it teemed with countless experts. The modest power of their Baiwa pavilion would be utterly insufficient there. Do not trouble yourself over matters of strength. I shall arrange for powerful experts to garrison there on your behalf. If there are any other concerns, voice them now, and I shall resolve them all at once. Seeing that Lin Fan had already made such arrangements, Qingzhu immediately shook her head. There are no other concerns. As long as powerful experts are stationed there, we can manage all remaining matters. However, I wish for Yinger to remain by your side, sect leader. Her talent is extraordinary. Staying with us would cause it to go to waste. This was an opportunity to align herself with a mighty patron, and she naturally did not wish for Yan Qingyin to miss it. Although their Baiwa pavilion had pledged allegiance to the Lin family, they remained merely a subordinate force. Only by keeping Yan Qingyin at Lin Fan's side could she receive the Lin family's vigorous cultivation support. As for Yan Qingyin's true talent, they were genuinely unaware. By their means they could only measure up to sacred grade supreme aptitude. Anything beyond that lay completely beyond their capacity to detect. Thus in their eyes, Yan Qingyin possessed merely sacred grade supreme cultivation aptitude. Lin Fan never expected Qingzhu to make such a request. Qingzhu having Yan Qingyin accompany me is naturally no issue, but I wonder how she feels about it. As he spoke, Lin Fan turned his gaze toward Yan Qingyin. Fearing she might refuse, Huang immediately urged, Yinger, you must heed the Supreme Elder's words on this matter. With your talent, we are simply incapable of teaching you. Only by staying by the Patriarch's side can you grow swiftly. Moreover, our 100 Flowers Pavilion has already pledged allegiance to the Patriarch. It is only right that you accompany him. Having no intention of refusing, and with her masters urging, Yan Qingyin was even less inclined to decline. Patriarch Qingyin is willing to stay by your side. Seeing her agreement, Lin Fan summoned Meng Qinyu. Qingyin, this is Meng Qinyu, whose cultivation is at the Venerable Realm. From now on you may consult her on anything you do not understand. Although they had previously guessed that Meng Qinyu's strength was formidable, at least at the Venerable Realm or above. Hearing Lin Fan's introduction, the three women were still astonished. Yan Qingyin did not hesitate as she immediately smiled and extended goodwill to Meng Qinyu. Sister Qinyu, I hope you will guide me in the future. Seeing Yan Qingyin's courtesy, Meng Qinyu also broke into a smile. Sister Qingyin is too kind. We are all serving the young master. We ought to help each other. Qingzhu and Huang were relieved to see Yan Qingyin quickly establish a good rapport with Meng Qinyu. Then Qingzhu turned to Lin Fan again. Patriarch, there are matters we need to attend to back home. May I ask when we will leave the 100 Kingdoms? Since Lin Fan had said he would take them away from the 100 Kingdoms, he certainly would not linger here long. Thus they needed to confirm the timing. I will probably stay in the 100 Kingdoms for about 10 days. Try to settle your affairs within this period. Lin Fan planned to spend these 10 days touring the 100 Kingdoms with Mei and the others. Even he himself had many places within the 100 Kingdoms territory that he had never visited. He intended to take the opportunity to explore thoroughly. Patriarch, 10 days is enough. But I am concerned that if all three of us leave the 100 Kingdoms, other factions might trouble the 100 Flowers Pavilion. The 100 Flowers Pavilion had offended quite a few factions due to its unyielding stance. Previously, with the Supreme Elder's strength to deter them, those factions dared not act rashly. However, if the three of them left together, the situation would be different. Although the 100 Flowers Pavilion still had an elder at the Divine Ability Realm, how could a single Divine Ability Realm practitioner withstand a siege from other forces? Do not worry about the 100 Flowers Pavilion. Since you have pledged allegiance to our Lin family, the pavilion here naturally belongs to the Lin family's forces. You must have heard of the Treasure Pavilion and the Drunken Immortal Pavilion. Qingzhu and Huang nodded repeatedly. With such great reputations and formidable strength, how could they not have heard of these two forces? Both of these are forces built by the Lin family. After you leave with me, I will have them look after the 100 Flowers Pavilion. Hearing that the Treasure Pavilion and the Drunken Immortal Pavilion belonged to the Lin family, they were not shocked. In fact, the top factions in the 100 Kingdoms had already guessed as much. Only the Lin family could have created such behemoths in such a short time. Now with these two forces to assist, she had nothing to worry about. Then the two women took their leave of Lin Fan. Before departing, they specifically instructed Yan Qingyin to obey Lin Fan. Yan Qingyin naturally agreed wholeheartedly to their requests. After Huang and Qingzhu left, the mansion grew quiet. A moment later, Lin Fan gestured to Yan Qingyin, who was chatting with Meng Qinyu nearby. Seeing this, Yan Qingyin hurried over. Patriarch, do you have any instructions? Nothing serious, just wanted to chat. Without waiting for her reply, Lin Fan continued. Qingyin, do you know the specifics of your talent? Patriarch, when I was tested it showed Sage Class Supreme Aptitude. Yan Qingyin answered truthfully. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. The reason you tested as Sage Class Supreme is that this is the highest level your test could measure. It does not mean your talent is only Sage Class Supreme. Hearing this, Yan Qingyin was astonished. But soon excitement surged within her. Patriarch, do you mean my talent surpasses Sage Class Supreme? Indeed, your talent far exceeds Sage Class Supreme. It is Emperor Class Supreme aptitude. Emperor Class Supreme. Yan Qingying exclaimed, her voice trembling. She had thought that possessing Sage Class Supreme aptitude was already heaven's blessing, but she never expected her talent to be Emperor Class Supreme. Before she could calm down, Lin Fan continued, in addition to your Emperor Class aptitude, you also possess a special physique. I have a special physique. Yan Qingying was even more agitated now. Patriarch, may I ask if my special physique is a spirit body or a divine body? She dared not even think of a saint body. Your special physique is neither a spirit body nor a divine body. It is the Taiyin saint body. Taiyin saint body. Yan Qingying was so stunned she could barely speak. How could she have imagined that her cultivation talent was so terrifying? If not for your saint body, the last time you attempted to break through to the divine ability realm, you would have suffered a complete meridian's rupture. So that's it. No wonder when I felt I was about to fail to break through, a mysterious force surged from within me and helped me succeed. My saint body saved me. Thinking back, Yan Qingying felt a lingering fear. If she had failed that breakthrough, she would have either died or suffered ruptured meridians. You reckless girl, forcing a breakthrough before your cultivation had reached its peak. You were courting death. Hearing Lin Fan's scolding, Yan Qingying showed an embarrassed expression. Her previous breakthroughs had been smooth sailing, so she had become a bit carried away. But after that incident, she learned her lesson and would never do such a thing again. By the way, Qingying, who are your parents? With talent like yours, they must be extraordinary. When Lin Fan asked about her parents, Yan Qingying frowned. Patriarch, I actually do not know who my parents are. When my master found me, I was in a dense forest, newly born. The only clue I had was a bloodstained jade pendant on me. Hearing about the bloodstained jade pendant, Lin Fan frowned. Perhaps Yan Qingying's parents had encountered some enemies. Qingying, do you have that jade pendant with you? I have it. As she spoke, Yan Qingying took out a jade pendant from her storage ring. Lin Fan took the pendant and examined it, discovering that it was no ordinary item. It was crafted from Saint-Grade Supreme Spirit Calming Jade. It had the effect of stabilizing the mind and concentrating spiritual energy. Using such precious jade to craft an identity token suggested that Yan Qingying's family background was far from simple. It might even be an imperial-level clan. But he had never heard of the Lin family as an imperial-level power in the Xintian continent. Once I return to the Xinxiao realm, I will perform a divination for her to see if I can find any clues. With that thought, Lin Fan immediately said, Qingying, I need to study this jade pendant to see if I can find your family. Hearing this, Yan Qingying was overjoyed. Qingying thanks the clan leader. Yan Qingying naturally wanted to find her family, and the 100 Flowers Pavilion had been inquiring about this matter all these years. Unfortunately, they had found no clues at all. Now that Lin Fan was willing to help search, perhaps he could really find them. Qingying, don't rush to thank me yet. Maybe the outcome won't be as optimistic as you imagine. Yan Qingying was not foolish, she naturally understood what Lin Fan meant. Given her situation at the time, her family had most likely encountered danger. Otherwise, they wouldn't have abandoned her in the deep mountains and forests. That bloodstained jade pendant of hers was the best proof. Clan leader, I have actually considered this outcome long ago, but I still want to know who my family really is. If they were killed once I become strong in the future, I will definitely avenge them. The reason she was so eager to break through was partly due to this. Seeing that Yan Qingying was mentally prepared, Lin Fan said no more. Time quickly arrived at late night, and Lin Fan was already standing beneath the clan's divine tree. Now that Yan Qingying was his person, he naturally had to uncover the mystery of her origins. If Yan Qingying's family had truly met with misfortune, he would not stand idly by. Without hesitation, Lin Fan took out the Qianyuan immortal diagram and began to divine Yan Qingying's origins. Soon the scene of Yan Qingying appearing in the deep mountains and forests emerged in his mind. Is this a spatial rift? Lin Fan was somewhat surprised at the sight before him, because he saw that Yan Qingying had emerged from a spatial rift. The ability to tear space could only be achieved by a great emperor personally taking action or by using an imperial extreme weapon. Either way, this matter was extraordinary. There was a high probability that two imperial-level powers had engaged in a great battle. Lin Fan did not pause and continued his divination. Soon he witnessed an earth-shattering battle. Just as he had thought, two imperial-level powers were indeed at war. Although there were no great emperors, both sides had deployed imperial extreme weapons, and the leaders were all quasi-emperor 9th-level experts. In the end, neither side gained any advantage, and both suffered heavy casualties. As for Yan Qingying, at the critical moment, the Lin family ancestor used an imperial extreme weapon to open a spatial rift and send her through. In truth, even the Lin family ancestor himself did not know where she would end up. Spatial rifts were full of uncertainty, and temporal storms would occasionally appear within them. If one encountered them, they would be directly devoured by the temporal storm. Not to mention an infant. Even a great emperor could not withstand the grinding of the temporal storm. But there was no choice. To preserve the Lin family's bloodline, he could only gamble. Because he was uncertain whether the Lin family could survive the war with another imperial-level power. However, the spatial rift could only send one person through, otherwise the danger would be even greater. Thus, Yan Qingying was naturally the best choice. She not only possessed imperial-grade supreme cultivation talent, but also the insane physique. Combined, as long as she survived, she would surely become an overlord of a region in the future. With enough fortune, she could even become a great emperor. So the Yin family ancestor had no choice but to take the risk. After understanding the reasons, Lin Fan stopped the divination. Currently, the Yin family still existed, and even Yan Qingying's parents were still alive. Her father was the Yin family's clan leader. However, after that great battle, the Yin family's vitality was severely damaged. Now they could only huddle within their own clan-protecting grand formation, not daring to venture out. There was no choice. The imperial extreme weapon had already been awakened once, and it would take many years to awaken it again. If another imperial-level power attacked them at this time, they would have no means to fight back. Having understood the reasons, Lin Fan ceased his divination. I never expected such an outcome. Two imperial-level powers fought, and neither gained any benefit. In the end, they only benefited other forces. How lamentable. This Yin family was actually not a power of the Xintian continent, but a power of the Jinggu continent. The Jinggu continent was quite far from the Xintian continent. Even if one piloted a void warship at full speed, it would take about half a year to reach. Because the distance was too great, the Star River Merchant Association had no business in the Jinggu continent. Although he already knew this information, Lin Fan was in no hurry to go there now. With the clan-protecting grand formation in place, the Yin family could hold on for a while. Then Lin Fan put away the Qianyuan immortal diagram and began his cultivation journey. The next morning, Lin Fan returned the jade pendant to Yan Qingying. Yan Qingying did not ask Lin Fan if he had found any clues. It was only a single night. How could there be any clues? However, Lin Fan's next words truly surprised her. Qingying, I have already figured out your identity. So fast. Yan Qingying exclaimed in shock. Seeing this, Meng Qianyu, who was nearby, quickly began to explain. Sister Qingying, don't be surprised. The young master's methods are beyond your imagination. You will come to know the young master's power in the future. Yan Qingying nodded slightly, then gazed fixedly at Lin Fan. She wanted to know if her family was still alive. Lin Fan did not conceal anything and directly told Yan Qingying the results of his divination. Upon learning that she came from an imperial-level power, Yan Qingying was completely stunned. She had never imagined that her origins would be so astonishing. But this also made her shocked by Lin Fan's mystery and power. Such a matter could be investigated in such a short time, even though it happened on another continent. It could be said that Lin Fan was an enigma in her eyes. Seeing Yan Qingying stunned, Lin Fan thought she was sad. So he comforted her. All right, Qingying, don't overthink now. Your family is safe for the time being. If there is an opportunity in the future, I will take you to the Jinggu continent to find your family. Upon hearing that Jiang Fan would soon take her to the Jinggu continent, Yan Qingying's face lit up with excitement. She immediately bowed deeply to him. Thank you, family head. Your kindness is beyond my gratitude. No need for such formality. However, you must focus on your cultivation going forward. The enemies of your Yin family are not ordinary. In response to Jiang Fan's warning, Yan Qingying nodded vigorously. Family head, I will definitely work hard at my cultivation. Good. From now on, if you have any questions, you may consult Qinyu. You must not act recklessly as you did before. Seeing Jiang Fan's seriousness, Yan Qingying nodded obediently, a hint of embarrassment appearing on her face. Back then, she had only been intent on breaking through to the divine ability realm and had given no thought to the consequences. Looking back now, she truly had been somewhat rash. After a brief exchange, Jiang Fan dismissed Yan Qingying. Time flew swiftly, and by the next day, Jiang Fan and his group set out on their journey through the 100 States territory. That morning before departure, Yan Qingying was profoundly shocked upon seeing Hu Mei and the others. However, her astonishment was not due to the many beautiful women surrounding Jiang Fan. As the family head of the Lin family, it was only natural for him to have such accomplished companions by his side. What truly startled her was the formidable aura radiating from Hu Mei and the others, which filled her with dread. Clearly, these women's strength was terrifying, far surpassing that of Meng Qianyu, who had only reached the venerable realm. In other words, these individuals had already transcended the venerable realm. As to how far beyond it lay, that was beyond Yan Qingying's comprehension. Fortunately, everyone treated her with kindness, which was a great relief to her. 9 days passed in this manner, and Jiang Fan and his group finally finished touring the 100 States territory. Along the way, they encountered no troublemakers. Though those idle rich youths enjoyed causing trouble in their daily lives, most of them possessed enough discernment to know when to keep their distance. Jiang Fan's group gave off an unmistakable air of danger, so no one foolishly dared to provoke them. Jiang Fan had originally intended to check whether Lin Haojuan remained in the 100 States territory. Unfortunately, after searching the entire region, he found no sign of him, suggesting he had already departed. However, Jiang Fan did not dwell on this matter. If he wished to see Lin Haojuan, he could summon him to the Shunxiao realm at any time. There was no need to chance an encounter here. On the 10th day, Jiang Fan and his group returned to their residence in Wanxiang City. Qing Zhu and Hua Ying had been waiting there for some time. Seeing Jiang Fan's party return, they hurried forward to pay their respects. Greetings, family head. Greetings to all madams. They were not surprised by the new women among Jiang Fan's companions. Yan Qingying had already informed them of this beforehand. Jiang Fan nodded toward the two of them. Has everything here been taken care of? Family head, all matters have been resolved. Very well. Let us depart at once. With that, Jiang Fan summoned a flying vessel and invited everyone aboard. The flying vessel they now rode was incomparably superior to the one Jiang Fan had used when he first left the 100 States territory. Before long, they had already crossed the Million Mountain Range. Jiang Fan made no stop at Luoxia City in Qian Province this time, but instead arrived at Tianmu City in Song Province. With Zui Xianlu located there, it was ideal for Qing Zhu and Hua Ying to establish themselves, allowing the establishment to be subtly protected in the process. In public, however, their connection to the Lin family could not be revealed. As the three women walked along the main street of Tianmu City, their expressions remained somewhat dazed. The speed of this flying vessel was truly astonishing. It had carried them across the entire Million Mountain Range in such a short time. Jiang Fan paid no mind to their thoughts. He led the group towards Zui Xianlu, and soon a 9-story tavern came into view. The signboard above the entrance bore the 3 grand characters, Zui Xianlu. Upon entering, they discovered the tavern was bustling with customers. Although the first floor was not completely full, the occupancy rate had already reached 80%. The reason for such thriving business was that Zui Xianlu sold drinks of equal quality at lower prices than elsewhere. More importantly, all the ingredients came from the Shunxiao realm, and even the water used for brewing was spiritual water. Thus, whether in price, taste, or quality, it surpassed all competitors. Currently, only wines and spirits below the sacred rank were available for sale. Those of the sacred rank and above were not yet offered to the public. Yet even so, business remained extraordinarily brisk. While Jiang Fan was observing the lively trade, the innkeeper recognized him at a glance. Remembering Jiang Fan's instruction never to expose the relationship between the Lin family and Zui Xianlu, he chose to treat Jiang Fan as an ordinary guest. Honored guests, please come in. Will you be dining or staying the night? With that, the innkeeper flashed a practiced smile. We will do both. Splendid. Given your party size, would you like a private room? Yes, please arrange one for us. Jiang Fan preferred not to have strangers gossiping about them. His entire group naturally drew considerable attention. Therefore, dining in a private room was the best choice. Soon the innkeeper led them to the most luxurious chamber in the tavern. This private room was never open to the general public and was reserved exclusively for members of the Lin family. This was true not only here, but at every Zui Xianlu under their control. Once everyone was settled in the room, the innkeeper immediately bowed before Jiang Fan. Greetings, family head. Greetings to all madams. Rise. Prepare some food, and I shall have matters to discuss with you afterward. Upon hearing that food was requested, the Zui Xianlu innkeeper promptly ordered the kitchen to begin. Within barely 15 minutes, all of Zui Xianlu's signature dishes had been served. Moreover, they had been prepared by a spirit chef of the Earth Grade Supreme level. This particular Zui Xianlu currently had only one chef of such caliber, though there were several mystic grade spirit chefs. In truth, all the spirit chefs here had been trained within the Shunxiao realm. This simple meal alone proved immensely beneficial to Qing Zhu. The food and wine they consumed were hardly ordinary items. For someone at the divine ability realm, such sustenance offered considerable benefit. After finishing their meal and drink, the innkeeper approached Jiang Fan once more and bowed reverently. Family head, may I ask what your instructions are? Let me introduce them to you. This is Qing Zhu and this is Hua Ying. Greetings, innkeeper. No sooner had Jiang Fan made the introductions than the two women smiled and greeted him politely. It is an honor. I am Zhao Hu. Knowing that both women stood close to Jiang Fan, Zhao Hu dared not show the slightest disrespect. Seeing that both parties were already acquainted, Fan Lin turned his gaze toward Zhao Hu. Zhao Hu, I have a task for you. Upon hearing about a mission, Zhao Hu immediately grew serious. I await your orders, clan leader. Next, I will have the two of them establish an orphanage here. Their duty will be to take in homeless orphans who possess cultivation talent. I trust you understand the purpose behind this. Your mission is to secretly provide them with assistance. No outside forces must discover any connection between you and the orphanage. With Drunken Immortal Pavilion now firmly established here, the orphanage could grow rapidly with its covert support. It would not be difficult at all. The reason for renaming it an orphanage was that the name 100 Flowers Pavilion was no longer appropriate. Since they would be raising children, keeping the old name would inevitably invite misunderstanding from outsiders. After careful deliberation, Fan Lin simply renamed it an orphanage, which sounded straightforward and easy to understand. As for the task assigned by Fan Lin, Zhao Hu naturally dared not delay, and he promptly agreed. Rest assured, clan leader, I will definitely help them establish the orphanage in a short time. Excellent. Then this matter is settled. Having said this, Fan Lin turned his gaze toward Qing Zhu and Hua Ying. Sensing his look, both women's hearts quickened and expectant expressions appeared on their faces. Fan Lin had once promised to provide them with personnel, and now it seemed he was going to honor that commitment. Otherwise, even with the help of drunken immortal pavilion, the two of them alone would struggle to develop the orphanage within a short period. Just as they had imagined, Fan Lin was indeed planning to assign personnel to them. Next, I will arrange 100 subordinates for you. Their leader has reached the quasi-saint realm, while the remaining 99 are all cultivators of at least the venerable stage. Upon hearing these words, both women were nearly stunned by the magnitude of the gift. 100 cultivators at the venerable stage or above, with even one quasi-saint among them. The thought of such a formidable force was almost terrifying. Judging from their expressions, Fan Lin could tell exactly what they were thinking. Now do not celebrate too soon. This is not the 100 Kingdoms domain. There are countless powerful figures here. In the Xiantian continent, this amount of manpower hardly amounts to anything. At best, you could act tyrants in some remote areas. I certainly do not wish for you to have such limited vision. Hearing Fan Lin's admonition, both women nodded repeatedly. Rest assured, clan leader, we will never let you down. Someday we will surely make the orphanage flourish and grow strong. Having spoken these words, both women's eyes revealed an unwavering determination. Excellent. Go ahead and do as you see fit. The Lin family will be your backing. Of course, if you need to hire laborers, you may handle it yourselves without needing to consult me. In Fan Lin's view, professional matters required professional people to handle them. In this regard, he naturally would not meddle or dictate to them. Since they had managed 100 Flowers Pavilion so well, building an orphanage would hardly pose a significant challenge for them. Finally, Fan Lin provided a few additional precautions before departing with everyone. Their next destination was Qinglan sect. The current patriarch of Qinglan sect was Lin Haoming, and Fan Lin intended to see how he had developed the sect. Soon Fan Lin and his party arrived at the outer gate of Qinglan sect. Fan Lin did not immediately contact Lin Haoming. With Xia Yingyao and Yi Liuli present, they should have no trouble entering Qinglan sect. However, as they reached the mountain gate, they were stopped by the guarding disciples. This is the mountain gate of Qinglan sect. None of you may trespass. You do not recognize me? Xia Yingyao asked, frowning. Ere I beg your pardon, senior. Who are you? The guarding disciple regarded Xia Yingyao with a puzzled expression. You must be a disciple who recently joined, am I right? Yes. There was nothing to conceal about such a matter, so he admitted it outright. Confirming the man was a recent recruit, Xia Yingyao wasted no further words and directly produced her identity token. Upon seeing it, the guarding disciple's eyes bulged wide. This is a Supreme Elder token. Are you Supreme Elder Xia? Indeed. I had not expected that after several years away someone in the sect would still remember me, Xia Yingyao said with a touch of sentiment. Supreme Elder Xia speaks too modestly. You are our Qinglan sect's Supreme Elder. How could we ever forget you? Well spoken. A reward is deserved. Saying that, Xia Yingyao handed him 100 black-grade spirit stones. Upon receiving them, the guarding disciple's face immediately lit up with excitement. 100 black-grade spirit stones represented an enormous sum for a mere Qi realm guarding disciple like him. With these spirit stones, he might just manage to advance to the next realm and perhaps even earn the chance to become an inner disciple. The other disciples watching this scene all showed deep envy. Had they known there were such great benefits, they would have approached long ago. Xia Yingyao paid no mind to their thoughts and instead led Fan Lin's party directly into Qinglan sect. Yet upon seeing the environment inside, both Xia Yingyao and Yi Liuli were somewhat shocked. The changes were simply too dramatic. Compared to the Qinglan sect of before, the difference was like heaven and earth. I wonder what Ming'er has done to develop Qinglan sect to such a remarkable state so quickly, Yi Liuli mused before leading everyone onward. Meanwhile, within the sect's grand hall, Lin Haoming had already learned that his father, his mother, and a host of aunts had all arrived at Qinglan sect. Without any hesitation, he stepped out of the grand hall to await Fan Lin and the others. Soon Fan Lin's party appeared before his eyes. Lin Haoming did not hesitate at all and immediately approached with a smile. Father, mother, and honored aunts, why did you not inform us in advance of your visit? We could have made proper preparations. Hearing this, Lin chuckled and waved his hand dismissively. Enough of that, my son. Do not treat us as strangers. We have come this time to see how you have developed Qinglan sect. Upon initial inspection, it is truly impressive. Were it not for the absence of a Saint King presence, it would likely have already been upgraded to a low-grade sacred land. Hearing his father's praise, Lin Haoming's heart swelled with joy. Nothing brought greater happiness than earning his father's approval. Regaining his composure, Lin Haoming gestured to everyone. Father, mother, and honored aunts, after such a long journey, you must be tired. Let us enter the grand hall and rest first. Very well. Upon entering the grand hall, and after Fan Lin had asked some questions, Lin Haoming began recounting the developments of these years. Although he often returned to the Xinxiao realm for cultivation, he had never revealed the details of Qinglan sect's progress to anyone. Today, seizing this opportunity, he was happy to share with everyone. This would also allow everyone to gain a deeper understanding of his Qinglan sect. As Lin Haoming recounted, everyone came to understand the current state of the Qinglan sect. All the forces below the sage level in the vicinity had already submitted to the Qinglan sect. The next step was to move against the sage level forces. Of course, given the great commotion the Qinglan sect had stirred, it was impossible for those sage-level forces to remain unaware. They had already deduced that the Qinglan sect's next target would be them. To this end, those sage-level forces had made preparations in advance. If the Qinglan sect dared to strike at them, all the sage-level forces would unite to oppose the Qinglan sect. In fact, as the Qinglan sect was subjugating those quasi-sage-level forces, they had already clashed with the Qinglan sect in secret, because many of the forces the Qinglan sect had subjugated were their subsidiary factions. How could the Qinglan sect seize their subsidiary forces without them standing idly by? Unfortunately, the personnel they dispatched all fell into the Qinglan sect's hands. More importantly among them was a sage-level powerhouse. That sage had originally gone undercover to investigate the Qinglan sect with no intention of taking action, but he underestimated Lin Haoming's strength. The moment he appeared near the Qinglan sect, Lin Haoming detected him. The outcome naturally was his capture alive. Lin Haoming did not kill him, and instead, he sealed his cultivation and temporarily imprisoned him in the Qinglan sect. In Lin Haoming's view, keeping him alive was more useful than killing him. With him in custody, subduing the force behind him in the future would be much easier. The disappearance of a sage-level powerhouse without a trace at the Qinglan sect caused a massive uproar among those sage-level forces. The Qinglan sect's ability to silently subdue a sage-level expert meant their strength was no less than theirs, perhaps even greater. This made them dare not rashly attack the Qinglan sect, instead watching its movements discreetly. They even reported this matter to the Qianyuan Sacred Land. When the Qianyuan Sacred Land learned of this news, they were greatly shocked. They naturally remembered the Qinglan sect. It was merely a force with a quasi-sage in charge. Yet now they were told it could silently subdue a sage. How could this not astonish them? Sacred Lord Feng Juechen even suspected that Yun Jinghong had broken through to the sage realm. But in the end, he dismissed the notion. Yun Jinghong's cultivation was lower than his at the 7th level of the quasi-sage realm. Even he had not ascended to the sage realm, so it was even less likely for Yun Jinghong. After pondering, Feng Juechen concluded that someone or some force was backing the Qinglan sect. If that was indeed the case, then judging by the Qinglan sect's momentum, it seemed aimed at unifying Qianzhou. At this thought, Feng Juechen's heart trembled. If it was truly for unification after conquering these sage-level forces, the next target would be their Qianyuan Sacred Land. Without hesitation, Feng Juechen went directly to their ancestor. Feng Juechen then informed the ancestor of the Qianyuan Sacred Land about the external events and his thoughts. After listening, the ancestor first frowned, then his expression sharpened. Juechen, do you still remember those black-robed figures in the secret realm back then? Of course I do. Feng Juechen immediately realized. Ancestor, you mean the Qinglan sect is backed by those black-robed figures? This is merely my speculation. The truth requires further investigation. Ancestor, if the Qinglan sect truly stands behind those black-robed figures, what should we do? Their goal is definitely to unify Qianzhou. Saying this, Feng Juechen's face was filled with worry. If that was indeed the case, their Qianyuan Sacred Land was in peril. The strength the Qinglan sect had displayed so far was an enigma. If they dared to act, they must have the confidence to oppose the Qianyuan Sacred Land. Compared to Feng Juechen's anxiety, the ancestor was somewhat expectant of the Qinglan sect's transformation. Juechen, we should not worry about the Qinglan sect. On the contrary, I hope it grows stronger. Hearing this, Feng Juechen was stunned. He even suspected if their ancestor had been taken over. The opponent was clearly targeting their Qianyuan Sacred Land, yet his ancestor wished them to be stronger. The ancestor had no idea that Feng Juechen suspected him of being possessed, or he would have given him a lesson of love. The ancestor glanced at the dazed Feng Juechen and continued, the Xiantian continent is now turbulent. The demonic race lurking in the shadows seems to be brewing some conspiracy. I have received many reports that traces of the demonic race have appeared in all other states of the Xiantian continent. You know how terrifying the demonic race is. If they appear in Qianzhou, I am not confident we can handle them. Even if we seek aid from other states, it would be like far-off water cannot quench a near fire. Moreover, I fear they will be too occupied to help us. Upon hearing of the demonic race's emergence, Feng Juechen's face grew solemn. The demonic race had no humanity, slaughtering any living being they encountered. Their cultivation method was through killing and devouring. The more they killed, the stronger they became. Ancestor, what should we do next? Should we prepare in advance? Feng Juechen said gravely. The matter of the demonic race was no trivial matter, they had to be on guard. Don't be so pessimistic. I was originally worried about the demonic race's intrusion, but the Qinglan sect's upheaval has given me new hope. If the force behind the Qinglan sect is stronger than our Qianyuan Sacred Land, then we will support them as the Lord of Qianzhou. Then we can join forces to deal with the demonic race, and our chances of victory will be much greater. Hearing the ancestor's decision, Feng Juechen was somewhat surprised. If that were the case, it would indeed be a good option. But soon a look of worry returned to Feng Juechen's face. Ancestor, do you think the sudden rise of the Qinglan sect could be connected to the demonic race? The ancestor shook his head directly. Judging by the Qinglan sect's treatment of the forces it annexed, it is definitely not backed by the demonic race. If it were the demonic race, these forces would have either become their slaves or been devoured entirely. But the Qinglan sect treats those forces very well. In fact, forces that voluntarily submit even receive some benefits. Such behavior is absolutely impossible for the demonic race. Certain that the other side was not the demonic race, Feng Juechen finally felt relieved. Ancestor, what should we do next? Should we actively contact the Qinglan sect? The ancestor shook his head. Didn't you say the Qinglan sect is about to move against those sage-level forces? In that case, we just need to wait and see. After the Qinglan sect annexes those forces, it won't be too late to contact them. Qin Yuan's ancestral father had already made up his mind. He did not intend to confront the Qinglan sect head-on with the Qianyuan sacred land. If the Qinglan sect proved stronger, he would lead the Qianyuan sacred land to pledge allegiance to them. If both sides were of roughly equal strength, they would form an alliance to deal with the demonic clan. At this critical juncture, it was best to unite against a common foe. If they indulged in internal strife, they would only be playing into the demonic clan's hands. Moreover, the Qinglan sect's intention to bring all the forces of Qianzhou under one banner was in its own way a positive development. When the entire province answered to a single voice, dealing with the demonic clan would become far more convenient. Having ascertained his sect's ancestral father's thoughts, Feng Juechen no longer fretted. Once the elder had made his decision, it was beyond anyone else's power to sway him. Meanwhile, Lin Fan and his companions had also gained a fairly clear understanding of the current situation in Qianzhou. Lin Haoming's achievements in such a short span filled Lin Fan with great satisfaction. Haoming, you have done well. But from now on you must accelerate your expansion. The Xintian continent will not remain peaceful for long. The demonic clan shows signs of making a comeback. If you wish to effectively deal with the demonic clan, you must first bring the entirety of Qianzhou under your control. Upon hearing that the demonic clan was preparing to reassert itself, Lin Haoming felt no fear, only a flicker of excitement. Father need not worry. I shall unify Qianzhou as swiftly as possible. And as for the demonic race, if they dare appear before me, none shall return alive. Excellent. That is precisely the bearing expected of a Lin family son. Lin Haoming was greatly pleased by his father's praise. It was a rare acknowledgement from Lin Fan himself. After attending to business, everyone relaxed into casual conversation. Even Yin Qingying, who had been left utterly stunned, soon recovered and drew Meng Qianyu aside to ask questions. She never could have imagined that not only were Lin Fan and Hu Mei absurdly powerful, but that Lin Fan's own son was a sect master. And from what Lin Haoming had just recounted, she understood he intended to unify an entire province. The strongest warrior in Qianzhou was a Saint King. That much she had gathered. A Saint King was an existence capable of flattening 100 kingdom domain without breaking a sweat. Yet among her companions, such a terrifying figure was met with calm indifference. This only deepened her curiosity about Lin Fan's true strength. Unable to contain herself, she immediately tugged at Meng Qianyu's sleeve. Sister Qianyu, just how formidable is the sect master really? Meng Qianyu responded with a mysterious smile. Dear Qingying, that is something you must discover for yourself. Lin Fan had not yet brought Yin Qingying into the Xinxiao realm, so Meng Qianyu naturally had no intention of revealing the answer. Seeing that Meng Qianyu would not speak further, Yin Qingying did not press the matter. She had come to realize that she had only recently come to follow Lin Fan. There were still secrets far beyond her current station to uncover. It seems I must work even harder to earn the sect master's trust. Only then will I learn the truths he keeps hidden, she resolved to herself. With that decision made, Yin Qingying soon relaxed. Thus Lin Fan and his party spent a day at the Qinglan sect, and at dawn the following morning they departed. Their next endeavor was a wandering journey across the land. Their first stop saw Lin Fan accompanying Xue Mei to the Blood Shadow cult to meet her father. Upon learning that his daughter had already married, Xue too was initially ill-disposed. He had even intended to give Lin Fan a stern lesson upon arrival. However, the moment he learned that Lin Fan was Lin Haoming's father, Xue tu's expression instantly transformed into one of fervent delight. Since the Blood Shadow cult had pledged allegiance to the Qinglan sect, Xue tu had received a steady stream of resources from Lin Haoming. And he well knew that among all the sects submitting to Qinglan, only the Blood Shadow cult and the Ningxuang sect enjoyed such favorable treatment. The Ningxuang sect's privileged status was understandable. Su Wan had married Lin Haoming after all. But what merit did the Blood Shadow cult possess to warrant such special attention? Now with the full story revealed, he finally understood the reason. Lin Haoming's generous support for their sect must stem from his daughter's connection. Later in private, Xue tu gave Xue Mei an approving thumbs up. Mayor, you truly have excellent judgment. Naturally, I am the daughter of no ordinary man. Xue tu burst into hearty laughter at his daughter's boasting, and when his mirth subsided, he proceeded to ask Xue Mei a few more questions. Bound by the requirement not to disclose secrets, Xue Mei answered only a handful of straightforward questions. Nevertheless, even this modest disclosure left Xue tu deeply impressed. Thus the two of them conversed throughout the day. At dawn the following morning, Lin Fan led the group on their next journey, a plan proposed by everyone in unison. After all they had traveled this far, it would be a shame not to witness the wonders of the Xiantian continent. Along the way, whenever Lin Fan encountered something of value, he would purchase it without hesitation. And so a month passed in the blink of an eye. Within that month, Lin Fan had brought Yin Qingying into the Xinxiao realm. Yet for now he had made no move upon her. Her cultivation was still too shallow to yield any meaningful improvement to his own strength. Before anything else, he needed to elevate her power. For their final destination, Lin Fan came alone to the Xiantian Academy. None of the others accompanied him, for their presence would have been ill-advised. He arrived under the identity he had assumed during his earlier visit, Guyu. The reason for his coming was a message from Lin Yuhuang, who informed him that her master Jun Yao wished to see him. Though he did not know why Jun Yao desired an audience, it would be rude to decline a request conveyed through his daughter. At the gates of the Xiantian Academy, Lin Yuhuang stood waiting. The academy disciples who spotted her immediately stepped aside. Lin Yuhuang's reputation within the academy was extraordinarily high. Not only was she strikingly beautiful, but she was also dreadfully fierce. Virtually every top-ranking disciple at the academy had suffered her wrath at one time or another. It was precisely for this reason that no one dared approach her. She was indeed beautiful, but beauty alone could not shield one from her fury. Far from resenting this, Lin Yuhuang was quite pleased. She harbored no intention of seeking a life companion. In her eyes, no man had yet proven himself worthy. She had not encountered anyone who measured up. Soon enough, Lin Fan arrived at the academy gates. Spotting him, Lin Yuhuang hurried forward with a bright smile. "Father, you've come. Come along quickly. I shall take you to meet my master." Jun Yao could teach her little, especially now that the Ice Snow Emperor had entered the picture. Yet Lin Yuhuang was not one to forget her debts of gratitude. Having accepted Jun Yao as her master, she would honor that bond for all her days. Soon Lin Yuhuang led Lin Fan to Jun Yao's cave dwelling. "Friend Guyu, a long time no see." Jun Yao greeted Lin Fan with a smile. Seeing Jun Yao's courteous demeanor, Lin Fan also revealed a smile. "I am grateful for your concern, friend Jun Yao. All is well, but I hope my daughter hasn't caused you any trouble, has she?" Jun Yao quickly waved her hand. "Friend Guyu, you jest. Yu Huang is intelligent and quick-witted, and her strength has been steadily improving. How could she possibly trouble me? Not only has she not caused me any trouble, she has even brought me honor." Jun Yao was thoroughly satisfied with Lin Yuhuang. Such a perfect disciple was liked by everyone and required no worry from her. At most, she merely provided Lin Yuhuang with some cultivation resources. In truth, these resources were dispensable to Lin Yuhuang. However, becoming Jun Yao's disciple was not without benefits. Lin Yuhuang could use this identity to freely enter and exit the Xiantian Academy's library and peruse the ancient texts within. Moreover, relying on this identity, Lin Yuhuang managed to secure the remnant soul of the Ice and Snow Emperor for the Lin family, along with the Emperor's ultimate Dao weapon. Thus, for Lin Fan, having Lin Yuhuang become Jun Yao's disciple was by no means a loss. The two chatted for a while longer before Jun Yao's expression turned serious. "Friend Guyu, I presume you have heard of the affairs concerning the Demon Clan." Lin Fan was somewhat surprised when Jun Yao brought up the matter of the Demon Clan. He had indeed heard some news from Lin Haoming about the recent disturbances caused by the Demon Clan. During this time, several sage-level powers on the Xiantian continent had been devoured by the Demon Clan. When other forces arrived at the scenes upon hearing the commotion, the Demon Clan members had vanished without a trace. Only boundless demonic energy remained at the sites proclaiming their arrival. It could be said that currently only Qianzhou in the eastern domain of the Xiantian continent remained undisturbed, free from Demon Clan incursions. In the other domains, sage-level powers had been annihilated by the Demon Clan. Clearly this was a premeditated operation. As for why Qianzhou was quiet, Lin Fan already had a conjecture. He believed that the reason no Demon Clan appeared in Qianzhou was most likely because the Blood Demon Emperor they had slain. That Blood Demon Emperor was highly likely the representative of the Demon Clan in Qianzhou, commanding the latent demonic forces there. However, with his death, the demons in Qianzhou were left without a leader. These demons had no choice but to lie dormant, awaiting the emergence of a new leader. If the Blood Demon Emperor had not died, Qianzhou would certainly not be so peaceful at this moment. Had he found an opportunity to recover to his full strength, Qianzhou would have been unstoppable. After all, the most powerful force in Qianzhou, the Qianyuan Holy Land, only possessed a single sage king ancestor. Thus, inadvertently, the emergence of the Lin family had resolved a major crisis for the cultivators of Qianzhou. With this in mind, Lin Fan nodded to Jun Yao. "Friend Jun Yao, I have naturally heard of the great disturbances caused by these remnant forces of the Demon Clan. Could it be that you summoned me here to discuss countermeasures against the Demon Clan?" Jun Yao first shook her head, then nodded. "Dealing with some remnant demons hardly requires troubling friend Guyu to take action. The reason we have not yet acted is because we cannot locate their hiding places. I invited you here to ask you to contact your master to see if he might know where these demons are concealed." After speaking, Jun Yao's eyes revealed a pleading look. Friend Jun Yao isn't the Heavenly Secrets Sacred Land most adept at finding people. Could they not calculate the hiding places of these demons? When Lin Fan mentioned the Heavenly Secrets Sacred Land, Jun Yao showed a helpless expression. The Heavenly Secrets Sacred Land had indeed attempted divination, but the images they obtained were shrouded in chaos, revealing no clues whatsoever. In the end, the Heavenly Secrets Sacred Land had no choice but to abandon the effort. Continuing would be futile and might even incur backlash. The memory of the previous backlash was still fresh, making them more cautious. Friend Gyue, the Heavenly Secrets Sacred Land did act, but they achieved no substantial results. We suspect that the demons possess treasures capable of shielding the Heavenly Secrets. Perhaps only a Heavenly Secrets Master who has broken through to the Emperor-grade upper tier could glimpse something. But only a great Emperor is qualified to become an Emperor-grade upper tier Heavenly Secrets Master, and the current Heavenly Secrets Sacred Land has no such expert. So now we can only rely on your master friend Gyue to see if there is a way to find their traces. If we allow these demons to rampage in the shadows, countless cultivators will suffer. Hearing Jun Yao's words, Lin Fan was not inclined to refuse, especially since he held no goodwill toward the demon clan. Friend Jun Yao, I can consult my master about this matter. As for the outcome, I cannot guarantee it. After all, the continent where my master resides is far from here. Calculating the situation here would not be easy. Lin Fan spoke somewhat evasively, as he was not sure if he himself could calculate the demon's traces. Hence he did not make any promises. Seeing that Lin Fan was willing to ask his master for help, Jun Yao was overjoyed. Thank you, friend Gyue, for your willingness to assist. Friend Jun Yao, don't celebrate too soon. The result is still unknown. As long as friend Gyue is willing to help, that is enough. As for the outcome, we can only leave it to fate. Frankly, she did not hold much hope. But given the opportunity, she would certainly try. This was also the consensus among the old relics of the Xiantian Academy. With the serious matters concluded, they resumed their casual conversation. They talked about Lin Yuhuang's recent performance and some trivial daily topics. After about an hour, Lin Fan took his leave. Watching Lin Fan's departing figure, Jun Yao fell into thought. She sensed that Lin Fan had changed greatly. She even vaguely felt a pressure emanating from him. And being able to make her feel pressure indicated that he was an expert of the same level. It seems friend Gyue has been hiding his true strength all along. From the faint aura he exudes, even an ordinary quasi-emperor might not be his match. Everyone only knows that Gu Huang is exceptional, but they don't know that her father is equally terrifying. But then again, being chosen as a successor by a great emperor, how could he be comparable to ordinary cultivators? Having figured this out, Jun Yao no longer dwelled on it. Next, she informed the other ancestors of the Xiantian Academy about her conversation with Lin Fan. Upon learning that Lin Fan was willing to ask the great emperor to help locate the demon clan, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Upon returning to his residence, Lin Fan was immediately surrounded by the crowd. My husband, what did Master Fenger's mentor want with you? It was merely about some matters concerning the demon race. Subsequently, Lin Fan recounted the entire conversation he had with Jun Yao to everyone. My husband, these demons are truly despicable. If we could indeed locate their hiding spots and eradicate them, it would be a great service to humanity. Everyone harbored profound hatred for the demons. They all fervently hoped that Lin Fan could discover the demons' hidden lairs. Very well, since everyone desires to eliminate the demons, I shall not disappoint. Come follow me to the Xinxiao realm. With a sweeping gesture from Lin Fan, everyone vanished from their spot. When they reappeared, they stood beneath the ancestral divine tree. Without wasting a moment, Lin Fan produced the Qian Yuan immortal map and began his deduction. Hu Mei and the others stood aside, not daring to make the slightest sound lest they disturb him. Within a mysterious space in the Xiantian continent dwelled countless beings. These creatures bore twin horns, eyes as red as blood, and countenances twisted in ferocity. Apart from these features, they resembled humans in every other way. These beings were the demons. At that moment, inside a palace within this enigmatic space, 9 demonic powerhouses, each radiating overwhelming demonic energy, sat in a circle. Their strength had all reached the quasi-demon emperor realm. The leader among them had attained the 9th level of quasi-demon emperor. Lord Mo-Tian, the quasi-emperors of the Xiantian continent, are all searching for our traces. What should we do next? Mo-Tian, the 9th level quasi-demon emperor and leader of the Xiantian continent's demons, heard this question, and a sneer curled upon his face. Let them search. With the star-concealing map brought from our ancestral land, as long as we don't reveal ourselves, even the Heavenly Secret Sanctuary won't find us. We are too few to clash head-on, we must avoid their edge. When they grow weary of searching, we will venture out again to devour our prey. In time, we will surely take control of the Xiantian continent. Then we shall raise the beings here as livestock for our consumption and cultivation. Upon hearing Mo-Tian's words, the other demons envisioned the glorious future, and all wore expressions of exhilaration. Lord Mo-Tian is wise. We will follow you to the death. Among demons, strength reigns supreme. Since Mo-Tian was stronger, they naturally pledged their allegiance. If one day someone surpassed him, that one could replace P10 and command the worship of the others, unless they had powerful backing. For instance, the offspring of a demon emperor would be treated with deference even by quasi-demon emperors, yet as they reveled in their fantasies. The star-concealing map suspended above the space began to tremble violently, quaking incessantly in the air. P10 sensed the anomaly immediately. Without a word to the others, he instantly appeared beside the map. The other quasi-demon emperors, startled at first, quickly recovered and followed suit. When they saw the map's reaction, grave expressions settled on their faces. Lord P10, what is happening? Why is the star-concealing map acting like this? P10's face turned urgent and he roared at them. No time to explain. We must all join forces to hold the map in the air. It must not fall. If it falls, our domain will be completely exposed to the outside. Once that happens, we will never withstand the onslaught from the Shantian continent. They were not weak, but their numbers were too few. If surrounded, they would surely perish. Understanding the severity, the quasi-demon emperors dared not delay. They poured all their demonic power into the star-concealing map. Seeing the map stabilize temporarily, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Then they turned their gazes toward P10. Lord P10, what exactly is happening? Why did the star-concealing map react so violently? P10, seeing that the map would hold for a short while, began to explain. Such a violent disturbance in the star-concealing map indicates that someone is deducing our location. As he spoke, P10's expression turned somber. If another such wave came, they might not be able to withstand it. The others, upon hearing that someone was performing a deduction, showed disbelief. A mere deduction had caused such a massive upheaval. They recalled that when the Heavenly Secret Sanctuary had attempted a deduction before, the map had only trembled faintly. Lord P10, is this really from a deduction? The commotion is too great. I am certain it is indeed a deduction. To cause such a stir, it's most likely that the Heavenly Secret Sanctuary has deployed their supreme-grade Imperial weapon. Remember, our star-concealing map is a top-grade Imperial artifact. For it to react like this, either the opponent is a great emperor or they possess a supreme-grade Imperial weapon that can deduce heavenly secrets. After pondering, P10 deemed the latter more plausible. He had thoroughly investigated. There was no great emperor in the Shantian continent. When the other demons heard that the Heavenly Secret Sanctuary had used a supreme-grade Imperial weapon, their faces turned ashen. Lord P10, has the Heavenly Secret Sanctuary lost their minds? To use a supreme-grade Imperial weapon just to deal with us. We are completely exposed. Seeing their panic, P10 snorted coldly. Enough. What is this disgraceful behavior? The human strong have not even attacked, yet you already cower. So shameful for our demon race. Chastened by P10's rebuke, they all lowered their heads. They had indeed been too flustered and lost their composure. Lord P10's lesson is correct. We admit our mistake. P10 waved his hand impatiently. Enough, don't make such childish mistakes again. Your worries are unfounded. Without a great emperor to wield it, a supreme-grade Imperial weapon cannot be used continuously. We only need to hold out until the weapon's stored energy is depleted, then they will be unable to continue their deduction. After P10 finished, they all began to flatter him. Lord P10 is wise, we admire you. But before P10 could respond, the star-concealing map trembled once more. Witnessing this scene, P10's expression shifted. Without time to ponder, he urgently urged those people. Everyone, continue to lend me your strength. We must not let the opponent break through this defense line. The other demonic beings did not hesitate, and all struck again. Within the Xinxiao realm, Lin Fan also sensed the obstruction. However, Lin Fan was not flustered at all. Instead, a faint smile appeared on his face. How interesting, they actually try to obstruct my divination. Unfortunately, my methods are not as simple as you think. Today I will find you out. Lin Fan did not delay and began to intensify his divination. Just then, what Lin Fan failed to notice was that the family divine tree trembled slightly at this moment. Then it shot out a ring of light that enveloped Lin Fan. Hu Mei and the others were greatly startled by the family divine tree's action. They had not expected that the family divine tree would actually intervene. Fortunately, they knew that the family divine tree would never harm Lin Fan, so they did not interfere. At this moment, Lin Fan clearly felt a mysterious power surge within his body. This power was extremely gentle and did not cause any adverse effects. It even increased the speed of his divination several-fold. I never expected the family divine tree to possess such an ability. Truly a pleasant surprise. The sudden intervention of the family divine tree indeed filled Lin Fan with great astonishment and joy. Even without the family divine tree's help, he could still break through the opponent's defense. Now with its assistance, he achieved twice the result with half the effort. Lin Fan did not waste any time and continued to increase the intensity. He was eager to see how these demonic beings would defend against his divination. For others, divination is a perilous affair. If the target of divination is too powerful, the Heavenly Fate Diviner runs a high risk of backlash. The Heavenly Fate Diviners of the Heavenly Fate Sacred Land in the past were a case in point. But for Lin Fan, there was no such danger. Because he was within the Xinxiao realm, even if backlash occurred it would not reach him. On the other side, as Lin Fan intensified his efforts, the faces of these demonic quasi-demon emperors all showed embarrassment. Lord Emotion, what is happening? Even if those people from the Heavenly Fate's sacred land used the ultimate emperor artifact, they couldn't force us to this extent. After all, they were 9 quasi-demon emperors working together plus the star concealment map of Emperor Grade Upper Tier. Even if the opponent deployed the Heavenly Fate's sacred land's ultimate emperor artifact, they could not be pushed to this state. All of you stop talking nonsense. You must find a way to block it, or you know the consequences. In truth, Emotion himself did not know what was happening. Based on his understanding of the Heavenly Fate's sacred land, they absolutely did not possess such strength. Unless the opponent had joined forces with other quasi-emperor experts of the Xiantian continent. However, the spies they had planted in those forces had detected nothing unusual. Thus Emotion was also completely bewildered. But now was not the time to dwell on this. The urgent task was to resist this divination with all their might. If they failed to block it, they would be exposed to the eyes of all forces. With their strength, they simply could not withstand the siege of the entire Xiantian continent. Next, while resisting, Emotion also took the opportunity to contact the spies outside, wanting to see the exact situation. If the emperor-level forces of the Xiantian continent had already united, the spies they had planted would naturally have received some news. It wasn't long before the spies outside sent back information. When Emotion learned that there was no movement outside, he felt a surge of frustration. How could there be no movement when they were about to be overwhelmed? Unfortunately, no matter how he questioned, the spies said everything was normal. Even the Heavenly Fate's sacred land was unusually quiet. How is this possible? If it's not the Heavenly Fate's sacred land, who else could it be? Emotion's mind was somewhat blank at this moment. As enemies of the Xiantian continent, these demonic beings naturally had a thorough understanding of the situation there. Aside from the Heavenly Fate's sacred land, there were no other formidable, grand Heavenly Fate diviners. If it wasn't the Heavenly Fate's sacred land, then who could it be? Wait, there seems to be a successor of an emperor on the Xiantian continent, named Gu Yu. If it's not the Heavenly Fate's sacred land, then that Gu Yu is the most suspicious. Lin Fan had not deliberately hidden his identity as Gu Yue, so it was not surprising that Emotion could learn this information. Initially, when Emotion learned of Lin Fan's identity, he did not take it seriously. In his view, it was merely a successor of an emperor, not the emperor himself. Moreover, the demonic race was not lacking in demon emperors, so they naturally had no need to fear. They even planned to find an opportunity to kill Lin Fan. In their view, since Lin Fan could become a successor of an emperor, his cultivation talent was certainly extraordinary. When he grew up, he would become a great enemy of the demonic race. Therefore, they naturally wanted to eliminate Lin Fan early. Unfortunately, Lin Fan was always elusive, and they could never find an opportunity. Unable to find Lin Fan, they began to target Lin Yuhuang. As long as they captured Lin Yuhuang, they might be able to lure Lin Fan out. Unfortunately, Lin Yuhuang spent most of her time in the Xiantian Academy. Even when she went out for training, she never used the identity of Gu Huang. Therefore, they could do nothing to Lin Yuhuang either. In the end, the plan was quietly dropped. It must be said that Emotion had some brains. After ruling out the Heavenly Fate's sacred land, he immediately thought of Lin Fan. And he guessed correctly. Unfortunately, even if he guessed correctly, it was to no avail. He had no way to deal with Lin Fan. This went on for about half a day, and the star concealment map became dim and lusterless. The energy supplied to these quasi-demon emperors could not keep up with its consumption. Not good, the star concealment map lacks energy. Oh, we are about to be exposed. Emotion's face turned pale at the sight of the star concealment map's change. In the end, they still failed to block Lin Fan's divination. If Lin Fan had not yet broken through to the quasi-emperor realm, it would not have taken this long. As the star concealment map lost its effect, the scene of Emotion and his group appeared in Lin Fan's mind. At the same time, Lin Fan further divined the location of that place. With no one to block him, Lin Fan quickly obtained the specific information. So these demonic beings are hiding in a forbidden land in the northern domain. Oh, no wonder they have remained undiscovered for countless years. In fact, it was not surprising that they had not been found, because all living beings that had gone there were devoured by these demonic beings. Even quasi-emperor experts who ventured there out of curiosity eventually vanished without a trace. Even quasi-emperors died there, and over time no cultivator dared to set foot there anymore. Moreover, this forbidden land was naturally formed directly isolating their demonic energy, so no one had thought in that direction. After ascertaining their location, Lin Fan examined the specifics of the demonic clan. He was quite astonished to discover that there were a total of 9 quasi-demon emperors among them. Such formidable strength was not to be underestimated. If the forces of the Xiantian continent failed to unite aside from the Xiantian Academy, no other power could withstand the demonic clan's assault. For besides the quasi-demon emperors, there were no few demon lords and demon sovereigns. Such a force lurking in the shadows causing havoc is indeed an unstable element. It would be best to eliminate them sooner rather than later. Lin Fan already regarded the Xintian continent as his own domain, which would eventually be governed by his children. He would never allow these demons to wreak havoc there. After concluding his deduction, Lin Fan greeted everyone and then departed from the divine firmament realm. He needed to relay this information to Jun Yao as soon as possible. If delayed too long, those demon lords might resort to desperate measures, unleashing a frenzy of slaughter, for they were already in a desperate situation. As such, before their demise, they would surely engage in wild killing sprees. Since the distance was not great, they communicated directly via mirror communication. As the mirror communication activated, Jun Yao's figure appeared before Lin Fan. Similarly, Jun Yao could see Lin Fan on her end. Of course, using mirror communication required mutual consent, otherwise it could not be employed. Daoist Gyue, do you seek me for something at this hour? Lin Fan did not waste time and got straight to the point. Daoist Jun Yao, I have learned about the demonic clan situation. You must act swiftly. The demons are already aware that they have been exposed. I fear they might resort to desperate measures, causing boundless slaughter. Hearing this news, Jun Yao was greatly startled. She had not expected Lin Fan to resolve their predicament so quickly. Soon, however, her expression turned to excitement. Daoist Gyue, please inform me of the exact location. Time is pressing. Once the demons are dealt with, I will surely come to express my gratitude. The demons are hidden in the meteorite valley of the northern domain. Lin Fan did not hesitate and directly revealed the specific location to Jun Yao. To think they are in Meteorite Valley, those cunning creatures hiding in such a godforsaken place. Jun Yao was well aware of Meteorite Valley's fearsome reputation. Several quasi-emperors had fallen there. Now it seemed the demons were responsible for those deaths. Daoist Gyue, time is short. I must attend to this. As Jun Yao was about to end the call, Lin Fan quickly said, Daoist Jun Yao, you must be careful. There are 9 quasi-demon emperors in total. 1 of the 9th tier, 1 of the 8th, 3 of the 7th, and the rest of the 6th tier. Hearing these numbers, Jun Yao's brows furrowed slightly. She had not expected the demons to be so formidable. With her strength at the 3rd tier of the quasi-emperor realm, she was no match for these beings. She would have to focus on the demon lords and demon sovereigns, leaving the others to stronger opponents. She would not foolishly pit her 3rd tier quasi-emperor strength against quasi-demon emperors of the 6th tier or above. She was not one to act recklessly, otherwise she would never have reached the quasi-emperor realm. After reasoning this out, she again expressed gratitude to Lin Fan. Thank you for the warning, Daoist Gyue. I will be careful. With that, Jun Yao's image vanished before Lin Fan. He smiled and returned to the divine firmament realm. Upon his return, everyone gathered around him. Husband, how did it go? I have informed Jun Yao. It should not be long before the powerful figures of the Xintian continent gather in the northern domain. Husband, shouldn't we go watch? Humei said eagerly. With a major battle imminent, she felt an itch to join the fray. Seeing Humei's eagerness, Hu Yu chuckled. Big sister, since when did you become so violent? Humei unfazed laughed heartily. Now that my strength has increased, I need to test it on someone. With that, she cast a mischievous grin at Hu Yu. How about you spar with me? Hu Yu quickly hid behind Lin Fan. Husband, big sister is bullying me. Aren't you going to do something? You little rascal. Lin Fan laughed and patted her head. Hee hee, I'm just trying to lighten the mood. Hu Yu said, pulling a funny face. Yan Qingying was astonished to see these quasi-emperor level experts displaying such an endearing side. At the Baiwa Pavilion, their supreme elder had always been stern and unsmiling. There was never such a relaxed and joyful atmosphere. This must be the patriarch's doing. Only he can bring everyone together in such harmony. Thinking this, Yan Qingying felt a surge of admiration for Lin Fan. Unaware of her thoughts, Lin Fan saw no reason to refuse Humei's request to go. In fact, he himself had intended to observe. Having made up his mind, Lin Fan turned his gaze to everyone present. Aside from Mayor, who else wishes to go and see? They did not answer immediately, but conferred among themselves. Soon they reached a decision. Husband, we will not go. It is enough for you and sister Hu to go. In truth, they wished to go, but considering that all the top forces of the Xintian continent would be present, if they accompanied Lin Fan, it would be far too conspicuous. Besides, with so many experts already there, their presence was unnecessary. Seeing that no one else wished to go, Lin Fan did not press them. However, he was in no hurry to depart. By now, the Shadow Pavilion's members had spread to the northern domain. He could simply teleport there, saving the trouble of traveling. At the Xintian Academy, Jun Yao had already informed the ancient elders of the news. Upon receiving the exact information, they were overjoyed. At last, they could thoroughly purge the remaining demonic remnants. Jun Yao, after this matter is resolved, you must express your gratitude to Daoist Gyue. Without him, these demonic remnants would have inflicted great harm upon our Xintian Dao domain. Considering the 9 quasi-demon emperors lurking in the shadows along with the lesser demons' continued existence would inevitably cause immense damage to the Xintian continent. Eliminating them in advance was undoubtedly a good thing. Rest assured, I have already spoken with Daoist Gyue. Once this matter is settled, I will visit to thank him. Upon hearing this, the elders present all had a glint of amusement in their eyes. They naturally hoped that Jun Yao would build a good relationship with Lin Fan. If they could become Dao companions, that would be even better. Little did Jun Yao know that these old men had already conspired to pair her with him. Xiantian Academy wasted no time relaying this message to all Imperial-level powers, simultaneously summoning them to jointly crusade against the demon race. The demon race was the common enemy of the entire Xiantian continent, and no power could remain aloof. Not only that, even the demon beasts of the Xiantian continent were informed. As part of the Xiantian continent, the demon beasts could not stand aside, especially since the demon race was also their enemy. Soon each Imperial-level power in the central domain dispatched a quasi-emperor to Xiantian Academy. These quasi-emperors all possessed strength at or above the 6th level of the quasi-emperor realm. They had heard that among the 9 quasi-demon emperors of the demon race, the weakest had reached the 6th level of the quasi-demon emperor. Thus those below the 6th level did not come. As for the 9th level quasi-emperor ancestors, they needed to guard their headquarters. They would not mobilize unless absolutely necessary. If all these 9th level quasi-emperors were dispatched, those Imperial-level powers would be left leaderless in a short time, and even the supreme Imperial weapons could not be activated. Should someone take advantage of the situation to attack their forces, it would be disastrous. Even without such concerns, they could not send out all their quasi-emperors. After all, this was a war of races, and casualties were inevitable. If all were slain, their lineage would be severed. Of course, the forces gathered to eliminate the demon race were not limited to those present. Some powers were too far away, and coming here would only waste time. Thus they would set out directly for the northern domain and assemble there. This time the one receiving them was Xuantian, the foremost expert of Xiantian Academy, a 9th level quasi-emperor who even showed faint signs of comprehending the laws. Once he succeeded in comprehending the laws, ascending to the position of great emperor would be within reach. The group dared not be negligent, hurriedly bowing respectfully. Greetings, Senior Xiantian. Although these individuals were quasi-emperors, they were still juniors before Xiantian. They had never expected that the one receiving them would be this elusive figure who rarely showed himself. The thought that Xiantian might lead the expedition stirred excitement among them. Dealing with the demon race was no trivial matter, and a single misstep could mean death. Xiantian was universally recognized as the strongest human cultivator on the Xiantian continent. Perhaps only the oldest ancestor of the Flood Dragon clan deep within the Boundless Sea could match him. As for who would prevail, no one knew, for the two had never fought. Having such a powerhouse by their side gave them a great sense of security. Indeed, Xiantian was leading the expedition with the goal of annihilating the demon race completely, leaving them no chance to recover. Otherwise, they would become a future threat to the Xiantian continent. Seeing their bows, Xiantian did not put on airs. Instead, he smiled and nodded. Fellow cultivators, no need for formalities. Time is pressing. We must depart. If we delay, who knows what havoc the demon race will wreak. We shall follow your instructions, Senior Xiantian. As for Lin Yuhuang, she would also accompany Jun Yao. Jun Yao had initially intended not to bring her given the danger. Should anything happen, she would not know how to explain it to Lin Fan. However, Lin Yuhuang was resolute, and with the tacit approval of the ancestor Xuantian, Jun Yao had to relent. She decided to keep Lin Yuhuang under her watchful eye. With her supervision, nothing would go wrong. Next, under Xuantian's lead, the group boarded the Academy's Supreme Imperial-grade flying vessel. This Supreme Imperial-grade flying vessel was the only one of its kind on the entire Xiantian continent, for its construction was exorbitantly costly, while its utility was limited. It served no purpose other than travel. It was forged by many great emperors during the demon invasion to facilitate the journey of cultivators below the emperor realm. It also enabled swift reinforcement of other regions. After the demon race's defeat, the vessel remained at Xiantian Academy. The subsequent journey proceeded smoothly. With the Supreme Imperial-grade flying vessel, their travel speed was naturally extremely fast. In just a quarter of an hour, they crossed the Boundless Sea and arrived at the northern domain. They then reached the agreed meeting point and awaited the arrival of others. These few alone were not yet suited to venture into demon territory. If they went now, it would be like offering themselves as prey, gaining nothing. Jun Yao, seeing everyone idly chatting, glanced at Lin Yuhuang beside her. She decided to inform Lin Fan of Lin Yuhuang's presence. Such a significant matter she felt should not be concealed from him. Without hesitation, she took out a communication jade talisman and sent a message. Fellow Taoist Guyue, I have arrived at the northern domain, and Yuhuang has come with us. But rest assured, with me here, she will not come to harm. When Lin Fan saw this message, he was not surprised. His daughter was never one to stay still. With such a major event unfolding, how could she not get involved? Yet he feigned worry and replied, Fellow Taoist Jun Yao, please keep an eye on her and don't let her act recklessly. Fellow Taoist Guyue, rest assured I will watch her and ensure she does nothing rash. Good, then I'll trouble you, Fellow Taoist Jun Yao. With that, Lin Fan ended the call. Subsequently, he and Hume directly teleported to the northern domain. Compared to other domains, the northern domain had few human cultivators. This was the territory of demon beasts. He almost forgot. Mu Yunxi still had a group of enemies. After settling the demon matter, he would avenge that grudge. Within the mysterious space of the Falling Star Valley, it had become exceedingly chaotic. Upon learning that their hiding place had been exposed, all the demon race unleashed rampant killing intent. They knew that what awaited them was a siege by all cultivators of the Xiantian continent. Since death was inevitable, they resolved to fight to the death, beginning a massacre before the arrival of the Xiantian continent's cultivators. Seeing the uproar, Ma Tian grew angry. Enough. At his outburst, the demons quieted down. Things haven't reached an irredeemable point. What's all this commotion? Have you forgotten that this is the Falling Star Valley protected by a natural formation? If we hadn't stumbled in by accident, we couldn't have entered. I refuse to believe they'll stay here guarding us forever. We just need to endure until the star-obscuring diagram recovers its energy, then we can find another place to hide. After hearing Ma Tian's explanation, the demons began to cheer. This was clearly their glimmer of hope. No one wishes to die when survival is possible. In Mo Tian's view, the deduction was undoubtedly orchestrated by the great emperor behind Lin Fan. After all, given Lin Fan's own strength, it was impossible for them to have been reduced to such a sorry state. He refused to believe that the great emperor would intervene again. He had already confirmed that this great emperor was not on the Xiantian continent. Otherwise, the moment his location was divined, the emperor would have struck. Yet nothing had happened so far, proving that the emperor was far away. Divining their hiding place from such a distance would have required an immense cost. Even for a great emperor, it would be enough to cause considerable pain. Gui, where is it? Your great emperor master truly cherishes you. To go to such lengths for you across such a distance. Do not fall into my hands, or I shall make you understand what it means to wish for death. With that thought, Mo Tian's sinister laughter echoed through the entire space. Even the other demonic beings shuddered at the sound. Meanwhile, at Xiantian's location, a figure of great importance had arrived. Upon seeing the newcomer, Xiantian burst into hearty laughter. Brother Lei Jiao, I didn't expect you to come in person. When Xiantian addressed the visitor, everyone present was astounded. This Lei Jiao was none other than the progenitor of the Flood Dragon clan. In other words, the two most formidable powerhouses of the Xiantian continent had both gathered here. With them present, dealing with the remnants of the demon tribe would be a trivial matter. Lei Jiao, upon seeing Xiantian, greeted him with a smile. Brother Xiantian, since you have come, how could I stay away? If we do not eliminate these demons, the consequences will be disastrous. Now that they have revealed themselves, the Xiantian continent cannot tolerate such a scourge. Xiantian nodded in agreement. Brother Lei Jiao is right, these demons must not be spared. After a brief chat, Lei Jiao seized the opportunity to voice the question that troubled him. Brother Xiantian, you haven't told me yet. How did you find the demon's lair? For countless years they had been searching for the demon's lair. Yet despite repeated efforts, they had found nothing. Now suddenly uncovering the lair caught Lei Jiao by surprise. Brother Lei Jiao, you overestimate me. How could I possibly have found the demon's lair? It was someone else who discovered it. Someone else. Could it be that old fellow Tianji? Lei Jiao asked, curiously glancing at the quasi-emperor from the Tianji sacred ground. The quasi-emperor promptly stepped forward as Lei Jiao's gaze fell upon him. Senior Lei Jiao is too kind. The Tianji sacred ground cannot take credit for this. It has nothing to do with us. Hearing that it was not the work of the Tianji sacred ground, Lei Jiao grew even more intrigued. Brother Xiantian, has our Xiantian continent produced some extraordinary figure? Having long dwelled in the deep sea, he paid little attention to matters on land. Were it not for the gravity of the demon situation, he would not have bothered to leave. Brother Lei Jiao, indeed an extraordinary figure has emerged in Xiantian continent, a disciple of a great emperor. Even I cannot fathom him. The discovery of the demon's lair was divined by his master, a disciple of a great emperor. How fascinating. Is he here? Lei Jiao was immensely curious about Lin Fan, the great emperor's disciple. He longed to see what kind of person could be accepted as a student by a great emperor. I'm afraid I must disappoint you, Brother Lei Jiao. Young friend Guyu did not come with us. Hearing that Lin Fan was absent, Lei Jiao was indeed disappointed. Subsequently, people arrived one after another to gather. They included both humans and demons. In total, there were 28 of them. Of course, these 28 were all quasi-emperor level powerhouses, those below that rank were not counted. Moreover, not all of them came from emperor level forces. Some quasi-emperor level forces also participated. The difference between an emperor level force and a quasi-emperor level force was that the former possessed an imperial weapon while the latter did not. Naturally, quasi-emperor level forces were also inferior in terms of cultivation techniques and martial skills. In other respects, there was little difference. Once Xiantian saw that most had arrived, he gathered everyone together. Everyone is here. Rest today, and we will set out for Meteorite Valley at dawn tomorrow. Naturally, no one objected to Xiantian's arrangement. As for Lin Fan, he was traveling with Hume, leisurely making their way toward Meteorite Valley. The northern domain was a land of layered mountain ranges. After all, it was the territory of the demon beasts, and the environment was well suited for their survival. Lin Fan wanted to see if he could find any treasures in these places. He even released the purple lightning mink to help search for treasures. The purple lightning mink had not engaged in treasure hunting for a long time. Upon being released, it was visibly excited. Not that the Shenshao realm was bad. Its environment was unmatched anywhere. But staying inside all the time made the mink feel somewhat stifled. Naturally, it was born to hunt treasures, yet the Shunxiao realm was filled with them everywhere. It could not fully display its abilities. Only in the outside world could its talent shine. Watching the hopping mink, Hume covered her mouth with a smile. Husband, look, it's been so long since Xiao Zi came out, she's been feeling cooped up. Seeing the mink's reaction, Lin Fan also smiled. He resolved in his heart that whenever he had the chance he would go treasure hunting, it would be like a journey. Thus a man, a fox, and a mink wandered through the mountain ranges, stopping and starting looking utterly carefree. Time quickly passed to the next day, and Lin Fan and Hume arrived near Meteorite Valley. As for the purple lightning mink, it had returned to the Xinxiao realm. Then Lin Fan and Hume flew into the clouds to conceal themselves. If anyone else had done this, they would certainly have been discovered. But Lin Fan had the clan's divine tree shield their aura. Thus hidden in the clouds, no one could detect them. Husband, it seems there is a natural barrier in Meteorite Valley. I don't think I can break through its defense. When those people arrive, will they fail? As a quasi-beast emperor at the 9th level, Hume immediately spotted the problem. Lin Fan also noticed the barrier. Mayor, this barrier is indeed formidable. It would be difficult for a quasi-emperor to break it through brute force alone unless they wield a supreme imperial weapon. Hearing that a supreme imperial weapon could break the barrier, Hume's eyes lit up. She possessed such a weapon, meaning she could break the barrier. Of course, for Lin Fan, who possessed the reincarnation double pupils, it was equally possible to break through this barrier. He could even see every detail within the barrier with absolute clarity. Xian Tian and his companions arrived at Meteor Star Valley before long, not making Lin Fan and Hume wait too long. Lei Jiao surveyed the barrier, his brow furrowing involuntarily. Fellow Taoist Xian Tian, this barrier appears remarkably formidable. Do you have a way to break through it? Xian Tian frowned slightly, for although he had extensive knowledge of formations and barriers, it only reached the lower tier of the divine class. This natural barrier before them, however, was infinitely closer to the pinnacle of the divine class. He truly had no solution for it. Fellow Taoist Lei Jiao, you know my abilities. I cannot break through this barrier. The only way to force entry would likely require deploying a supreme Tao divine weapon. Fellow Taoist Xian Tian, this voice seems somewhat familiar to me as well. Do you recognize this fellow? Xian Tian also found it vaguely familiar. He had certainly encountered this person before. With that, Xian Tian's expression turned grim. He had indeed brought a supreme Tao divine weapon with him, this time prepared for exactly such contingencies. After all, he had no idea whether the demon race also possessed such weapons. In his estimation, the probability of these demons having supreme Tao divine weapons was extremely high. It was even possible they had more than one. Back then, several demon emperors had perished on the Xiantian continent, and their divine weapons might very well be in the hands of these demons now. If he were to waste his supreme Tao divine weapon on this barrier, and the demons then produced their own, he would be at a severe disadvantage. Upon hearing that a supreme Tao divine weapon was required, Lei Jiao's expression likewise darkened. He too had brought a clan's supreme Tao divine weapon, but he dared not deploy it rashly. Such a weapon was reserved for dire emergencies. The massive commotion outside had not escaped Ma Tian's perception. When he saw that the leaders were Xian Tian and Lei Jiao, a ferocious smile immediately spread across his face. Who would have guessed? To deal with our demon race, the Xiantian continent actually sent 2 of its strongest warriors. Too bad, with this natural barrier guarding me, what can you possibly do? With that thought, his slightly hoarse voice reached Xiantian and the others. Xiantian, Lei Jiao, it has been quite a long time. I wonder what brings you both on such an extravagant expedition to my Meteor Star Valley. Hearing Mo Tian's voice, Lei Jiao frowned. He felt that voice was somehow familiar, yet he could not quite place it. Xiantian closed his eyes and began to recall. Lei Jiao, seeing this, did not disturb him, but waited quietly nearby. But Mo Tian's voice rang out again. What, my 2 old friends, you still cannot recall who I am? His voice did not distract Xiantian, who remained in deep contemplation. A quarter hour later, Xiantian opened his eyes. Lei Jiao immediately asked, how is it, fellow Taoist Xiantian? Have you remembered who this fellow is? Lei Jiao, I have remembered. This person should be Mo Tian. I was assassinated by him once. Back when he was still a saint, venerable Xiantian had been assassinated by a member of the demon race, Mo Tian. That was a matter of considerable distance in the past, which was why it had taken Xiantian so long to recall. At that time, Xiantian was among the top geniuses of the human race, a key talent being nurtured by the Xiantian Academy. Such individuals were threats in the eyes of the demon race, and they naturally would not tolerate his rise. Lei Jiao was no different. His talent was also outstanding among his peers, placing him on the demon race's assassination list as well. Many human and demon clan prodigies had perished at the hands of demonic assassins during that era. Upon hearing the name Mo Tian, Lei Jiao instantly recognized who this person was. To think it's this cowardly wretch who has grown to such a level. Even from Mo Tian's voice alone, he could sense that the demon's strength was comparable to theirs. But it was not surprising. Motion's strength had been on par with theirs back then, and his talent must have been extraordinary. As long as he had survived intact, reaching this level of power was entirely reasonable. Motion, I see you still enjoy hiding in the shadows as before. Ha ha ha. Motion burst into loud laughter upon realizing Xiantian had recognized him. I never expected your memory to be so sharp, that so much time has passed, and you still remember me. Having confirmed it was indeed Motion, Xiantian's expression remained composed. Motion failing to kill you back, then has left a calamity for the Xiantian continent. But it does not matter. Today you will not escape. Escape? Ha ha. Motion was quite amused by Xiantian's words. Xiantian, why would I flee? Do not mistake me for being afraid simply because you and Lei Jiao join forces. If you have the courage, come inside. I would like to see whether you possess the ability to break through this barrier. Of course you may also deploy your supreme, Dao divine weapon. Lei Jiao, standing aside, felt a surge of anger and clenched his fists, but ultimately restrained himself. He knew that without deploying a supreme Dao divine weapon, there was truly nothing they could do against this fellow. Xiantian sensed Lei Jiao's fury and smiled, patting his arm to signal calm. Then he addressed Motion once more. Do not grow smug like a rat skulking in a drain. The Xiantian continent is full of gifted talents, and before long someone will crack this barrier. Then I shall see where you run to. Huh. Motion was amused once again by Xiantian's words. Xiantian, it seems you have also gone senile. Everyone can speak big words. If someone truly capable existed, you would have already sought them out. Why are you still wasting breath here with me? Xiantian no longer bothered to reply to Motion. He had already made up his mind. If all else failed, he would have to shamelessly request Lin Fan's assistance once more. Observing the standoff below, Lin Fan immediately sent a telepathic message to the watching Lin Yuhuang. Huang, follow my instructions next. I will teach you how to break through this barrier. Hearing Lin Fan's voice, Lin Yuhuang's face showed disbelief. Father, are you also at the scene? That is correct. I and your Aunt Humei are watching from above the clouds. Do as I say and rest assured. Hearing that her father and Aunt Humei were both present, Lin Yuhuang felt greatly reassured. She then gave Jun Yao's arm a gentle tug. Sensing Lin Yuhuang's gesture, Jun Yao regarded her with some confusion. Huang, is there something you wish? Master, please inform the clan ancestor. I have a way to break through this barrier. Upon hearing this, Jun Yao's face immediately showed astonishment. Huang, are you speaking the truth? This is no matter for jokes. After all, so many people are present. If you fail to break through it, it will damage your reputation in their eyes. Jun Yao did not doubt Lin Yuhuang's word. But given Lin Yuhuang's demonstrated strength, how could she possibly possess such profound expertise in formation arrays? Master, you must believe me. When have I ever joked about something like this? If you won't go, then I'll have to find the ancestor myself and explain the situation. Seeing Lin Yuhuang's firmness, Jun Yao gritted her teeth and went straight to Xiantian. Ancestor Huang says she has a way to break this formation. What? Are you serious? You're not joking with me. Xiantian exclaimed in shock. He was truly stunned by this news. Ancestor, as you know, Huang is also the grand disciple of that great emperor. Perhaps she possesses some means left behind by him. Jun Yao could only attribute this to the great emperor. How could one claim that Lin Yuhuang's formation expertise had reached the peak of the emperor's stage? If that were true, Xiantian would likely regard her as a fool. After all, such a feat was impossible. Xiantian, upon hearing this, also found Jun Yao's reasoning quite reasonable. As the grand disciple of the great emperor, perhaps she carried some trump card left by the great emperor. The nearby Lei Jiao, observing Xiantian's dramatic reaction, couldn't help but show curiosity. Daoist friend Xiantian, what has happened? Daoist friend Lei Jiao, we've found a way to break this formation. Really? Lei Jiao looked at Xiantian with disbelief. They had no idea what to do just moments ago, and now suddenly they had a solution. This was hard for him to believe. Of course it's true. Would I jest about something so critical? Saying this, he smiled and beckoned to Lin Yuhuang. Huang, come here for a moment. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuhuang walked straight up to Xiantian. Then she greeted him politely. Ancestor Huang, let me introduce you first. This is Patriarch Lei Jiao. He is the strongest in the Flood Dragon clan, and I wouldn't say he's any inferior to me. Greetings, Patriarch Lei Jiao. I am Gu Huang. Lei Jiao first nodded to Lin Yuhuang, then frowned, and looked at Patriarch Xiantian. I say, Daoist friend Xiantian, why have you summoned a young girl here? Are you implying she can break this formation? After saying this, Patriarch Lei Jiao looked at Patriarch Xiantian, as if to say, do you take me for a fool? Daoist friend Lei Jiao, don't be deceived by Huang's young age. Her background is far from ordinary. She is the grand disciple of that great emperor. That great emperor must have been aware of this formation and likely left some means for his grand disciple. Upon learning of Lin Yuhuang's identity, Patriarch Lei Jiao's eyes widened in astonishment. But soon his gaze toward Patriarch Xiantian carried a trace of envy. Daoist friend Xiantian, I never expected you would recruit the great emperor's grand disciple into the Xiantian Academy. Haha, it was merely a matter of fortunate coincidence. Now you should believe she has a way to break this formation, right? I wouldn't have believed it for anyone else, but since she is the great emperor's grand disciple, she might truly have a way to break this formation. Seeing Lei Jiao finally convinced Patriarch Xian Tian breathed a sigh of relief. Daoist friend Lei Jiao, from now on the two of us will guard her protection. We absolutely cannot allow any accidents to befall her here. Agreed. Patriarch Lei Jiao understood the gravity of the situation and immediately nodded in agreement. Seeing no objection from Lei Jiao, Patriarch Xian Tian turned his gaze back to Lin Yuhuang. Huang go ahead with confidence. The two of us will stand guard beside you and ensure no harm comes to you. Patriarch Xian Tian feared that the moment the formation was broken, the demons might launch an attack on Lin Yuhuang. So to guarantee Lin Yuhuang's safety, both he and Lei Jiao would simultaneously guard her. Then I thank both of you, ancestors. Lin Yuhuang did not refuse their kind intentions. Although she wasn't worried about danger to herself, for she could return to the Shunshao realm at any moment. Yet she couldn't possibly return to the Shunshao realm right then and there under everyone's watchful gaze. She could explain afterward that it was a life-preserving measure left by the great emperor ancestor, transferring her to another place at a critical moment. But since both ancestors intended to guard her, there was no need for such elaborate explanations. Following this, protected by the two ancestors, Lin Yuhuang began to break the formation according to Lin Fan's instructions. Meanwhile, Xian Tian inside laughed heartily upon witnessing this scene. Xian Tian and Lei Jiao, you two are growing more childish with age. Actually letting a young girl come here to break the formation. Are you trying to make me laugh myself to death here? Clearly Mo Tian did not take Lin Yuhuang seriously. She was merely at the Saint Realm, absolutely incapable of breaking this formation. Neither Xian Tian nor Lei Jiao spoke. Before the formation was broken, they hesitated to boast. If Lin Yuhuang failed to break it, they would find themselves in an awkward position. The same held true in reverse. Once the formation was shattered, it would mark Mo Tian's death. Thus there was no point in engaging in verbal sparring with him here. It served no purpose and would only provoke anger. Seeing no response from either person, a sense of ill omen suddenly arose within Mo Tian. Could this young girl truly possess the means to break this formation? Better safe than sorry. So Mo Tian did not delay. He immediately summoned all the demon race to gather at the entrance. If the formation were truly broken, they would have no choice but to fight to the death. Even if death awaited them, they would take several others down with them. Perhaps sensing what lay within, Xian Tian likewise issued commands to those quasi-emperors, ordering them all to stand ready and prepare for assault. Lin Yuhuang paid no mind to these movements. She was now following Lin Fan's instructions, advancing step by step inward. The main issue was that Lin Yuhuang's cultivation realm was somewhat low. If Lin Fan had acted himself, this formation would already have been shattered. Thus a full hour passed. A transparent ring of light suddenly appeared before everyone's eyes. No good. Within the formation, Mo Tian exclaimed in alarm upon seeing this. The formation is about to break. Everyone attack. Especially this young girl. Do not let her leave this place alive. As for Lin Yuhuang, Mo Tian harbored a hatred that ran deep to his bones. If not for Lin Yuhuang's intervention, they would never have fallen to such a desperate state. The other demons now likewise displayed frenzied expressions. They knew they had reached a dead end, and now it was a fight to the death. Meanwhile, Xian Tian and the others showed expressions of delight. The appearance of this light ring indicated they had reached the critical juncture. Only one final step remained to completely shatter the formation. At this moment, Lei Jiao began calling out to everyone. Everyone get ready. The moment the formation breaks, charge in immediately. Absolutely no demon shall escape from this place. Patriarch Lei Jiao, rest assured, we guarantee no demon will escape. Though the demons numbered in great quantity, they too had many quasi-emperors on their side. Against quasi-emperors, those demons below the quasi-demon emperor level were utterly defenseless. Suddenly a crisp sound rang out, and the formation that had protected the demon race for countless years announced its collapse. Die. The moment the barrier vanished, Mo Tian struck at Lin Yuhuang, hidden within the clouds, who may have been vigilantly observing the commotion below. Seeing Mo Tian's intent to attack Lin Yuhuang, she immediately prepared to intercept him. Lin Fan, however, promptly stopped her. Husband, why are you stopping me? Huang is in danger. Do not worry. Look. Lin Fan pointed toward Xian Tian and Lei Jiao, who may cast her gaze downward, and saw that Xian Tian and Lei Jiao had already taken action. In truth, Xian Tian and Lei Jiao had long been on guard against a surprise attack from Mo Tian, so they were not unprepared. The instant the barrier dissolved, they moved in unison with clearly divided responsibilities. Ancestor Xian Tian, fearing that the battle might harm Lin Yuhuang, shielded her and retreated at the first opportunity. Meanwhile, Lei Jiao had been gathering power even before the barrier vanished. When Mo Tian launched his attack, Lei Jiao simultaneously struck back. Their clash ended in a draw, with neither side gaining the upper hand. Seeing that Lin Yuhuang had been safely taken away by Xian Tian, rage flickered across Mo Tian's face. He was filled with hatred toward her. If not for Lin Yuhuang, the barrier would never have been broken, and they would all have remained safe. By stalling until the star shade diagram recovered, they could have relocated to another hiding place. But now it was too late for regrets. He simply could not fathom how a mere Sage Realm cultivator like Lin Yuhuang could possess such abilities. It defied all logic. Oomph. Seeing Mo Tian's fury, Lei Jiao let out a cold snort and began to taunt him. Mo Tian, a mighty quasi-demon emperor of the 9th layer, stooping to ambush a junior in the Sage Realm. How utterly shameless. Fortunately, we were prepared, otherwise you might have succeeded. Mo Tian, however, remained utterly indifferent to Lei Jiao's mockery. Lei Jiao, I am a demon. Our kind knows only slaughter, not your so-called righteousness and morality. It is a pity that I failed to kill that little girl. Truly disappointing. Seeing Mo Tian's still gloating, Lei Jiao's eyes blazed with murderous intent. It is precisely because your demon race revels only in slaughter that all other races despise you. Your kind should not exist in this world. You have incurred the wrath of all. One day your entire race will vanish from the Shenhuang realm. Ha ha ha. Mo Tian threw back his head and laughed. You are a frog at the bottom of a well. Do you truly believe that your demon beast race can annihilate us? How utterly deluded. Even the demon beast ancestor of your Tianyao continent would not dare utter such words. Their demon race ranked among the top powers in the entire Shenhuang realm. Though the demon beasts were formidable, they were no match for the demons. Just then Ancestor Xian Tian, having safely delivered Lin Yuhuang to Jun Yao, reappeared beside Lei Jiao. He too had heard Mo Tian's arrogant words. Mo Tian, it is true that the demon beasts alone cannot accomplish this, but what if we humans join forces? In truth, Xian Tian himself was uncertain of the human race's standing in the Shenhuang realm. He posed the question merely as a probe. Now what do you think? Mo Tian shot Xian Tian a cold, contemptuous glance. If our demon race were so easily destroyed, would we still stand unshaken in the Shenhuang realm to this day? Is it because the other races have no desire to annihilate us? No, it is because our demon race is too powerful. They dare not provoke us. Let me tell you, our demon ancestors' goal is to unify the entire Shenhuang realm. You may have won today, but do not be complacent. When our demon army descends, you will all become our blood sustenance. In the future, the entire Xiantian continent, nay the entire Shenhuang realm, will be our demon race's breeding ground. Having said this, Mo Tian paid no heed to the expressions of Lei Jiao or Xiantian. He directly summoned the demons behind him. Escape is impossible today. My clansmen charge. Kill them all. At Mo Tian's call, the demons behind him, as if injected with stimulants, surged forward like mad. Xiantian and Lei Jiao were not to be outdone. One summoned the human experts, the other the demon beast experts. Soon the two sides clashed in battle. In terms of numbers, the demons held the advantage. But in terms of high-level power, Xiantian and Lei Jiao's side had the edge. The demon quasi-demon emperors had to face 2 or even 3 quasi-emperors attacking them simultaneously. Even Mo Tian had to contend with the combined assault of Xiantian and Lei Jiao. Against him, they would not observe any code of martial honor. After all, Mo Tian himself had said the same. They were merely repaying him in kind. Jun Yao did not engage the quasi-demon emperors, but instead confronted the demon army below that rank. Against her, those demons had no power to resist. With every strike, Jun Yao slew a vast swath of enemies. Lin Yuhuang wished to join the fray and slay demons for the thrill, but she found no opportunity. The demons were all killed by Jun Yao before they could even reach her. The great battle did not last long. Under such a disparity in strength, soon only Mo Tian remained among the demons. It must be said that Mo Tian was exceptionally powerful. Even when facing the combined assault of Ancestor Xian Tian and Ancestor Lei Jiao, he still had the strength to fight back. Mo Tian had long anticipated their defeat. Thus, seeing this scene, he showed no sign of sorrow. Xian Tian, Lei Jiao, since you have pushed me to this point, I will hold nothing back. Now let me witness your true strength. Do not disappoint me. As he spoke, a blood-red long blade appeared in Mo Tian's hand. The blade exuded an aura of malevolence, as if it could devour everything. Cultivators below the quasi-emperor level who merely glanced at it felt their minds waver. Fortunately, the quasi-emperors present noticed the anomaly and promptly snapped them out of it. This is an ultimate Dao artifact. Both Xiantian and Lei Jiao wore solemn expressions. They had long suspected that these demons possessed an ultimate Dao artifact. Yet when they actually saw Mo Tian produce one, they could not help but feel a tremor of fear. Moreover, the blade looked incredibly sinister and was undoubtedly of formidable power. In contrast to their shock, Humei seemed eager to try it out. She could sense that Mo Tian was extremely powerful, far beyond the Qi family ancestor. This opponent was perfect for her to sharpen her skills. With this thought, she immediately turned to Lin Fan. Husband, may I use this fellow for practice? Of course, but you must first change your appearance. Since Humei had this intention, Lin Fan naturally would not refuse. Seeing his agreement, Humei's face lit up with excitement. Thank you, husband. With that, Humei altered her appearance. Concealed by the family's divine tree, there was no need to worry about anyone detecting anything unusual. My lord husband, I am ready. Then let us descend now. As he spoke, Fan Lin and Hu Mei suddenly appeared beside Lin Yuhuang. Sensing someone suddenly appear, Jun Yao revealed a wary expression. When she saw it was Fan Lin and an unfamiliar woman, Jun Yao was somewhat stunned. Jun Yao was stunned, but Lin Yuhuang by her side was not. She hurriedly walked to Fan Lin and Hu Mei, putting on a show of surprise and asking, "Father Annie, why have you come?" Although Hu Mei had changed her appearance, she could not hide from her. At first glance, she recognized the person before her as Hu Mei. Hu Mei had the family's divine tree to conceal her aura, and she possessed the same. Facing Lin Yuhuang's inquiry, Hu Mei also pretended to be angry. "You silly girl, we came to protect you out of worry for your safety. You really are coming to such a dangerous place. You don't even consider your current cultivation level. Fortunately, your mother hasn't learned of this yet, otherwise punishment would be unavoidable upon our return." With that, Hu Mei winked at Lin Yuhuang. Lin Yuhuang understood at once, then immediately put on an apologetic expression and said, "Father Auntie, it was my fault for making you worry. But under no circumstances must you tell mother. Otherwise she will surely punish me severely." With that, Lin Yuhuang looked at the two with a pleading gaze. When putting on a performance, one must commit to the end. Jun Yao, listening from the side, understood the situation. It turned out Fan Lin had come out of concern for Lin Yuhuang's safety. Indeed, if one's child came to such a perilous place, who could remain indifferent? However, judging by the woman's demeanor, she seemed to be a formidable figure. She carefully examined Hu Mei, yet no matter how she looked, she could not sense any extraordinary aura from her. It was as if the other woman were an ordinary mortal. Yet this was clearly impossible. Jun Yao composed herself and then approached Fan Lin. "Fellow Taoist Guyue, I never expected you to follow us here as well. I had no choice, so I could not rest easy about Huang, so I followed to check on her. By the way, this is my beloved wife, Hu Mei." Since there were no acquaintances present, there was no need for an alias. As for the disguised appearance, that was still necessary. They had been seen earlier, and revealing their true faces might draw unwanted attention. After hearing Fan Lin's introduction, Jun Yao smiled and greeted Hu Mei. "Fellow Taoist, Hu, it is an honor to meet you." "Fellow Taoist, Jun Yao is too kind. Over the years, Huanger has also relied on your care." "What are you saying, fellow Taoist Hu? As Huanger's master, it is only right that I should care for her." Just as Hu Mei was about to say more, she sensed that a battle was about to break out nearby. P10 was intended to be her practice target. She could not let others steal the kill. Time was of the essence, so she immediately said to Jun Yao, "Fellow Taoist Jun, let us set aside this conversation for now. I must go confront that P10. We can continue discussing after he is dealt with." Hearing that Hu Mei intended to face P10, Jun Yao was greatly shocked. She never expected Hu Mei to actually take on P10. He was a great demon at the 9th level of the quasi-demon emperor realm, possessing incomparably formidable strength. However, before she could open her mouth to dissuade her, Hu Mei had already departed. Seeing this, Jun Yao immediately showed an anxious expression. "Fellow Taoist Guyue, why do you not stop her? That P10's strength is terrifying. Even if our ancestral ancestor Xiantian and Lei Jiao ancestor joined forces, they could not defeat him in a short time." However, before Fan Lin could speak, Lin Yuhuang by the side interjected. "Master, rest assured on this matter. My aunt's strength is no ordinary feat. Just stay here and enjoy the show." "What?" Jun Yao was utterly stunned by Lin Yuhuang's words. If Lin Yuhuang could say this, it meant Hu Mei's strength had already reached the 9th level of the quasi-emperor realm. Thinking of this possibility, Jun Yao looked at Fan Lin with eyes full of astonishment. She could not comprehend what means Fan Lin had used to wed such a powerful figure as his wife. On the battlefield, Xiantian and the others also showed expressions of surprise upon noticing the suddenly appearing Hu Mei. However, before they could ask, Hu Mei smiled and said, "You two, why don't you rest aside for now? Leave this fellow to me." This. Xiantian and Lei Jiao were completely bewildered by this sudden turn of events. After a long while, Xiantianzi finally spoke. "Fellow Taoist, may I ask your identity?" He did not believe Hu Mei was foolish enough to come seeking death. Since she was not acting recklessly, it meant she was like them, a powerhouse at the 9th level of the quasi-emperor realm. Yet they knew every quasi-emperor at the 9th level across the entire Xiantian continent. There was absolutely no one like Hu Mei among them. "My name is Hu Mei, and Guyue is my husband." Hearing that she was Fan Lin's wife, ancestor Xiantian finally understood. Clearly Hu Mei was not from the Xiantian continent, so it was natural that he did not know her. Since she was Fan Lin's wife, there was nothing further to worry about. "Fellow Taoist, Hu, beware of the supreme emperor weapon in his hand. We will support you from the sidelines." With that, he pulled Lei Jiao to the side. "Fellow Taoist Xiantian, do you think she is reliable?" Lei Jiao asked curiously. "Rest assured, since she is fellow Taoist Guyue's Tao companion, she must certainly be extraordinary." At this moment, ancestor Xiantian had already assumed that Hu Mei was a protector arranged by Fan Lin's master for him. As for the status of Tao companion, it was very likely merely a cover to mislead others. However, he did not voice this thought aloud. Lei Jiao too said no more and simply watched the developments on the battlefield. He wanted to see what capabilities Hu Mei possessed that dared her to confront P10 directly. "P10, is it? You dared to lay a hand on my Huang just now." Today I shall eradicate you. Emotion did not know who Huang referred to, but Hu Mei's declaration that she would destroy him struck him as deeply provocative. Although he was likely to die today, he would not allow just anyone to trample upon him. You wish to kill me. Let us see what you are capable of. Bring it on. With that, Emotion raised the long blade in his hand, ready to launch an attack at any moment. A Supreme Emperor weapon. I regret to inform you, I have one as well. Speaking, Hu Mei produced her Emperor-devouring whip. Seeing Hu Mei draw forth a Supreme Emperor weapon, Emotion was not particularly surprised, otherwise Hu Mei would not have dared to seek him out at this time. However, soon after he couldn't help but cry out in shock. How is this possible? What had he seen? He discovered that this Supreme Emperor weapon had already bound itself to Hu Mei as its master. He could tell at a glance, because the Emperor-devouring whip's aura was intertwined with Hu Mei's. Only a Supreme Emperor weapon that had completed the bonding process could achieve such a result. Even Xiantian and Lei Jiao were struck with awe at this sight. The fact that a quasi-emperor could make a Supreme Dao Imperial weapon recognize its master proved that Hu Mei possessed extraordinary cultivation talent. As long as she did not perish prematurely, she would surely become a great emperor in the future. Only someone like her could earn the recognition of a Supreme Dao Imperial weapon. By now, Emotion had no time to pay attention to Xiantian and Lei Jiao. Hu Mei, who had made the Supreme Dao Imperial weapon acknowledge her as its master, was even more formidable than Xiantian and Lei Jiao combined. Who exactly are you? Emotion asked, staring at Hu Mei with suspicion and uncertainty. Hu Mei glanced at Emotion and said, I am naturally the one who will kill you. Umph. Emotion snorted coldly. What brazen arrogance. Though Hu Mei had spoken the truth, he could not afford to show weakness. Besides, without a fight, no one could be certain of the outcome. Even though his chances of winning were slim. Enough, let's not waste time. Make your move. Let me see just how strong you really are. Don't disappoint me. It had been a long time since she had fought with all her might, and she hoped this Emotion would provide her with some amusement. Everyone evacuate quickly. Retreat billions of miles away, or you'll be caught in the aftershocks of the Supreme Dao Imperial weapon. Seeing that the two were about to clash, and with Supreme Dao Imperial weapons involved, Xiantian and Lei Jiao began urgently rallying everyone to evacuate. Witnessing the gravity of Xiantian and Lei Jiao's expressions, none of those present dared to delay and began fleeing at top speed. Jun Yao was about to leave with Lin Yuhuang, but she noticed that Lin Fan remained standing there unmoved. Seeing this, she quickly urged him. Daoist Gu Yue, we must leave this place at once. The aftershocks of a Supreme Dao Imperial weapon are beyond our ability to withstand. You cannot risk staying here. Hearing this, Lin Fan simply waved his hand. Daoist Jun Yao, do not worry about me. Take Huang and leave. I have my own means to deal with this. Without waiting for Jun Yao to continue persuading, Lin Fan took out the divine silkworm treasure robe. See, I came prepared. As he spoke, he donned the robe. He was already a considerable distance from the battle site. It was only the residual might of the Supreme Dao Imperial weapon. He wasn't foolish enough to stand still and let himself be struck. As long as he wore the divine silkworm treasure robe, the aftershocks of the Supreme Dao Imperial weapon could not harm him in the slightest. Unless he was directly attacked and did not dodge. But was he that foolish? How could he just stand there and let himself be hit? Seeing Lin Fan suddenly change into a treasure robe, Jun Yao was momentarily stunned. However, she quickly discerned the grade of the divine silkworm treasure robe. The Dao resonance it emitted could not be concealed from her. Daoist Gu Yue, this must be an imperial grade superior treasure robe, right? Though she already had the answer in her heart, she still couldn't help asking. Daoist Jun Yao is correct. It is indeed an imperial grade superior treasure robe. Having confirmed the robe's grade, a trace of envy flickered in Jun Yao's eyes. She too wished for such a treasure. Unfortunately, she did not have a great emperor as her master. Such a treasure could only be obtained once she herself broke through to the great emperor realm. Daoist Gu Yue, you truly live up to being the successor of a great emperor. You can casually produce such a high-level treasure. I suppose it was a gift from your master. Hearing this, Lin Fan smiled and nodded. Consider it a gift from my master. Calling the system his master seemed perfectly fine. His great achievements were inseparable from the system's help. However, the battle on the other side was about to begin, so Lin Fan urged Jun Yao. Daoist Jun Yao, the situation is urgent. Please take Huang to a safe place quickly. Once we have dealt with this Emotion, we will have plenty of time to catch up. Very well, I shall take Huang and leave. You must be careful as well. Although you have an imperial-grade superior treasure robe for protection, you must not let your guard down. When wielded by a quasi-demon emperor at the 9th level, the power of a Supreme Dao Imperial weapon is nearly comparable to that of a great emperor. Daoist Jun Yao, rest assured. I would never gamble with my life. Jun Yao said no more. She turned and flew outward with Lin Yuhuang. She understood the gravity of the situation and could not afford to waste any more time here. After everyone had left, Lin Fan even put on the void boots. These two treasures focused on speed and defense respectively. If he were to take out the void sword or the universe fan, given his current cultivation level, he could easily slay Emotion. At that moment, Emotion finally made his move. He raised the blood-red long blade in both hands and slashed toward Humei. To catch her off guard, he put all his strength into this strike. Playing such tricks before me. Do you truly take me for an ignorant novice? With those words, Humei swung the demon-devouring whip toward Emotion. A sharp crack resounded, and a spatial rift tore open directly in front of Humei. Though small, a portion of devastating power surged into the crack. The remaining majority of the power rushed straight toward the sinister blade light. In an instant, a tiny, barely visible rift appeared in front of Emotion. Then the power that had just entered the spatial rift surged out from that crack and flew toward Emotion. Since it traveled through space, its speed caught Emotion completely off guard. He was struck directly by that force. This was the offensive power of a supreme Tao Imperial weapon. Even a tiny fraction was more than Emotion could withstand. Emotion grunted, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Just as he fell, the attacks from Emotion and Humei collided with each other. A thunderous boom erupted and terrifying shockwaves radiated in all directions. Wherever they passed, mountains crumbled and rivers shattered. Within a span of billions of miles, the land instantly turned into a gigantic crater. Years later, this place would likely become a vast ocean. But Emotion was in even worse shape. Already injured, the shockwaves compounded his wounds. He spat blood again. Is that it? And here I thought you were formidable. Turns out you're nothing special. Far too fragile. Hearing Humei's taunts, Emotion's anger flared, causing him to spit blood once more. Not only is your strength lacking, but your mental fortitude is also poor. You can even cough up blood from that. Humei shook her head in disappointment. A ferocious glint flashed in Emotion's eyes. When had he ever been ridiculed like this? He then took out a black pill and swallowed it. Soon his blood vitality began to surge, and his overall aura soared. Interesting, a life force draining pill. Pity no matter how much of your remaining lifespan you burn, you'll never break through to the Great Emperor realm. After this battle, even if I don't kill you, you'll be dead anyway. Such a pill that sacrifices life force to boost power was bound to have severe side effects. Based on Emotion's condition, he could last at most a quarter of an hour before his vitality was completely spent. If Humei wanted to, she could drain him to death by attrition. But Humei didn't want to do that. Even if she burned through her life force, she still wouldn't be a match for him. However, this scene gave Xiantian and the others quite a fright in the distance. Though far away with their strength, they could still see clearly what was happening. First, they were astounded by Humei's strength. Even if they joined forces, they likely wouldn't be her match. Now, seeing Emotion burning his life force, they were also gripping their seats for Humei. In this situation, Emotion could unleash several times his normal power, but only once. After that, he would be essentially crippled. Emotion saw Humei standing there unmoved, and excitement dawned on his face. He had expected her to interrupt him, but never imagined she would ignore him completely. How utterly foolish. Woman, you are truly arrogant. You had the chance to stop me, yet you were so conceited. Now my power is equivalent to the Demon Emperor realm, with the only drawback being that I cannot use the power of laws. But even so, it's beyond what you can resist. Now it's your time to die. I can take a human prodigy with me before I perish. Worth it. Die. With that, Emotion swung his long blade again. Instantly, a blade radiance several times more terrifying than before surged toward Humei. Facing Emotion's taunts, Humei was utterly indifferent. A great emperor who cannot use the power of laws. Does that deserve to be called a great emperor? Not even a quasi-emperor. After all, the conflicts of great emperors revolved around laws, which is why all below the great emperor were mere ants. A man like Emotion daring to call himself a demon emperor was truly flattering himself. Since Emotion had launched his attack, Humei was not to be outdone. She once again swung her emperor-devouring whip toward the blade radiance hurtling toward her. Soon the two attacks collided. This clash was several times more terrifying than the previous one. Seeing the situation turn dire, Xiantian and Lei Jiao quickly urged those behind them to retreat further. They retreated to a distance of hundreds of millions of miles before stopping. When they looked back at their previous position, it had already been reduced to rubble. Had they still been standing there, the quasi-emperors might have gotten away with a minor injury. But those below quasi-emperor without protection would almost certainly have died. The cultivators below quasi-emperor saw this and broke out in a cold sweat. They couldn't help but marvel at the terror of quasi-emperor level experts. At the same time, it strengthened their resolve to break through to the quasi-emperor realm in the future. For Lin Fan, however, it did not affect him much. He still stood in the void, observing the situation below. Cough. Cough. Emotion coughed weakly, but his eyes fixed on Humei were full of disbelief. How could you so easily withstand such a powerful attack? How can you be this strong? Emotion truly couldn't understand. Humei's displayed strength far surpassed that of a normal quasi-emperor. He had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and never heard of such a powerful quasi-emperor, let alone seen one. If not for the absence of law power on Humei, he would have suspected she was a true great emperor. Seeing Emotion clinging to his last breath, Humei decided not to strike. She glanced at him indifferently and said, "Could it be that I'm not strong, but you're just too weak?" "Am I weak?" Mo showed a bitter expression. If he were truly weak, Xiantian and Lei Jiao together wouldn't have been unable to defeat him. But in Hu Mei's eyes he was indeed weak. Before her, he didn't even have a chance to resist. He could only pray in his heart that the demon race would quickly send powerful experts to the Xiantian continent. If they waited until Hu Mei truly grew. In the future, she might become a being on the level of the human ancestors. According to the records left by the demon race on the Xiantian continent, humanity had 3 human ancestors, each in existence of terrifying might. Each of them had surpassed the great emperor realm. As for the exact realm, no one knew. Those who had witnessed their battles were all dead. Of course, the demon race also had such experts, and in greater numbers than humanity. But if humanity gained another expert of that level, the situation in the Shenhuang realm might change. Unfortunately, the Tianma continent was too far away. He couldn't even send a message back. So he could only pray that the demon race would dispatch a great army to conquer the Xiantian continent soon. Then before Hu Mei grew strong, they would kill her. Finally, Mo took one last look at Hu Mei and breathed his last. Seeing that Mo had been dealt with, Lin Fan appeared beside Hu Mei. He then collected Mo's corpse into the Xinshao realm. This was excellent nourishment not to be wasted. The soul-devouring worm could devour the soul, and the bloodthirsty immortal vine could devour the flesh, a perfect 2-for-1 deal. During the battle between Hu Mei and Mo, Lin Fan had also taken the opportunity to collect all the other demon corpses into the Xinshao realm. His purpose in staying was exactly this. After all, Lin Fan didn't want to waste such abundant resources. Once these demon corpses were fully devoured, the soul-devouring worm and the bloodthirsty immortal vine would grow to unknown heights. But they would definitely possess strength comparable to quasi-emperors and not ordinary ones at that. Of course, devouring them all would take time. Lin Fan was not in a hurry though. The Xinshao realm now had a time flow 50 times faster. A couple of years outside would probably be enough. To be honest, Lin Fan truly envied the talent of the soul-devouring worm and the bloodthirsty immortal vine. Growing stronger just by devouring, it was too heaven-defying. Lin Fan stopped pondering and walked cheerfully to Hu Mei's side. Mayor, how did it feel this time? Not much fun, but at least the last move let me use all my strength, so it wasn't a wasted trip. Oh, you. Lin Fan didn't know what to say. He really couldn't understand why Hu Mei was such a battle junkie. A beauty as delicate as her. How could she be like that? Let's go. Those people are waiting. Hu Mei nodded and followed Lin Fan as they flew towards Xiantian and the others. As for the spoils, they had been taken. But the demonic blade was too evil. Lin Fan didn't intend for Hu Mei or the others to use it. At least for now, no one was suited for it. So he planned to seal it away after returning and see if anyone would be suitable for it in the future. Besides the demonic blade, Lin Fan had also found the star concealing diagram. All in all, this expedition had yielded rich rewards and Lin Fan was very satisfied. When Lin Fan and Hu Mei appeared before everyone, Xiantian and Lei Jiao hurried forward and bowed deeply to them. Thank you, fellow Taoist Gu Yu and fellow Taoist Hu, for rescuing us. If it were not for your assistance, the two of us would have suffered greatly against Mo. After consuming that pill, Mo's strength surged dramatically. Even if the two of us fought him together, we would undoubtedly suffer severe injuries. Without caution, we might even have lost our lives. For in his final moments, Mo would certainly have tried to take one of us with him. Thus both of them held deep gratitude toward Lin Fan and Hu Mei. Upon seeing this, Lin Fan quickly helped them rise. Fellow Taoists need not be so courteous. These demons have committed countless evils since we encountered them. How could we turn a blind eye? Upon hearing this, their respect for Lin Fan deepened further. Fellow Taoist Gu Yu demonstrates true righteousness. If you ever need anything in the future, please do not hesitate to ask. As long as it is within our power, we shall never refuse. Seeing their earnest words, Lin Fan indeed had a request to make of them. What he lacked most at present were spirit herb seeds. Xiantian could be regarded as the leader of the human race on the Xiantian continent. Lei Jiao was no ordinary figure either. The Jiao Dragon clan held a dominant position among the demon races. As the ancestor of the Jiao Dragon clan, Lei Jiao could also be considered a leader of the demon race. With their assistance, he could obtain a steady supply of spirit herb seeds. Backed by the entire Xiantian continent, he could populate the Xinshao realm with spirit plants in a short time. After pondering these matters, Lin Fan spoke directly. Fellow Taoists, I do indeed have a favor to ask of you both. Hearing that Lin Fan needed their help, both their eyes lit up. They were not afraid of Lin Fan seeking their assistance. Rather, they feared he would not come to them. As long as they could help Lin Fan, their bond with him would grow stronger. If Lin Fan never asked for their help, their relationship would gradually drift apart. Moreover, they might find it impossible to ask for his assistance in the future. Fellow Taoist Gu Yue, please speak your mind directly. I will spare no effort to assist you. Indeed, so shall I. This is hardly a significant matter for you. I require numerous seeds, whether spirit herbs, spirit fruits, or spirit rice. I need all types of seeds without restriction on quality or variety. The larger the quantity, the better. Of course, I will not take your seeds for free. I will pay you in yuan stones at market price. Lin Fan currently had no shortage of yuan stones. Within the Xinxiao realm, the Guangdi realm alone possessed hundreds of yuan stone veins. There were even more veins of other grades. Hearing that Lin Fan needed such a vast quantity of seeds, both were somewhat astonished. They could not fathom why he required so many seeds. However, this was not their concern to dwell upon. Moreover, this task posed no difficulty for them. A single word from them would ensure all factions would cooperate. He did not even need to persuade anyone, for representatives of all imperial-level factions were present. As long as they all agreed, this would be no issue at all. The decisions made by those present could essentially represent the entire Xiantian continent. Once they gave their approval, everything would be settled. Xiantian did not hesitate. He turned directly to the quasi-emperors of the human factions and said, "Gentlemen, I believe you have all heard fellow Taoist Guyu's request. Let me state first that my Xiantian Academy will fully assist fellow Taoist Guyu in collecting seeds. I wonder what your thoughts are. Senior Xiantian, we will also fully cooperate. Moreover, we do not need full market price in yuan stones. Paying 7/10 of the market rate would suffice." In truth, selling at 7/10 of market price would not leave them at a loss. After deducting production costs, the seeds themselves accounted for only 6/10 of the price, leaving 4/10 as profit. They would still earn a 1/10 profit even at the reduced price. Furthermore, Lin Fan's continuous orders would drive their costs even lower. In fact, their costs might drop to merely 5/10. Under these circumstances, they would actually profit more. Seeing these people so perceptive, Xiantian nodded with satisfaction. Lei Jiao, naturally unwilling to be outdone, rallied the demon faction forces under his leadership, and they too reached the same decision as the humans. Fellow Taoist Guyue, everyone has agreed. May I ask, where should the seeds be delivered? Simply send them to your Xiantian Academy. My daughter will handle the receipt. After all, Lin Yuhuang always remained at the Xiantian Academy. It would be most fitting to entrust this matter to her. Some assistance could be arranged for Lin Yuhuang at that time, ensuring her time would not be wasted. Lin Fan had not anticipated that this matter would be resolved so effortlessly. It truly filled him with excitement. With the aid of these imperial-level factions, he could finally realize his ambition of cultivating the Xinxiao realm with spirit plants. Lin Yuhuang, upon learning that Lin Fan had entrusted her with this task, was equally delighted. Xiantian had no objection to this arrangement either. In fact, he glanced triumphantly at Lei Jiao beside him. Lin Fan's daughter was a disciple of their academy. With this connection, the bond between the Xiantian Academy and Lin Fan would never sever. Meanwhile, Lei Jiao felt somewhat dejected. He too wished to forge a closer relationship with Lin Fan, but had yet to find the right opportunity. Following this, Lin Fan exchanged a few casual words with them before preparing to depart. "Gentlemen, the matters here have been resolved, so I shall take my leave." With that, Lin Fan smiled and nodded to Jun Yao before departing alongside Hu Mei. As soon as Lin Fan and Hu Mei departed, the others also took their leave. The demon threat had been eliminated, eradicating a thorn from their hearts. After all, these demons posed an unstable element to the entire Xiantian continent. Scattered remnants may still exist in other regions. Yet these rogue demonic forces would prove easily manageable. The Tianji sacred land need only intervene. Without the protection of the Zhixing map, the scattered demons would have nowhere to hide. Not long after departing, Lin Fan and Hu Mei had already returned to the Xinxiao realm. Upon learning of the demon's demise, everyone was overjoyed. After some conversation, Lin Fan summoned Mu Yunxi. "Yunxi, I nearly forgot one more matter." "What is it?" Mu Yunxi regarded Lin Fan with puzzled curiosity. "Naturally, it is time to avenge you. With our Lin family's current strength, it is long overdue to settle that score for you." Hearing Lin Fan's words, Mu Yunxi was deeply moved. Indeed, not only had Lin Fan remembered, but she herself had nearly forgotten those enemies. Those who joined later, like Hu Mei, upon hearing that Mu Yunxi still had enemies, also expressed their desire for revenge. They were now one entity, and Mu Yunxi's enemies were naturally their own. "Yunxi, tell us quickly, who is your enemy, and what happened back then?" Seeing Hu Mei's inquiry, Mu Yunxi did not conceal the truth and directly recounted the events of that time. Again, with the foreign races and the disgusting beast men. "Let's go, we'll annihilate them right now." Seeing Hu Mei's intention to set off immediately, Mu Yunxi hastily dissuaded her. "Sister, who, you've just fought a battle, why not wait until tomorrow? It's fine, that wasn't even a warm-up. Let's go now." After speaking, Hu Mei turned to Lin Fan. "Husband, what do you think?" "All right, it's settled." With that, Lin Fan teleported directly to the western region via the Xinxiao realm. Under Mu Yunxi's guidance, he accompanied Hu Mei and Mu Yunxi to the Lion Clan's lair. As the Lion Clan's stronghold, it was naturally protected by a formation. Its grade was not low, reaching the imperial grade lower rank, indicating considerable strength. However, to Lin Fan and his companions, this was nothing. Just as Lin Fan was about to use his reincarnation dual pupils to break the formation, Hu Mei stopped him. "Husband, a mere imperial grade lower defensive formation is not worth your effort. Let me shatter it with a single blow." If it were an imperial grade middle formation, Hu Mei might not have been confident. But an imperial grade lower formation was beneath her notice. Lin Fan knew Hu Mei hadn't had her fill of fighting today, so since she wanted to break it with brute force, he let her have her way. Inside the formation, the Lion clan remained unaware of the impending danger. They were singing and dancing, celebrating the joy of victory. They had just seized a batch of cultivation resources from a human faction, having wiped out that entire faction. They even captured many female cultivators for their pleasure. The female cultivators knew their fate and wore expressions of utter despair. "I curse you foreign races. May you all die a miserable death." Ha ha ha. Hearing the women's curses, the leader laughed heartily. "Did you hear that? They actually curse us to die a miserable death." Ha ha ha. The other Lion clan members joined in the laughter. "They, a mere human, want us to die horribly. How ridiculous. These weak humans are destined to be our food. Chief, how about we first enjoy the ones causing the most trouble, then cook them?" The chief naturally did not refuse. "Everyone has worked hard today. They are yours to enjoy." "Thank you, Chief, for your generosity." Outside the formation, Humei had finished gathering her strength. Then with a single punch, she struck the formation. A crack resounded. The Imperial-grade lower formation shattered instantly. It vanished without a trace in no time. Just as the Lion clan were about to proceed with their plans, such a tremendous commotion erupted. It truly startled them, especially the Lion clan chief, who abruptly rose from his seat. "What happened? Why did the formation shatter?" he exclaimed. "You? Go and check what's happening immediately." "Yes, Chief." But before he could act, Humei's voice rang out. "No need to check, we're already here." The next moment, the three of them appeared before the Lion clan. The Lion clan chief gazed at Lin Fan and his companions, his heart filled with caution. Able to shatter their clan's protective formation, the opponent must possess at least a quasi-emperor powerhouse. Moreover, it was no ordinary quasi-emperor. Their combat strength likely rivaled the 7th level of the quasi-emperor realm. Despite his caution, he could not show weakness. "Who are you and why have you destroyed our Lion clan's formation? Do you intend to wage war against us? Even if it means war, what can you do about it?" Lin Fan said indifferently. Scanning the scene before him, he understood precisely what the Lion clan intended to do next. These people regarded humans as food. How could he stand idly by? Even if they weren't Mu Yunshi's enemies encountering them, he would still eliminate them. This was not out of saintly compassion, but a matter of principle. The Lion clan chief hadn't expected Lin Fan to be so assertive. After all, this was Beastman territory. Their Lion clan did have a quasi-beast emperor, but only at the 6th level of the quasi-beast emperor realm. They were certainly no match for Lin Fan and his party. However, besides the Lion clan, there were other Beastman clans nearby. Not far away, the Tiger clan and Bear clan also possessed quasi-beast emperors, all at the 7th level or above. As long as he sent a distress signal, the fellow Beastman clans would not stand idly by. "Human, are you sure you want to start a war with us?" In his view, it was better to avoid conflict if possible. If fighting broke out, even with the aid of the Tiger and Bear clan powerhouses, the Lion clan would suffer heavy casualties. After all, this was the main battlefield, and the clan would inevitably be caught in the crossfire. "Husband, stop wasting words with them. Let's just attack." Humei was already eager. Lin Fan didn't immediately agree, but turned to Mu Yunshi. "Yunshi, are any of your enemies here?" "Yes, those few over there." Mu Yunshi pointed them out. A murderous gleam flashed in her eyes. She had nearly died at their hands back then. How could she not hate them? "Mayor, first capture those few, and the rest are yours to handle." Without hesitation, Humei reached out and seized the ones Mu Yunshi had indicated. The sudden move startled those individuals. The Lion clan chief roared, "What are you doing? Release them immediately, or else our Lion clan will never forgive you." As he spoke, he did not forget to send a message to their clan's ancestor. The presence of quasi-emperors was beyond his ability to handle. Lin Fan ignored the chief and signaled Humei to act. As for the captured ones, he left them to Mu Yunshi. Revenge is always more satisfying when taken personally. With Lin Fan's signal, Humei wasted no words, instantly slaying the beast venerable realm chief. This sudden turn of events terrified the Lion clan members present. They began to flee in panic. Humei's displayed power was far too terrifying. They were utterly unable to resist. "Ancestor, save us." The fleeing lion men began to cry out frantically, their faces etched with despair. Humei watched them with a mocking smile. "Save you? He'll have to be capable of that first. All of you die." Humei's movements did not cease. With each strike, swaths of lion men were annihilated. Just then a furious roar echoed from afar. "Stop, right there. Ancestor, it's the ancestor." The lion men's hearts leaped with joy upon hearing the voice, and relief flickered across their faces. With the ancestor's appearance, they would finally be spared from death. In their eyes, the ancestor was an invincible existence. As long as the ancestor was present, victory would surely swing to their side. Alas, they rejoiced too soon. Humei showed no sign of stopping. She continued her slaughter. Her actions plunged the lion men into despair once more. Why would this madwoman not stop even when their ancestor had arrived? In the span of a few breaths, countless more lion men were wiped out. Just as Humei prepared to strike again, a lion man exuding powerful aura blocked her path. "I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me?" The lion man ancestor stared coldly at Humei, his eyes brimming with murderous intent. Humei glanced at him and sneered. "I heard you, but why should I obey? Who do you think you are?" "You?" The Lion Man ancestor was momentarily speechless with rage. Had he not sensed Humei's overwhelming strength, he would have struck already instead of swallowing such humiliation. After a long pause, the Lion Man ancestor forced a scowl and demanded, "Who exactly are you people? Why do you attack my Lion Man? If you have no reason, don't blame me for being rude. Do I need a reason to attack you?" Humei gestured toward the captured women. "Look at these women you've seized. What grievance do they have against you? Why did you drag them here? Now you ask me for a reason. Isn't that laughable?" Confronted by Humei's accusations, the Lion Man ancestor was again left speechless. The Lion Men were born enemies of the human race. From time to time, they would go out to capture humans for their pleasure. Not only humans, but demon beasts were also part of their diet. They were beastmen, fundamentally different from both humans and demon beasts. They always had beast heads and human bodies, a form they maintained even after reaching the Beast Emperor realm. There was no such thing as transformation for them. Moreover, these creatures were extremely savage and bloodthirsty by nature. Though not as cruel as the demon race, they were not much better. It was precisely because of this that neither humans nor demon beasts held them in any regard. Humei saw the Lion Man ancestor fall silent. A cold smile crept across her face. "Old man, you have nothing to say now, do you? Today I will avenge all the lives you have taken." With that, Humei produced a high-grade Emperor-level longsword, a quasi-Emperor weapon. For this eyesore, she did not need to resort to her supreme Emperor weapon. A quasi-Emperor weapon was more than enough. "Die!" Humei roared and swung her sword. Startled by her attack, the Lion Man ancestor quickly retrieved a large blade. The blade was extraordinary, of low-grade Emperor-level quality. "Don't be so arrogant. Take this strike." The Lion Man ancestor bellowed and slashed at Humei. A thunderous crash followed, and the ancestor was sent flying backward. He spat blood, his body weakened. "How is this possible? Who are you? Why are you so strong?" The Lion Man ancestor could not accept the reality. He had broken through to the quasi-beast Emperor realm countless years ago, yet he had never been so humiliated. He could not even withstand a single blow from her. "Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that you are about to die, and I will send your entire clan to accompany you." As Humei prepared to deliver the killing blow, the Lion Man ancestor hastily threatened, "No, you can't do this. The commotion here has surely alerted the ancestors of the Tiger Men and Bear Men who are neighbors to my clan. I share a deep bond of life and death with those two ancestors. I am certain they are hurrying here as we speak. If you know what's good for you, leave now, and I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, when my brothers arrive, you are dead." In truth, he was not sure whether the Tiger Man and Bear Man ancestors would come. He was merely bluffing. If he could scare Humei away, this calamity would be averted. But Humei was not afraid. Even if those two came, she could simply kill them all as well. After all, those creatures were no better. "Ha, threatening me. You're not worthy." Humei raised her sword to slay him. "Stop." Two more roars came from afar. The Lion Man ancestor, who had been in despair, was overjoyed at the sound. "Ha! My brothers have come. You're doomed." He recognized the voices, the Tiger Man ancestor and the Bear Man ancestor. One was a quasi-beast emperor of the 7th tier, the other of the 8th tier. He did not believe Humei could defeat them both. "You celebrate too soon. Die." Without hesitation, Humei struck. No. The Lion Man ancestor could not believe she would dare to act now. Was she not afraid of death? Had he been in her place, he would have fled at this moment. But he was too wounded to dodge her sword. The Lion Man ancestor perished under Humei's blade. "You seek death." The Tiger Man and Bear Man ancestors roared in fury as they saw their comrade fall before their eyes. They had sensed the disturbance and rushed here at top speed, but arrived too late. "How dare you? We told you to stop, yet you pretended not to hear. Do you think we are nothing?" Humei glanced at them dismissively. "Don't flatter yourselves. Just because you told me to stop, I should obey. You overestimate your importance. If you dare make a move, I won't hesitate to kill you both as well." Hearing Humei's words, the Tiger Clan Patriarch and the Bear Clan Patriarch grew even more furious. They hadn't expected that this human who was only at the 7th stage quasi-emperor realm would dare to disregard them. In fact, Humei had deliberately concealed her aura at the 7th stage quasi-demon emperor. If she had truly released the aura of a 9th stage quasi-demon emperor, those two would never have dared to come looking for trouble. "Human, you have thoroughly enraged us. Now you shall pay the price for your arrogance with your life. Die." The Tiger Clan Patriarch at the 8th stage quasi-beast emperor struck first, throwing a punch at Humei. In his view, with Humei only at the 7th stage quasi-emperor, she would never be able to withstand his blow. Even if she survived, she would be severely injured. So he didn't even bother to draw his weapon. With Brother Tiger making a move, this human woman will either die or be gravely wounded. The Bear Clan Patriarch watched coldly from the side. Unfortunately, the scene he wished to see would never come to pass. That punch from the Tiger Clan Patriarch was easily blocked by Humei. "Since you dared to strike at me, then you shall die as well." Humei let out a cold laugh, once again raised her longsword, and slashed toward the Tiger Clan Patriarch. This time Humei no longer concealed her strength. She directly unleashed the full power of the 9th stage quasi-demon. "No, how is this possible? You are actually a 9th stage quasi-emperor powerhouse. Although it was only a single stage difference, their strengths were worlds apart. Now that you know, it's too late. Die. You humans are truly despy. Before the Tiger Clan Patriarch could finish his words, Hu Mei's sword struck him down. What a useless waste, can't even withstand a single strike from me. After her taunt, Hu Mei turned her gaze to the Bear Clan Patriarch. Having witnessed the Tiger Clan Patriarch's death, the Bear Clan Patriarch began to tremble all over. He never expected Hu Mei's strength to be so terrifying. The Tiger Clan Patriarch had been killed right before his eyes with such ease. If even the strongest Tiger Clan Patriarch couldn't withstand her, what hope did he have? Hey Bear, you're next. I'll let you strike first. Seeing this, the Bear Clan Patriarch immediately began to beg for mercy. Spare my life, senior. What if I said I was just passing by? Do you think I believe you? Hu Mei said coldly. She truly hadn't expected the Bear Clan Patriarch to be so shameless, willing to say such things just to save his life. Utterly shameless. Senior, I truly know I was wrong. Please spare my life. Although the Bear Clan Patriarch appeared humble at the moment, but in his heart he had already decided that if he could leave alive, he would report everything to the Beastman Imperial Court. The reason the Beastman race had not been wiped out by the native forces of the Xiantian continent was that all Beastman clans had united to establish a Beastman Imperial Court in the western region, clustering together for warmth. Only thus could they continue to survive on the Xiantian continent. Now, although there were some human forces in the western region, they were few in number. Their overall strength was much weaker than the Beastman Empire. In the end, almost the entire western region was the territory of these Beastmen. In terms of overall strength, the Beastman race was considerably weaker than the Yao clan and the human race. However, whether it was the humans or the Yao clan, eradicating the Beastmen would certainly require a significant cost. It was precisely for this reason that they allowed the Beastmen to dominate the western region. Fortunately, the resources in the western region were scarcer than in other regions. Without sufficient resources, the Beastmen could not develop quickly, which served to curb their growth. This was also why the humans and the Yao clan were not worried about their expansion. Of course, there was another reason at that time. Both humans and Yao clan were focused on fighting the Mo clan, leaving no time to deal with the Beastmen. Now that the Mo clan had been destroyed, it was likely that the humans and the Yao clan would soon unite to eradicate the Beastmen. Hu Mei did not see through this fellow's hidden intentions. But Hu Mei knew that he was definitely up to no good. She was too lazy to waste words with him. She raised her longsword once more and slashed toward the Bear Clan Patriarch. No. The Bear Clan Patriarch never imagined that even after kneeling and begging for mercy, Hu Mei would still not spare him. In the end, the Bear Clan Patriarch also died beneath Hu Mei's blade. With the death of the Bear Clan Patriarch, the scene fell into utter silence. The remaining Lion Clan members no longer harbored any hope. All three patriarchs had died here. Even if they wanted to flee, they couldn't escape, so why waste the effort? Even so, Hu Mei had no intention of letting them go and directly killed them all. Meanwhile, Lin Fan was not idle either. These were all food for the soul-eating bugs and blood-sucking immortal vine. He couldn't let them go to waste. In no time, he had collected them all into the Xinxiao realm. As for Mu Yunqi, she also personally avenged herself on these enemies, and in a particularly gruesome manner. Seeing the miserable state of these fellows finally allowed her to vent her anger. Finally, Lin Fan and the other two walked over to the women who had been captured by the Lion Clan. At this moment, the women looked at Lin Fan and his companions as if they were divine beings. They never imagined that they would be rescued from certain death, and that their saviors possessed such terrifying strength. The entire Lion Clan tribe had been uprooted, except for those who were away and hadn't returned. No one in the tribe had survived. Seeing them still in a daze, Hu Mei immediately reminded them. All right, everyone, come back to yourselves. You are safe now. Hearing the word safe, all the girls wept with joy. Then they bowed to Lin Fan and the others, saying, "We thank you, seniors, for saving our lives." Seeing this, Hu Mei felt a great sense of accomplishment. Then she waved her hand at them and said, "You don't need to be polite. We came for revenge. Just saving you was just incidental. No matter what, it was you seniors who saved us. We will always remember this kindness." Seeing that they insisted, Hu Mei stopped dwelling on it. "By the way, how were you captured and brought here?" Hu Mei voiced her curiosity. "Senior, we were originally disciples of the Yunshan sect. Our sect had a sacred emperor realm powerhouse guarding it. In the western region, it was considered a fairly powerful sect. However, not long ago our sect obtained a low-grade imperial soul-nourishing herb. But before we could rejoice for long, the news was leaked. In the end, the news reached the ears of the Lion Clan tribe. You must have guessed what happened next. Upon learning of this, the Lion Clan immediately brought a large group of Lion Beastmen to seize it. In the end, our Yunshan sect was annihilated, and only we survived." As she spoke, her eyes were filled with sorrow. Seeing them so sorrowful, Mu Yunqi spoke up to comfort them. "Do not grieve any longer. Now that the Lion tribe has been destroyed by us, we have avenged you. What are your plans from here on?" Hearing Mu Yunqi inquire about their intentions, they became somewhat lost. They had grown up within the sect since childhood. Now that the sect was destroyed, they knew not where to go. Of course, they all possessed cultivation, so survival was not a concern. The strongest among them had even reached the sage realm. Yet without the protection of the sect, acquiring cultivation resources would certainly be less favorable than before. Seeing them silent, Mu Yunxi knew they had no place to go. She wished to take them in, but such a decision required Lin Fan's approval. Thus, she turned her gaze to Lin Fan. Husband, they are quite pitiable. Why not take them in? After all, we are short on hands. Lin Fan had no objection to taking them in. The Xinxiao realm was in dire need of more people. Moreover, their talents were not lacking. The weakest were at the Zifu realm, and the strongest had reached the Sage realm. If they were willing, a Sage-level faction could be established quickly. However, whether they would choose to follow them remained uncertain. If they were unwilling, Lin Fan would not force them. Yunxi, I have no issue with taking them in, but you must ask for their thoughts. Seeing Lin Fan agree, Mu Yunxi beamed with joy. She believed that as long as these people were not foolish, they would surely be willing to follow them. Ladies, I trust you have heard the conversation between my husband and me. What are your thoughts on this matter? Mu Yunxi's words drew the attention of the thousands present to the strongest woman among them. Her name was Yunming, the holy maiden of Yunshan's sect, possessing the strength of the 8th layer of the Sage realm. She was the most powerful among them. Yunming was not foolish. She had been worrying about where to go next. Now that Lin Fan was willing to take them in, how could she refuse? Moreover, Humei had just effortlessly slain several quasi-emperor level experts. With such a formidable protector, their future would only be brighter. Such a great opportunity lay before them. Even a fool would not reject it. With this realization, Yunming immediately knelt down. Grateful for your kindness, I, Yunming, am willing to lead the disciples of Yunshan's sect to follow you, braving fire and water without hesitation. Seeing Yunming's actions, the others also knelt. We are willing to follow you, braving fire and water without hesitation. Lin Fan was quite satisfied with their sincerity. He then waved his hand. Everyone rise. Since you are all willing to follow me from now on, you are members of the Lin family. Thank you, benefactor. Lin Fan nodded, and then said to Mu Yunxi, I will send them into the Xinxiao realm shortly. You go back and arrange things. Seeing that Lin Fan was not returning to the Xinxiao realm with her, Mu Yunxi was puzzled. Husband, is there something else you need to handle? Lin Fan turned to look in the direction of the Tiger tribe and Bear tribe. Indeed, there is something. I plan to go with Mayor to eradicate the Tiger tribe and Bear tribe. Their ancestors dared to attack us. How could I let them off? Besides, these tribes have done nothing good, so it is only fitting to uphold justice. Mu Yunxi fully agreed with Lin Fan's plan to eliminate these two tribes. Since they had provoked them, there was no need for them to exist. It would also be a way to cleanse the Xiantian continent of some cancers. Husband, you and sister Hu go ahead. I will take care of the rest. Lin Fan nodded, and then teleported all these people into the Xinxiao realm. However, he did not leave immediately. A large beastman tribe like this must have left behind considerable resources. Under the gaze of his Samsara divine pupils, Lin Fan soon located the lion tribe's treasury. Yet upon entering, Lin Fan was somewhat disappointed. Apart from some spirit stones and miscellaneous items, there was nothing of value. But even a scrap of meat is still meat. Since he was here, he would not leave empty-handed. Soon Lin Fan stored everything in the treasury into his system's storage space. Next, Lin Fan conducted a thorough check. Confirming nothing was left behind, he and Humei flew toward the location of the Tiger tribe. At this moment, the Tiger tribe was far from calm. They had discovered that their ancestor's life tablet was shattered, meaning their ancestor had perished. This news was a thunderbolt to them. Without their ancestor, a quasi-beast emperor, the Tiger tribe's status among the beastmen would plummet. If their enemies learned of this, they would surely not let them off. Chieftain, our ancestor has fallen. What should we do now? The Tiger tribe chieftain was also in despair. What worried him most was whether the one who killed their ancestor would come for them. If so, the end of the Tiger tribe was near. Everyone, our ancestor has fallen. The enemy who killed him might be heading toward our tribe. Therefore, our top priority is to seek aid from the imperial dynasty. Only if they send strong reinforcements can we survive this calamity. Otherwise, we need not consider the future. We may be annihilated today. The one who killed our ancestor is beyond our ability to resist. The chieftain's words filled everyone present with panic. They had indeed overlooked this possibility. If the one who killed their ancestor was truly heading their way, even seeking aid from the imperial dynasty now would be too late. Yet after the panic, someone immediately sent a message to the imperial dynasty. Others began to seek help from neighboring tribes. Even the Bear tribe received their distress signal. They did not know that their own ancestor had died in the same place as the Tiger tribe's ancestor. At this moment, the Bear tribe was in the same panic as the Tiger tribe. Especially after receiving the Tiger tribe's plea for help, they became even more frightened. The simultaneous death of their ancestor and the Bear tribe's ancestor was no coincidence. The reason they did not know the specifics was that their ancestors had not informed them of the details before leaving. They only knew that their ancestors had left the tribe, but not for what purpose. Yet before long, news of their ancestors' deaths arrived. This caught them completely off guard. Subsequently, the Bear clan made the same decision as the Tiger clan and began seeking aid from the Beastman imperial dynasty. With no other recourse remaining, supplication was their sole option. As for fleeing, that was impossible. It was not a matter of unwillingness. It was simply beyond their grasp. Escaping before a quasi-emperor was nothing but a futile exercise. Had they possessed even mid-tier imperial flying vessels, there might have been a sliver of hope, but they had none. Upon receiving the distress messages from both the Tiger and Bear clans, the Beastman Imperial Dynasty convened an immediate imperial assembly. Your subjects, what are your thoughts on the distress messages from the Tiger and Bear clans? Upon hearing his ruler's inquiry, a fox-headed Beastman stepped forward. He belonged to the Fox clan, which was the imperial family of the Beastman Imperial Dynasty, and he was also the ruler's royal uncle. Your Majesty, I deem this inadvisable. Uncle, in what way is it inadvisable? The ruler asked with a furrowed brow. Your Majesty, the two elders of the Tiger and Bear clans are not to be underestimated. One has reached the 7th level of the quasi-beast emperor, while the other has attained the 8th. By the way, we sent a message to the lion ancestor, but received no response. That's why I suspect the lion clan has already been destroyed. In other words, even when the 3 quasi-beast emperors fought together, they were still slain. It goes without saying that the human who killed them must have reached the 9th level of the quasi-emperor. Upon hearing that the opponent might be at the 9th level of quasi-emperor, all the beastmen present were thoroughly shaken. The Beastman Imperial Dynasty had only 3 warriors at that level. A powerhouse of this caliber must not be dispatched rashly. Should they engage, they could easily fall to a human's ambush. The loss of even one quasi-beast emperor at the 9th level would deal a devastating blow to their dynasty. After grasping the implications, the other court ministers unanimously endorsed the Prince's Council. Your Majesty, we cannot support this intervention. After all, the Xintian continent is human territory, and we must not appear too aggressive. Should we clash with them, we would undoubtedly suffer the consequences. It is precisely because of the demon race's presence that they have not devoted much effort to dealing with us, allowing us to grow powerful. We have heard of what those 3 clans have done. Those bastards frequently massacre human factions for their own amusement. Perhaps a powerful human cultivator from the central regions could not tolerate their antics, which is why they were able to strike back. This is the consequence of their own actions. Seeing that all the officials in court disagreed with sending aid, the ruler naturally would not act recklessly. In truth, he too opposed the intervention. He had merely convened this gathering out of concern that others would criticize him for disregarding the fate of the other clans. Now that everyone was aligned against it, he felt no pressure to proceed. Since my ministers unanimously disagree, this matter is settled. As for those 3 clans, let them face their own fate. After all, they brought this upon themselves, and their actions could drag the entire Beastman Imperial Dynasty down with them. Your Majesty is wise. They remained unaware that the remnants of the demon race had already been eradicated. Once the powers on Xintian continent freed themselves from other concerns, they might turn their attention to the Beastmen. The Beastman Imperial Dynasty's decision not to send reinforcements sealed their fate. Yet even if they had, the outcome would have remained unchanged. Lin Fan had never taken the Beastman Imperial Dynasty seriously. Should they dare to challenge him, he wouldn't hesitate to obliterate their entire dynasty. Following the same pattern, the Tiger and Bear clans fell swiftly to Lin Fan and Humei's combined assault, never receiving the imperial aid they had desperately awaited until their final moments. Lin Fan claimed all the resources from both clans, discovering their vaults were remarkably sparse, with nothing substantial found beyond the Yuan stones. The western region's extreme barrenness might explain this, or any cultivation resources they obtained were likely consumed immediately rather than hoarded. Even the soul-nourishing herb Yunmeng mentioned eluded Lin Fan. He assumed it had already been used up. Fortunately, he wasn't pursuing treasures, so there was no disappointment. After confirming nothing was left behind, Lin Fan and Humei returned to the Xinxiao realm. Since the beastmen hadn't come looking for trouble, Lin Fan had no intention of seeking them out. Lin Fan then summoned Mu Yunxi to inquire about the condition of those people. Yunxi, how have those people been settled? Husband, they were initially quite panicked, but they've steadied themselves under my care. That's good. These people would remain in the Xinxiao realm for some time until the family spirit tree marked them, which was required before they could freely enter and exit. Beyond the realm, on the Xintian continent, representatives from the various factions returned and recounted everything that had unfolded in the northern region. They even spread word that the demon remnants had been eradicated, and soon every cultivator across the continent was discussing it. They also came to remember the name Guyu. Lin Fan's role in wiping out the demon remnants was significant, and no one dared to diminish his achievements. They spread the full account of Lin Fan's deeds across the continent, filling every cultivator with gratitude toward him. The demon remnants had been a constant threat hanging overhead, and their destruction was welcome news for all cultivators. 2 days later, as Lin Fan walked through the streets, he overheard people speaking of him. Husband, listen. Everyone on the Xintian continent is grateful to you now. Humei's face lit up with pride upon hearing the conversation. Mayor, your contributions were no less significant. Those quasi-demon emperors all fell to your hand. Hear that? Many people are grateful to you as well. They have decent judgment, Humei replied with a smug smile. Meanwhile, Lin Haojuan had spent time wandering through the Hundred States region before arriving at a city on the Xinjiang continent. Earlier, Lin Fan's group had visited the Hundred States region, but never crossed paths with Lin Haojuan. I never expected to hear tales of my father and aunt as soon as I arrived. Truly fascinating, Lin Haojuan mused. He was well aware of his father's use of the alias Guyu. He summoned someone to learn the full details of what had transpired. When he discovered that the demon remnants had been destroyed, pride settled over his features. My father is truly remarkable. Even this could be foreseen. There's still much for me to learn. Others attributed these calculations to the great emperor behind his father. But did his father have a great emperor behind him? He knew the answer. In truth, there was indeed one, though she was far more likely to become his aunt than his master's predecessor. The heavenly strategist profession is quite impressive. With my innate Tao physique, becoming one should pose no difficulty. Lin Haojuan mused, genuinely intrigued by the role. He had made up his mind. This would be his primary cultivation path. During the following period, Fan Lin received a large quantity of spirit herb seeds. Moreover, a steady stream of spirit herb seeds was brought to the Xinjiao realm through Lin Yuhuang. Husband, with these factions continuously providing seeds, it won't be long before we fill the Xinjiao realm with spirit plants. Seeing so many spirit herb seeds being brought back to the Xinjiao realm, everyone was overjoyed. With these seeds, the Lin family would no longer lack cultivation resources. Watching the abundance of spirit herb seeds, Fan Lin felt deeply satisfied. Fortunately, cultivating these spirit herbs was merely a matter of a thought for him. Otherwise, filling the entire Xinjiao realm would have been quite a task. Over at Xiantian Academy, Jun Yao found Lin Yuhuang. Ruer, I wonder if your father has returned from the Northern Territory. Jun Yao remained unaware of what Fan Lin and his companions had accomplished in the western regions. Though Lin Yuhuang puzzled over why Jun Yao suddenly brought up her father, she nodded and replied, Master, my father has already returned. Upon hearing that Fan Lin had returned, a flicker of joy passed through Jun Yao's eyes. Ruer, help me arrange a meeting with your father. I wish to speak with him. Lin Yuhuang's eyes lit up with delight at Jun Yao's words, and she teased mischievously. Master, could it be that you've grown interested in my father? Would you like me to play matchmaker? Jun Yao's face flushed crimson upon hearing Lin Yuhuang's teasing remarks. While she harbored some affection for Fan Lin, it had not yet reached that level of feeling. She quickly composed herself and reproached Lin Yuhuang. You rebellious disciple, what nonsense are you spouting? I merely intend to inquire about certain matters from your father. Don't let your imagination run astray. If you continue speaking such foolishness, just wait until I deal with you. Witnessing Jun Yao's flustered state, Lin Yuhuang pursed her lips. You harbor these thoughts yet refuse to admit them. Truly speaking one thing while meaning another. What are you muttering about? Jun Yao furrowed her brow. Nothing, I just meant that my father may depart from the Xinjiang continent in time. As she spoke, Lin Yuhuang mused inwardly. I simply cannot fathom how you might remain unaffected upon hearing this news. She said this deliberately to provoke Jun Yao and gauge her reaction. After all, even if her father left the Xinjiang continent, his return would come in the blink of an eye. As expected, Jun Yao's expression shifted the moment she learned Fan Lin planned to depart. She then gazed anxiously at Lin Yuhuang. Ruer, is your father truly intent on leaving the Xinjiang continent? Has he mentioned when he might return? Noticing Jun Yao's evident distress, Lin Yuhuang suppressed a smile, thinking, you claim no interest in my father, yet your expression changes the moment he speaks of leaving. Though her thoughts ran thus, her countenance remained composed. Master, my father mentioned he intends to journey across various continents for cultivation. As for when he shall return, even he cannot say. Hearing this, Jun Yao's unease deepened. If he departed for an extended period, would Fan Lin still remember her? Why am I entertaining such thoughts? What does it matter whether he remembers me or not? Why am I fretting over nothing? Could it be that I truly harbor feelings for him? Jun Yao's heart grew suddenly lost in confusion. Observing Jun Yao's distracted state, Lin Yuhuang waved her hand before her eyes, yet there was no response. With no other recourse, she spoke aloud. Master, what are you pondering? Oh, nothing. Jun Yao replied, her voice tinged with guilt. By the way, could you arrange a meeting with your father and see when he might be free? Though she possessed Fan Lin's contact information herself, she believed it more fitting for Lin Yuhuang to handle the request. Very well, I'll contact my father right away. Soon thereafter, Fan Lin received word from Lin Yuhuang. Upon learning that Jun Yao wished to meet him, Fan Lin made no objection. They settled on meeting the following day. After their encounter, he resolved to return to the Xinhuang continent. With the demon race eradicated from the Xinjiang continent, stability would prevail here for some time, rendering his prolonged stay pointless. The next day, Fan Lin arrived at a manor as agreed, which belonged to Jun Yao's private residence. Taoist companion Ji Wei, on behalf of all cultivators of the Xinjiang continent, I thank you for this journey to the Northern Territory. Were it not for your assistance, I dread to think when we might have eliminated these remnants of the demon race. Fan Lin chuckled and waved his hand dismissively. It was but a trivial effort on my part. To you it was merely a simple task, but for the entire Xinjiang continent, it has averted a catastrophic disaster meriting boundless merit. At present, all cultivators across the Xiantian continent express their gratitude for your kindness. This news had been deliberately disseminated by the Xiantian Academy. The intention was to ensure everyone remembered Fan Lin's virtue. Other factions entering the Xiantian Academy naturally followed suit in promoting this narrative. Setting aside Fan Lin's strength, Hu Mei's capabilities had been witnessed firsthand by their own eyes. For someone of such caliber, forging an alliance was only natural. In truth, the Xiantian continent maintained greater peace compared to other realms, even nurturing cordial relations with the demon race. When confronting external threats, they stood united in purpose. Having traversed numerous continents, Fan Lin found the Xiantian continent to be by far the most favorable in his experience. By the way, I heard from Ruer that Taoist companion Jiyu plans to depart from the Xiantian continent to travel elsewhere. That is correct. I intend to set out tomorrow. Upon confirming that Fan Lin was truly departing, and departing so soon, Jun Yao felt a profound sense of loss. What troubles you, Taoist companion Jun Yao? You seem preoccupied. Nothing. It's merely that hearing of your sudden departure leaves me with a certain melancholy. I can only wonder when you might return after such a journey. It is difficult to say. The continents lie far apart, and a round trip demands considerable time. Jun Yao understood this well, and it was precisely this awareness that weighed upon her heart. After conversing for a while longer, Fan Lin took his leave. Watching Fan Lin's retreating figure, Jun Yao's heart swelled with emotion. Now that we part today, when might we meet again? Back at the Xiantian Academy, Lin Yuhuang observed Jun Yao's troubled expression and felt a sense of confusion. Master, what's wrong with you? Why do you seem so despondent since returning? It is nothing. Elders' affairs are beyond your understanding. Hearing this, Lin Yuhuang pursed her lips in disdain. Master truly is clearly reluctant to let my father go, yet still stubbornly denying it here. Given my father's nature, if you don't make the first move, there's essentially no chance. But don't worry. Once I'm there, I can bring you to the Shunshao realm to meet him. However, there's no urgency. Let me sulk for a few days first. At this thought, a cunning smile appeared on Lin Yuhuang's face. By the way, Huanger, your father is leaving the Xiantian continent tomorrow. Aren't you going to see him off? Lin Yuhuang shook her head directly upon hearing this. No need. I'll see him today. I'm not a child anymore. It was a joke. She could easily visit her father anytime by returning to the Shunshao realm. Seeing that Lin Yuhuang had no intention of going back, Jun Yao chose not to press further. As cultivators, they were accustomed to long separations and brief reunions. At her level, a single seclusion could span centuries. So upon reflection, there was little to regret. The next day, Lin Fan and his group returned to the Xianhuang continent. The first thing they did upon arriving was prepare to leave the Great Chu Empire. He had spent considerable time in the Great Chu Empire and had already explored most of it. Staying longer would be meaningless. Xingyue, let's head to your home next. The Tang family's territory was right next to the Great Chu Empire, so it was convenient to pay a visit. Moreover, since he had taken the Tang family's daughter away, he ought to show his respect. Hearing that Lin Fan wanted to visit her home, Tang Xinyue's face immediately lit up with surprise and delight. In truth, the Tang family had been sending her messages urging her to bring Lin Fan to visit. But she had been afraid of displeasing him and had never dared to mention it. Now that Lin Fan had voluntarily proposed going to her home, Tang Xinyue was overjoyed. Chu Xining had no objections either, since Lin Fan had already fulfilled his obligations. After calming herself, Tang Xinyue immediately asked, "Husband, when do we set off?" "Let's go today. There's nothing much to pack." Hearing they would depart immediately, Tang Xinyue promptly sent a message to her family to prepare. Before leaving, Lin Fan and Chu Xining paid a visit to the imperial palace of the Great Chu Empire. Since they were leaving, it was only proper to say goodbye. Upon learning that Lin Fan was departing, Emperor Chu hastened to detain him. "Master Lin, please stay a while longer, so I can fulfill my duties as host. You have done us such a great service, yet I have not properly entertained you. This is truly remiss. If word gets out, outsiders will say the Chu family is ungrateful." During this time, Lin Fan had indeed rendered great assistance to the Chu family. Not only had he helped identify the raw stones, but he had also uncovered the truth about Fumo Ridge. In fact, Lin Fan was a benefactor of the Great Chu Empire. Over the past days, they had intended to honor him properly. However, Lin Fan had been staying in the Xiantian continent, and the news they received was that he was in seclusion. Now that Lin Fan appeared only to announce his departure, Emperor Chu found himself helpless. "Your Majesty, I have other matters to attend to. We'll have plenty of opportunities in the future, so there's no need to rush the hospitality. I'll make it up when I visit again." Seeing that Lin Fan was adamant, Emperor Chu had no choice but to relent. Since Lin Fan insisted on leaving, there was no keeping him. "Master Lin, then it's settled. Next time you come, you must not refuse again. Rest assured I won't." With Lin Fan's assurance, Emperor Chu nodded in satisfaction. Then he turned his gaze to Chu Xining. "Xining, from now on, by Master Lin's side, you must obey him well and not act on your own whims." Hearing this, Chu Xining rolled her eyes at Emperor Chu. "Father, you can rest assured. Don't you know me well enough? Precisely because I know you, I'm not reassured." His daughter could be quite willful when she wanted to be. He truly feared she might fall out with Lin Fan. Afraid that Emperor Chu would continue, Chu Xining quickly took Lin Fan's hand. Father, it's getting late. My husband and I will take our leave. Please send my regards to Mother. Without waiting for Emperor Chu's reply, she pulled Lin Fan and hurried out of the palace. Once outside, Lin Fan looked at Chu Xining with amusement. Xining, you seem a bit nervous. Do you have some embarrassing secrets? Husband, don't overthink it. I don't have any secrets. Chu Xining replied a little guiltily. Really? Lin Fan smirked. Don't forget I can divine the truth. Chu Xining's eyes widened in shock. She hadn't expected Lin Fan to be so underhanded. If he really performed a divination, all her past misdeeds would be exposed. Wouldn't her sisters laugh at her endlessly? At the thought, she put on a pitiful expression and looked at Lin Fan. Husband, please spare me. You must not divine my past. Seeing her like this, Lin Fan chuckled. I could let it go, but what will you give me in return? Whatever you want, husband. As long as it's within my power, I will agree. Chu Xining was willing to go to any lengths. Compared to her past follies, Lin Fan's demands were nothing. Xining, you said it yourself. I didn't threaten you. Chu Xining grumbled inwardly. I don't believe you. This is clearly a threat. But she dared not voice these thoughts lest Lin Fan actually perform the divination and embarrass her. In truth, Lin Fan had never intended to divine her past. He was only teasing her. Still, from her flustered reaction, she had indeed done some willful things. But as a princess, that was hardly surprising. As soon as they returned to the manor, Xiao Zian saw Chu Xining with her head down. Xining, what's wrong? You seem so downcast. Is it because you're leaving and can't bear to part with your family? Yes, that's it. I'm sad to leave. This time is different from before. It might be a long while before I can return. After saying this, she stole a glance at Lin Fan. Seeing that Lin Fan didn't expose her, she breathed a sigh of relief. Come on, Xining, there's nothing to be sad about. You can come back anytime you want. After all, we've left people to watch over this manor. All right. How could I forget that? Chu Xining exclaimed, feigning sudden realization. Lin Fan smiled without a word. He hadn't expected Chu Xining to be such a drama queen. Without further delay, they had a cup of tea and then boarded a flying ship to leave the great Chu Empire. At the Tang family estate, upon receiving the news of Lin Fan's impending visit, the family head immediately ordered the steward to prepare a banquet. Since this was Lin Fan's first visit, they had to treat him with utmost hospitality and not neglect him. Guided by Tang Xianyu, several hours later, Fan Lin piloted the flying vessel and appeared within a mountain range. The peaks soared into the clouds, resembling a fairyland bestowed upon the mortal realm, while the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was exceptionally dense. Seeing this sight, Tang Xianyu immediately spoke. Husband, we have arrived. This is our Tang family's residence. Fan Lin surveyed the surroundings and could not help but praise, this place is quite magnificent. Naturally so. Our Tang family's ancestor personally selected this very location, and it even boasts 2 imperial-grade top-quality spirit veins. Speaking of this, Tang Xianyu wore an expression of pride. It was worth noting that most imperial-level factions possessed only a single imperial-grade top-quality spirit vein. Whether it was the Shao family, where Shao Ziyan belonged, or the great Chu imperial dynasty, where Chu Xining resided, each had only one such vein. The fact that the Tang family exclusively controlled 2 imperial-grade top-quality spirit veins was sufficient to demonstrate that their founding ancestor was no ordinary figure. At the very least, in the great emperor realm, he must have been among the foremost talents of the Xianhuang continent at that time. As for why the Tang family's current strength lagged behind the Shao family and the great Chu imperial dynasty, Tang Xian, you had previously explained this to Fan Lin. The reason was actually quite simple. It was not that the Tang family lacked cultivation resources. Since that ancestor departed, no powerful cultivation physique had been born within the Tang family. Although a sacred body had emerged before, it was merely the most commonplace among such physiques. This gradually caused the Tang family's strength to decline to an average level among imperial factions. Nevertheless, even in this state, the Tang family's power was not something to be underestimated. Thus, although numerous factions coveted the Tang family's cultivation environment, none dared to act rashly. After all, the Tang family's deep foundations were evident, and no one knew what hidden trump cards they still possessed. Unless driven to the brink of desperation, no faction would dare provoke the Tang family. At most, there would be commercial disputes, nowhere near the level of life and death enmity. Fan Lin did not overthink it. Once the flying vessel touched down, he led Tang Xianyu and the others out. The moment he stepped off the vessel, Fan Lin's impression grew even more pronounced. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth here far exceeded anything he had encountered in all the places he had visited thus far. Of course, despite possessing 2 imperial-grade top-quality spirit veins, the spiritual energy here still could not compare with that of the Shenshao realm. Not only did it fall short in density, but the quality itself was vastly inferior. At present, the quality of spiritual energy within the Shenshao realm far surpassed that contained within imperial-grade top-quality spirit veins. Although the spiritual energy inside the Shenshao realm had not yet evolved into immortal qi, it was still incomparable to the spiritual energy harbored in imperial-grade spirit veins. When Fan Lin's vessel first arrived here, the senior members of the Tang family immediately took notice. However, they harbored no anger, for they knew that the owner of this vessel was Fan Lin. In the cultivation world, there existed a rule: one must not directly pilot a flying vessel to another's doorstep. To violate this would be regarded as a provocation. The host family could suppress the offender without objection. Of course, this was a world where the strong preyed upon the weak. When the powerful confronted the weak, there was naturally no need to abide by such rules. Fan Lin well understood this convention. Yet since the Tang family had personally invited him, it did not constitute a breach of propriety. One could hardly expect the Tang family to invite guests only to have them disembark halfway and walk the remainder of the journey. Had things been so, even with Tang Xinu's connection, Fan Lin would never have come. As Fan Lin and his party approached the Tang family's mountain gate, they beheld the Tang family elder they had met before, along with the family head and numerous elders awaiting them with eager anticipation. Upon spotting Fan Lin's group, they immediately approached with warm smiles. The Tang elder spoke first. "Master Lin, welcome to our Tang family." "You are too kind, Elder Tang," Fan Lin replied with a smile. Given such warmth, he felt it inappropriate to maintain any airs or disappoint his hosts. "Master Lin, this is not a place for conversation. Please follow me to the inner courtyard." Very well. Soon the Tang elder led Fan Lin and his party into a grand hall within the inner courtyard. This was precisely the Tang family's reception hall for distinguished guests. After a period of hospitality, the Tang elder raised the matter at hand. "Master Lin, I have heard that you authenticated a batch of raw stones for the great Chu royal family. Might we ask you to examine the Tang family's stones as well?" "Naturally, and the authentication fee will be the same as that charged the great Chu royal family." Saying this, the Tang elder gazed at Fan Lin with eager expectation. "Elder Tang, this is but a trivial matter. Xinu is now my wife, so I will certainly extend this assistance." Even without any benefit for Xinu's sake, Fan Lin would have helped them once. With profit also in prospect, the entire Tang family was overjoyed at his agreement. They were also deeply grateful that Tang Xinu had come to know Fan Lin. Without this connection, the Tang family would never have had the opportunity to approach him, not even a sliver of chance to meet him. After further pleasantries, Tang Xinu's father, the Tang family head, spoke up. "Xinus, since there is nothing pressing, why don't you show Master Lin around our family estate?" "Very well, father. I will take care of things here, so do not worry." The Tang family head nodded approvingly. After exchanging a few words with Fan Lin, he departed. Soon only Fan Lin's party and Tang Xinu's elder brother remained in the hall. Only after the family head and others had left did he finally have the opportunity to speak. He immediately approached Fan Lin and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Master Lin. No need for such formality. You are Xinu's brother, so do not treat me as a stranger." Seeing how amiable and approachable Fan Lin was, Tang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. He had encountered Fan Lin at the Shao family before and exchanged a few words with him. At that time, he had been deeply curious about Fan Lin's background. After all, someone so close to Shao Ziyin must have an impressive origin. Yet he could never have imagined that Fan Lin possessed such a formidable identity. This made him somewhat reserved and constrained when facing Fan Lin now. Seeing her own brother behave this way, Tang Xinu could not help but tease him with a smile. "Big brother, what has gotten into you? This is quite unlike your usual demeanor." Facing his sister's teasing, Tang Hao offered a faint bitter smile. "Xinu, you should see who I am dealing with. Even the ancestral elder treats Master Lin with such courtesy, let alone me." Witnessing this, Tang Xinu ceased her teasing. "Enough, brother. There is no need for such formality. My husband is quite easy to converse with. He is easy with you, not with me." However, Tang Hao dared only think this and never voiced it aloud. After a few more exchanges with Fan Lin, he took his leave. After all, with his sister present, there was no need for him to remain and keep them company. After Tang Hao left, Tang Xinyu took Lin Fan and the others to stroll around the Tang family estate. "By the way, husband, in half a month our Tang family will hold its decennial family competition. I wonder if you would be interested in staying to watch." "The family competition? Since we are here, there is no harm in taking a look." Lin Fan was actually somewhat interested in the family competition. He had nothing else to do anyway, so staying to watch would not be bad. Seeing Lin Fan agree to stay, Tang Xinyu was quite pleased. She then began explaining the details of the family competition to Lin Fan and the others. The competition rules were simple: only those with cultivation at or above the Qi realm could participate. Any family disciple under the age of 30 was eligible. Yet at that age, most disciples were still below the Qi realm. Those below the Qi realm had no qualification to enter the family competition. The Tang family organized this event precisely to identify outstanding clan members for concentrated cultivation. If one had not broken through to the Qi realm by the age of 30, it was equivalent to immediate elimination. From then on, their fate was sealed. They would spend their lives managing the family's business affairs. Moreover, the cultivation resources they received each year were pitifully meager. Though this system appeared rather cruel in a world where strength reigned supreme, those without exceptional cultivation talent were destined to fall short. Although there were indeed those of humble aptitude who defied fate and changed their destiny, they were merely exceptions. 1 in 10,000 years across the entire Xinhuang continent. Rather than wasting time and resources cultivating mediocre clan members, it made far more sense to invest in those with genuine talent. As for the Tang family's approach, Lin Fan had nothing to say against it. Was not the Lin family of his past life exactly the same? Had he not possessed the system, he might well have perished long ago. The Lin family had once faced a dire crisis, and without his son's assistance it would surely have been destroyed. If the Lin family had fallen, he likely would not have escaped either. In truth, whether family or sect, the pattern was always the same. Those of ordinary cultivation talent would forever serve those blessed with extraordinary gifts. It was only because the Lin family established by Lin Fan possessed abundant resources, and without the Shengshao realm, he could never have provided them with so much cultivation material, that exceptions were possible. After several days of leisurely wandering through the Tang estate, Lin Fan finally stopped, for there was little left to explore. Elder Lin, have the accommodations been to your satisfaction these past few days? The Tang family patriarch asked with a warm smile. Quite pleasant. Thank you for your hospitality, Patriarch Tang. You honor us, Elder Lin. It is our Tang family's privilege to have you among us. By this point, the Tang patriarch had already learned from Tang Xinyue about the situation at the sealed Demon Ridge and understood that Lin Fan was capable of resolving it. This only deepened the entire Tang family's respect for Lin Fan. What manner of place was the sealed Demon Ridge? To all cultivators across the Xianhuan continent, it was nothing short of a forbidden land. No one would rashly venture there, not even a quasi-emperor. A cultivator with insufficient attainment would soon be assimilated by the demonic energy, becoming a mere slave to the demon race. Thus all cultivators on the Xianhuan continent kept their distance from the sealed Demon Ridge with reverence and caution. Furthermore, the area held no cultivation resources of any value, making it even less worthy of consideration. Of course, Tang Xinyue had not mentioned the matter of the Demon Emperor within. Should word spread that a Demon Emperor still existed at the sealed Demon Ridge, it would send shockwaves across the entire Xianhuan continent. At the patriarch's flattering words, Lin Fan merely smiled faintly. He then raised his teacup and took a sip. Patriarch Tang, I wonder if the rough stones requiring appraisal have been prepared. If they are ready, I can begin the appraisal immediately. Hearing that Lin Fan was willing to appraise the rough stones right away, the Tang patriarch was overcome with joy. He had already had the rough stones prepared long ago, he simply had not yet found the right way to bring it up. Now that Lin Fan had volunteered, it was exactly what he had been hoping for. Immediately he rose from his chair with visible excitement. Elder Lin, the rough stones are ready. I will take you there at once. Speaking, he hurried ahead to lead the way while simultaneously sending messages to the family's senior members. They were to gather immediately at the storage location for the rough stones. Watching her father's animated display, Tang Xinyue turned to Lin Fan with an embarrassed expression. Husband, father is simply too excited. Please do not take offense. Lin Fan laughed and waved his hand dismissively. Not at all. Do I look like a man who holds grudges? Come, let us hurry and catch up with him. Soon the group arrived at the warehouse, storing the rough stones. By this time, the Tang family's senior members had already arrived ahead of them. Leading the group was the Tang family's ancestral elder. It was hardly surprising they had arrived first. After all, Lin Fan and his party had walked all the way. Having received the patriarch's message, they had flown here at top speed. The moment the Tang ancestral elder laid eyes on Lin Fan, his face broke into a welcoming smile. Elder Lin, I must trouble you with this matter. You flatter me, Elder Tang. After exchanging polite greetings, they got straight to the point. Elder Tang, take me to see the rough stones first. The Tang ancestral elder did not hesitate. He extended his hand and swept it forward, and a gateway materialized before everyone. The Tang family's rough stones were stored within a spatial realm created by an ancestor of the Tang clan. This space served not only as storage for the rough stones, but also as the Tang family's treasury. A spatial realm carved by a great emperor was as solid as golden fortifications. Even without guards, there was no need to fear theft. The method to enter or exit this space was known only to the family patriarch and the quasi-emperor elders. They had originally considered moving the rough stones out. After all, allowing an outsider like Lin Fan to enter the Tang family's treasury was hardly appropriate. However, after deliberation among the elders, they ultimately decided to bring Lin Fan into the treasury themselves. This would also demonstrate their sincerity. Honestly, even Tang Xinyue was somewhat stunned. In all her years, she had entered this treasury only once, when she had first broken through to the Sacred King realm. She had been allowed to select a mid-grade Saint-tier holy weapon as her reward. Noticing Tang Xinyue's expression, Lin Fan felt a flicker of curiosity. Xinyue, what is wrong? Nothing, I just never expected the ancestral elder to let us enter the treasury directly. Lin Fan had not expected this to be the Tang family's treasury, which genuinely surprised him. Nor was he alone in his astonishment. Xiao Zian and the others were equally taken aback. This was the Tang family's treasury, and yet they were allowing outsiders like them to enter. It was a gesture that earned their deep respect for the Tang family's magnanimity. With the gateway stabilized, the Tang ancestral elder gestured toward Lin Fan. Elder Lin, please. Without hesitation, Lin Fan led Xiao Zian and the others through the gateway.